Yan. Why are you here? Our school is on summer vacation now, brother. I don't have any relatives in Zhongcheng, so I have no choice but to look for you. I was so bored here during my freshman year, I had no friends to hang out with me in Zhongcheng. But it's okay now. My mother has agreed to let me stay at your house for half a month. Zhu Qian said this with a smile, and then dragged a heavy suitcase into Zhu Hua's house. Auntie has told me that as long as it doesn't affect my sister-in-law's rest, it's fine. This is my sister-in-law, right? She's so beautiful. Zhu Qian greeted Liu Zuqing warmly and walked straight into the other bedroom in the two-bedroom apartment. Zhu Huabiao's expression gradually froze during the time that Li Zuqing came. The two of them had been living separately. Fortunately, the house I rented was a two-bedroom apartment, so I was able to meet that need. As a result, now that his cousin Zhu Qian has moved in, isn't this a disguised way of forcing Liu Zuqing to live with him? In fact, I didn't believe that she was your sister at first, because you don't look alike at all. She is slightly prettier. Zhu Hua was stunned and quickly explained. This is a misunderstanding. This cousin is my aunt's daughter, my mother's sister's daughter. Liu Zuqing looked at Zhu Hua deeply. Why are you so anxious? She looks quiet and gentle, but when I heard her speak, I was sure that she is your sister. The way you two speak and your personalities are so similar. She's just a female version of you. As soon as the voice fell, Zhu Qian, who was carrying her luggage in the room, protested with dissatisfaction. Sister-in-law, how can you talk like that? How come I am the female version of my brother? Aren't you cursing? Chapter 3 Ifra, not at all. After saying this, the little girl walked out with a pouty look on her face. No wonder Liu Zuqing suspected that the girl was Zhu Hua's lover at first sight. After all, although she is a little young, she has a pretty face and delicate features. Although she is not stunningly beautiful, she can be the most beautiful girl in any college. Especially that jet black, shiny hair. When she walks on the street, she is definitely a killer from behind. At this moment, she pouted her red lips with an expression of dissatisfaction and complaint, which made her look 50 cute and 50 pitiful. Liu Zuqing couldn't help but raise her hand to pinch the girl's cheek. Qian's behavior has nothing to do with me. That's just her natural talent. No, it's just her personality. She is carefree and outgoing. Zhu Hua coughed. Because her cousin came, Liu Zuqing instantly forgot about adult education. How about this? Since Qian is here too, today is a good day for us to have a meal together. The subtext of good things come in pairs is naturally about Liu Zuqing's return. Zhu Qian was lively and waved her hand when she heard this. Yeah. Brother, sister-in-law, wait for me for a moment, I'll change my clothes and come out. After saying this, Zhu Qian turned and went into the bedroom. Zhu Hua glanced at Liu Zuqing with a smile, but the woman suddenly snorted and turned her head away. As if the harmony between the two of them just now was just a pretense in front of Zhu Qian. Touching the tip of his nose angrily, Zhu Hua suddenly laughed again. The indescribable feeling of anxiety and fear in the morning suddenly disappeared at this moment. After the three of them went out, they ran into Lin Hao, who was coming back from throwing away the garbage as soon as they reached the bottom of the building. Hey, isn't this Zhu Qian? Wow, you've grown so big in the blink of an eye? Damn, the last time we met, you seemed to be only half my height. I didn't expect you to grow so big in the blink of an eye. When Zhu Hua saw Lin Hao, his heart skipped a beat. Damn, why are you still haunting me? Brother Lin Hao, you are talking nonsense again. The last time we met was last year. At that time, I was as tall as your shoulders. Show could I be only half your height? Zhu Qian greeted him casually and bluntly exposed Lin Hao's pretense of being an elder. What are you going to do? Let's eat, brother Lin Hao. Do you want to join us? Zhu Qian was also surprised to run into Lin Hao here. However, she knew that Zhu Hua and Lin Hao were close friends, so she took the initiative to invite them. Qian, stop it. I took a day off today, so I didn't go to work, but your brother Lin Hao may not be able to do that. He is the administrative director of the company and is very busy. After saying this, Zhu Hua winked at Lin Hao, who knew that the boy acted as if he didn't see it and even laughed. It's okay, I just happen to be free right now. Even a busy general manager needs time to eat. Not to mention someone like me who has nothing to do, it won't be a problem. After saying this, Lin Hao glanced at Zhu Hua with a playful smile. Besides, my most important task now is to take good care of our president Zhu. Promise your sister. Zhu Hua glared at him. He tried his best to prevent Lin Hao and Liu Zuqing from coming into contact with each other. It was only yesterday that he figured out what happened in the dream. Since he himself didn't know the truth, it would be difficult for him to explain to Lin Hao and ask him to help cover up. Originally, Zhu Hua planned to find time today to talk to Lin Hao alone. As a result, as soon as he went downstairs, this guy appeared as if he had installed a surveillance camera at the door of Zhu Hua's house. It just rained yesterday, as the old saying goes. Every autumn rain brings a chill. The weather is getting colder, I suggest that we go have a hot pot. It can warm our bodies and get rid of the dampness. When she heard about eating hot pot, Zhu Qian immediately became interested and said happily with her big eyes blinking. Okay, you don't know. Our school is semi-closed. I have a lot of classes during the day, and I have to study on weekends to prepare for the postgraduate entrance examination. I don't have the chance to eat hot pot on weekdays. Everyone else left school for summer vacation a month ago, but I, your poor sister, had to wait until August to escape from the suffering. Zhu Qian sniffed in grievance. It's so hard for me. When Lin Hao and Liu Zuqing heard this, they both began to comfort the girl. The corners of Zhu Hua's mouth twitched, and for a moment he felt like he had become a transparent person again. He was puzzled because his mother and An often said that they had similar personalities to Zhu Qian. The little girl is like a female version of him. But why is the female version of myself so popular? Both Liu Zuqing and Lin Hao were able to quickly get along well with the girl. As his cousin, Zhu Hui could see through it at a glance that the girl was definitely talking nonsense. What's with all the weekend self-study for the postgraduate entrance exam? She's only a freshman. No matter how impatient the aunt was and wanted a master's degree to come out of the family, she would not force the girl to start preparing for the postgraduate entrance examination in her freshman year. What's more, Zhu Qian was so self-disciplined, she would know to review and prepare for the exam on weekends. Will she be able to get into Zhongcheng? I should have gone to Peking University or Tingshui University 8 generations ago. What's more, the girl passed the college entrance examination with great difficulty. The emperor is far away and without her aunt's encouragement, it would be a miracle if she could study hard. What do you want to eat, sister? I'll buy it for you. Walking towards the entrance of the alley, Liu Zuqing and Zhu Qian walked hand in hand like real sisters, and Liu Zuqing even took the initiative to show her goodwill to Zhu Qian. This made Zhu Hua feel even more uncomfortable. I haven't even put my arm around Liu Zuqing since we met this time. However, after all, there was some generation gap between Liu Zuqing and the three people present, and from time to time Zhu Qian would ask a question or two that Liu Zuqing found difficult to answer. Sister-in-law, where do you work? Sister-in-law, you are so beautiful, how come you like my brother? Zhu Qian could even ask some more shocking questions. Sister-in-law, did you do that with my brother? Forehead. Is my brother strong in any way? Damn, what kind of questions is this little girl asking? Enough is enough. At this moment, Zhu Hua's old face flushed as he growled, and added a warning. If you continue to ask about our private affairs, I will send you back tomorrow. Zhu Qian is still very afraid of her brother Zhu, who has a similar personality to her. But now she has the support of her brother Lin Hao and sister-in-law Liu Zuqing. It would be strange if the little girl could be scared by just one sentence. She pouted her lips in grievance, and tears instantly flashed in her eyes. The sudden surge in acting skills made Liu Zuqing feel distressed. Why are you yelling at a child? Did the little girl say something that touched your weakness, so you are unhappy? What? What are my shortcomings? Liu Zuqing, you'd better be careful with what you say and do. The next moment, Liu Zuqing glanced at Zhu Hua nonchalantly, and then spoke to herself. There's nothing wrong with talking about these things. Your brother is not good at all. Chapter 35, Wow, there are quite a lot of people. Damn it. When these words came out, Zhu Qian's eyes widened. Why are you so close to him, sister-in-law? How about I introduce you to one or two handsome guys in school? My brother is not handsome, not tall, and his job is just average. Are you being puaed by him? This was clearly a naked revenge for what his brother had just said when he was scolded. What? The internet buzzword PUA is somewhat unfamiliar to some middle-aged people, let alone Liu Zuqing. Zhu Hui was already feeling a little embarrassed. What's more, my sister picked up a hoe and planned to dig into my own corner. Zhu Qian. If you can walk to the pedestrian street from now on without saying a word, I will buy you a big bag of tangerines during the Chinese New Year. If you can't, I will not only go to your house during the Chinese New Year to take away the tangerines, but I will also advise my aunt to confiscate your red envelope. Also, do your family know the results of your final exams during this summer vacation? This is the killer feature. During this, Zhu Qian's breathing suddenly became rapid. Obviously she was being held in a weak position by her brother. He knew that his brother had a lot of ideas and bad thoughts. If he really wanted to make it impossible for him to have a peaceful year, he would definitely do what he said. What's more, Zhu Hua seems to have a pair of discerning eyes as someone who has experienced it. He immediately saw through the truth that Zhu Qian was dawdling and didn't want to go home. Now the whole world is a lot quieter. A group walked towards the pedestrian street, although Zhu Qian spoke from time to time. The topic no longer involved the privacy of Liu Zuqing and Zhu Hua. Zhu Qian, didn't you say you were going back home today? Why are you eating hot pot here in Kinjwu Street? As soon as a few people sat down, Lin Hao was still holding the menu and ordering food with great interest. The discordant voices sounded nearby. When Zhu Qian saw who was coming, her expression froze. Yu Ying, Leng Qian, why are you here too? Zhu Hu and Liu King's attention was instantly attracted by the two girls walking over. Both of them were the same age as Zhu Qian, but their dressing styles were much more mature than Zhu Qian's, wearing heavy makeup and looking gorgeous. Especially the brand name clothes, which make him look out of place with down-to-earth people like Zhu Hua. Hey, doesn't Zhu Xiaoji want to see us? No, I just feel it's such a coincidence, the world is so small. Zhu Qian responded with a dry laugh. The leader, a girl called Leng Qian, pointed at Zhu Hu and the others. Isn't your boyfriend one of these two? Tsk, Zhu Qian, you are the beauty of Zhongcheng Medical University, how can you have such poor taste? How are these two uncles better than my cousin? How can you like this type? Uncle? Lin Hao and Zhu Hu looked at each other. Liu King raised her eyebrows imperceptibly. On the other side, Zhu Qian waved her hands repeatedly. No, this is my cousin, this is my cousin's friend, and this is my sister-in-law. They see. Your sister-in-law is pretty. Leng Qian and the other person glanced at Liu King, both revealing a hint of surprise. Zhu, who looks ordinary, that he didn't expect to find such a stunning girlfriend. The next moment, she changed the subject directly. It just so happens that my cousin is also having dinner here with some friends today. How about you come over with us for a couple of drinks? Leng Qian smiled and pulled Zhu Qian. It was obvious that every cell in Zhu Qian's body seemed to reveal resistance, and her little eyebrows were almost twisted into a rope. Zhu Hu raised his eyelids. I'm sorry. My cousin is not feeling well and is not suitable for drinking today. That Leng Qian didn't give Zhu Hu any face at all. Zhu Qian, are you sure you don't want to come and see him? Everyone in the medical university now knows that my cousin is pursuing you. If you don't want your college life to be in turmoil, I suggest you make things clear with my cousin. It just so happens that my cousin is in a good mood today, maybe after a couple of drinks. Bang! Lin Hao and Zhu Hui have never been good-tempered. Lin Hao slammed the table and stood up first. Although he was half a head shorter than Zhu Hui, his dark and fat face was full of anger, which was still very intimidating. What's wrong with you girls nowadays? Others have said they don't want to, so when will it end? If your cousin wants to pursue Zhu Qian, he should use reasonable and legal methods. Don't you see as pawns here you have to act so pretentiously when trying to pick up girls? Is that fun? The two little girls were startled and left angrily muttering dirty words. After being interrupted by these two people, Zhu Qian's interest was halved. Zhu Hu stared at the two women's departing backs and sneered. It's good enough that I don't bully others, but there are actually people who bully my sister. You don't plan to explain? Zhu Qian pouted her red lips and said a grieved lie. When you were in college, you should have had girls like this, right? They just hung out with whoever had money. They belonged to the circle at Zhongcheng Medical University. The one on the left is Leng Qian, and the one on the right is Liu Ying. We met at a student union event in the second half of our freshman year. Leng Qian's cousin happened to come pick her up from school that day, and we bumped into each other by accident. Okay, no need to say more. We both understand. At this moment, Lin Hao next to him played with chopsticks and said with a smile. Liu King was quite puzzled. She hasn't even finished talking yet. And you two understand? Zhu Hu packed a set of tableware and said as he heated the bowls with tea. Have you ever seen a pig run before eating pork? We both went to college after all, to put it bluntly. Leng Qian and Liu Ying are just like pimps, pimping for the rich second generations in school. A pimp pro? Liu King was stunned for a moment. And the next moment she understood what it meant. He spat lightly. Why doesn't this guy pay attention to what he says? I'm afraid Leng Qian and her so-called cousin are not even closely related by blood. Right? It's nothing more than relying on the other party's family to have a little money, wanting to mix in the circle, hang out with the so-called rich people, and then play such a role in the school. Whenever they find a good-looking girl, they take photos for the rich second generations, and then try to organize a party to trick those pretty girls out. Some are won over half-heartedly, while others are unwilling to obey. If the rich second generation is persistent, they will also pursue them fanatically. Your cousin Leng Qian, who is pursuing you, is probably such a character, right? Zhu Qian smiled bitterly and nodded. If there were people like this in the past, we would beat them up if we saw one of them in school, or beat them up if we saw a pair. Let us handle this matter. Zhu Hu and Lin Hao smiled at each other. Originally, Liu King wanted to ask if they needed her help. As a result, Zhu Hu had already stood up and followed the direction the two girls left. Lin Hao grinned wickedly from behind, asked the waiter for 2 bottles of Shaolang Jiu, and followed. As expected of the so-called second-generation rich, he insisted on getting a private room in this roadside hotpot restaurant. Zhu Hu was not at all nervous. Apart from some shortcomings in love matters, he was not at all afraid of these social conflicts under Laozu's deliberate training, especially since this matter also troubled my cousin. Although Zhu Hui always likes to bully Zhu Qian, but everyone in the family loves this younger sister very much. If Laozu knew that the little girl was bullied under his nose, Liu Zhen would probably be unhappy again when she returned home. Bang! The next moment, he kicked open the door of the box room. This loud noise, it instantly attracted 7 or 8 gazes in the box, including Ling Qian and Liu Yingying. Wow, there are quite a lot of people. Chapter 36, no one can leave until they finish drinking. Who are you? Zhu Hui arrogantly took the initiative and caught the opponent off guard. The young man with dyed white hair in the first position frowned. Just now these 2 little sisters said that someone wants to pursue my cousin. As a cousin, I have to come and see what's going on. Who is Ling Qian's cousin? If you want to date my sister, then make friends with my cousin first. Cousin? When the white-haired man in the first seat heard this, a hint of panic flashed across his eyes. The 2 girls probably didn't expect that Zhu Hu would dare to come to them like this. We saw Zhu Qian in the lobby just now, and then we wanted to invite her over under Brother Ling's name, but his cousin just drove us away. Zhu Hu's unruly attitude made the 2 girls a little nervous. They are used to taking advantage of the power of others, and rarely see anyone actually standing up for such things. Especially when the name of a certain young man comes out. Most people will instinctively feel fear when they hear the words rich second generation. But Zhu Hui doesn't buy it in a society ruled by law. What can money do? Although Zhu Hui comes from an ordinary family, he is not afraid of those who wear shoes because he is barefoot. My father is an old cadre in the system and my mother just retired. Even if the other party has great power and connections, it would be difficult for him to take revenge on Zhu Hu's family. I am Ling Qian's cousin. Hey, my friend, did Zhu Qian ask you to come? Or do you want to help Zhu Qian? Yima calmed himself down, picked up a yellow Kratar cigarette and took a sip. It seemed that this behavior could give him courage. As he puffed out smoke, under the stimulation of nicotine, the intimidation posed by Zhu Hui instantly diminished a lot. What era is this now? Free love, I can pursue whoever I want, that's my business even if your sister has clearly rejected me. But she's not married, and I'm not married yet, so I still have a chance. My legs are on my body. My mouth is on my face, I can do whatever I want as her cousin. If you have the ability, you can keep Zhu Qian locked up at home. Otherwise, since she has entered society, I can pursue her however I want. Bang! Before he could finish his words, Zhu Hui suddenly took off his short-sleeved shirt and left it on the table, revealing his lean upper body although he didn't have many muscles. The way he kept playing with the wine bottle in his hand was quite intimidating. The next moment, Zhu Hui raised his finger. Don't show off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are only 8 of you in this room, the 3 girls have no fighting ability. How many do you think I can knock down if we really fight? What do you mean? As soon as these words came out, a hint of panic clearly flashed across Yimo's eyes. If these playboys who like to spend their days in debauchery are called gangsters, then Zhu Hui is the gang leader. How could a guy who could smash other people's stores in high school be a simple character? Nothing interesting, just making friends with you. My name is Zhu Hui, what is this young master's name? Zhu Hui glanced at Ling Xiao with his eyes slanted. Ling Xiao Chen. Ling Xiao mustered up his courage and puffed out his chest. He always felt that Zhu Hui would not really take action. After all, he had the most people on his side. But those were all the second-generation rich friends I played with. They had a bit of money at home, and they didn't have any proper jobs after returning from studying abroad. They just liked to show off, drink, and pick up girls when they had nothing to do. Since they spend their days together as a couple, it's okay for them to bully others. If he really asked them to help, then young Master Lang would be overthinking it. Snap. The next moment, Zhu Hui unexpectedly slapped the Ling Xiao in the face. You really agree to being called master? At a time like this, shouldn't you just call me Xiao Lang? Fuck your mother. Without saying a word, he suddenly attacked without any warning, and young Master Lang was completely stunned. At this moment, Lin Hao also entered the room. Ling Xiaochen panicked as soon as he saw it. Zhu Hui alone was enough to silence the whole box, not to mention that the fat black man who came in didn't look like a good guy either, especially since he was holding 2 bottles of liquor in his hands. Ling Qian gritted her teeth. Cousin, what do you mean by this? You said you wanted to make friends, but then you suddenly hit someone. Do you know what the consequences of this slap will be? I just used a basic attack. Why the hell did you use your ultimate? The psychological quality of this generation of little girls is not good. Come on, come here. Without even looking up, Zhu Hui picked up a wine glass on the table, opened the Xiaolang wine that Lin Hao brought, and filled it up, pointing at Ling Qian and said, I also want to make friends with you, Mr. Lang. You won't give me face, right? This. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment and wanted to stiffen his neck to fight with Zhu Hui. but I just couldn't muster up the courage. Ling Qian was forced into a job by Zhu Hui and was a little flustered. Cousin. Hearing the voice, Ling Xiaochen lowered his head and pretended not to see it. Zhu Hui's slap completely shattered his pride. These second-generation rich people have never seen such reckless behavior from others. Ling Qian was about to cry, but Ling Xiaochen remained indifferent. In the end, she could only stare at Zhu Hui angrily, but she didn't drink. Zhu Hui sneered. Hey little sister. I know your name, Ling Qian, right? I heard you're from the Medical University Student Union. Why don't you study hard when you can join the student union? Why do you always hang out with these idiots outside the school? If I find your counselor and report what happened today, will you still be able to stay in the student union? I also have a friend in the medical university. Why don't you ask him to help promote you in the student union? As soon as these words came out, a streak of cold sweat instantly appeared on Ling Qian's forehead. Zhu Hui is an experienced person and knows how to handle these little gangster girls very well. They can act pretentiously in their own circles, and even prefer to attract the admiring and inspiring gazes of their classmates. But if the big sister persona that she has worked so hard to build collapses, she will become famous in school for being a disgrace. It would be better to just hit your head and die. Let's say our classmate Ling Qian works part-time to earn money for her studies. She attends classes at school during the day and works as a bartender at night to earn living expenses to supplement her family's income. We want you to be a role model and become famous. How about that? Don't. Ling Qian stopped pretending to be cool this time and hurriedly took the liquor and drank it in one gulp. A spicy wine went down her trachea, and she felt so uncomfortable that she couldn't utter a word. But Zhu Hui had no intention of letting her go yet. Hey, does your school have a confession wall or something like that? How about I make one for you to hang up there? I'll say that you're pregnant with my child, and I'm an unscrupulous scumbag who tricked you into having an abortion. But now I have turned over a new leaf and want to get back together with you. I think college students really like to read these gossip posts. Oh, by the way, I have a bad memory. Colleges and universities all have campus BBS. Why not post it on the campus in written forum as well? I've even thought of a title, Ling Qian, Class of 2022 Student Union. Please love me again. These little girls are not afraid of becoming the center of topic, but they are afraid of becoming the center of gossip. I am even more afraid of becoming the heroine in some event. At that time, she will not only face online violence, but also people who dislike her will take advantage of her to make trouble. By then, the revelations will only be bigger than each other. What's more, they like to hang out with rich second generations outside of school all day long. Maybe being pregnant was a matter of course in the eyes of her classmates. If Zhu Hui really threw dirty water on her like this, she would have no room for defense. Zhu Hui only needs to act as a team initiator to easily ruin her reputation. Ling Qian wanted to cry but had no tears. What do you want to do? Can't I just stop harassing Zhu Qian from now on? 2 more drinks. Zhu Hui had a blank expression on his face. He pointed at Xiaolang liquor and asked Ling Xiaochen, "Is it okay for you to drink with your cousin?" Without. The next moment, Zhu Hui slapped the table, and the noise scared the people in the box again. TSK, then why don't you drink some too? What? You don't want to give me, little white dragon in the wave's face? Today these young rich second generations have brought shame upon themselves. However, Zhu Hui is so aggressive and powerful that they really didn't dare to fight him to the death. Ling Xiaochen raised his wine glass with a frustrated look on his face. I drink. Is this the attitude you take to be friends with me? Bang! Zhu Hui saw that Ling Xiao took a sip of the white wine, and his facial features twisted together. He directly smashed the other bottle of white wine in Lin Hao's hand onto the table. Drink it. Burgle. As soon as these words came out, the cold young man gritted his teeth and said, "Don't push your luck, ISN. It okay if I don't harass Zhu Qian anymore. I will keep my distance from her from now on." Snap. Before he could finish his words, Zhu Hui slapped him in the face again. Zhu Hui glared angrily. Not chasing anymore? Fuck, what do you think of my sister? If you want to chase her, then chase her. If you don't want to chase her, just tell her you don't want to chase her. Fuck. The next moment, Zhu Hui picked up the wine bottle and pretended to shoot him in the head. Lin Hao, who was standing next to him, quickly grabbed Zhu Hui. The 2 brothers had been working together well for many years and they would definitely not really fight at this time. Just scaring him would be enough. One plays the good guy and the other plays the bad guy. But punishment is inevitable. Didn't you tell me not to harass you? Who said I wanted to stop you from pursuing Zhu Qian? I already said when I came in that I wanted to be friends with you. When making friends, sincerity is what counts. Yes or no? While Zhu Hui was speaking, he winked at Ling Qian. The girl was now terribly scared of him and quickly smiled along. But in his heart, he cursed Ling Xiaochen's ancestors for 18 generations. This coward. There were 8 people in the box, and they were suffocated by the 2 people. Zhu Hui licked his lips and smirked. If you can't finish the drink, None of you can leave today. Chapter 37, Awesome Operation. 10 minutes later. Zhu and Lin Hao came out of the box smiling and returned to their seats. Liu Zuqing glanced at Zhu Hua suspiciously. Why didn't you call me when you hit someone? I can help you. Who told you that we were going to beat someone up? Zhu Hua coughed quickly. Earls, you're always talking about hitting people, how violent. Besides, we are living in a society ruled by law now, don't keep talking about violence. Many times, conflicts can be resolved by reasoning. Zhu Qian widened her eyes talking about reason? Why did these 3 words come out of my cousin Zhu Hua's mouth? When this guy threatened to not let her have a good new year. Is there any sense in that? Also, who would kick open someone else's box with 2 bottles of liquor and run over to reason? Brother, are you sure you got it right? Of course, is there anything I can't solve once I? Your brother, take action? The next moment, Leng Qian and Liu Yingying were seen walking towards this side. Zhu Qian was a little worried, and thought that the other party was coming to take revenge on her. They should be here to apologize. Apologize? Zhu Qian was shocked again. As expected, the 2 girls soon stood in front of the group. They didn't even dare to look up at Zhu Hua. The gangster's skills were so superb that he completely shocked the rich second generations in the room. The 2 girls probably faced reality for the first time. In the eyes of those young rich second generations, they are nothing more than entertainment companions who eat and drink. If you really encounter problems, expecting them to help you out is nothing but a fantasy. Thinking of this, Leng Qian was a little envious of Zhu Qian. They are both cousins. But his cousin Leng Xiaochen just pretends to be deaf and dumb. But Zhu Hui can stand up for his sister. Brother, we were wrong. We will never dare to harass Zhu Qian again. Zhu Qian, we were wrong before. From today on, we will keep our distance from each other. After Leng Qian said this, she bowed deeply with tears in her eyes. Only then did she leave the hot pot restaurant with her little sister. Brother, you are so awesome. Seeing the 2 women leaving angrily, Zhu Qian suddenly spoke out excitedly. Apparently, she saw Leng Qian and Liu Yingying everywhere at school during this period, and their behavior also caused some troubles in her life. Received praise from my sister. Zhu Hua smiled triumphantly. You see, not everything requires violence these days. In the future, you should learn more from my noble character of winning people over with virtue. Just as he finished speaking, a drunken figure with a bruised face and nose suddenly stood in front of the table. Brother, I will never dare to force Zhu Qian to be friends with me again. As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere at the table suddenly became tense. Liu Zuqing glanced at the other person's nosebleed, was silent for a while, and then looked at Zhu Hui. It seems to be asking, is this how you win people over with virtue? On the other side, Zhu Hui, who was originally planning to brag, was even more angry and secretly said, damn it, I'm just pretending to be cool, why do you jump out? At this moment, Zhu Qian was stunned. Leng Xiaochen, why are your front teeth gone? Oh, it's okay, I knocked it off while eating the skewers. The meal was a great success for both the host and the guests. Except Zhu Hui, who was a little unhappy as he finally had the chance to teach Liu Zuqing and her sister Zhu Qian a lesson. As a result, Leng Xiaochen, this blind boy, jumped out to cause trouble. All the preparations Zhu Hui had made before were in vain. Oh, by the way, I didn't ask you just now, how many points did you get in the final exam this semester? Brother, what do you want to do? Are you trying to find a way to threaten me? A few people came out of the hot pot restaurant when the cold wind blew after the rain last night. Everyone shivered, except for Liu Zuqing, who was different from ordinary people and was less affected by the temperature change. Brother, I was just about to praise you and write a song to praise your heroic act of saving the beauty and charging for my sister today. But you actually plan to use it against me? How can you be a brother like this? When Zhu Qian saw that Zhu Hui ignored her, she pouted her little face and stomped her feet in dissatisfaction. Zhu Hui immediately rolled his eyes. You're just kidding, Med-on T, I know you? Tell me, how many doors did you hang up? Forehead. Zhu Qian glanced at Zhu Hui with dissatisfaction. My sister-in-law and brother Lin Hao are still here, why don't they give me any face at all? Zhu Hui sneered. I'm going to help you, don't be ungrateful. As someone who has been through this, my aunt and my mom are sisters. And they have the same personality. If your aunt knew your grades, you wouldn't have peace for those 2 or 3 days before school starts again, even if you only go back for 2 or 3 days during the summer vacation. After that, Zhu Hui continued. Don't I know what's going on in your head, little girl? You used the excuse that you need to review for the postgraduate entrance examination and stayed in school for half of the summer vacation, just to spend less time at home. This way I can avoid physical pain, and maybe I can even get away with it with my grades. Brother, is it really okay for you to be so smart? Zhu Qian's eyes widened when she heard this. She never dreamed that her little tricks would be seen through by her brother at a glance. Lin Hao, who was standing next to him, twitched his mouth when he heard this. These brother and sister are really one of a kind. There was actually someone who was afraid to go home because he didn't do well in the final exam. So he found an excuse to hide in school for a month. Lin Hao had never dreamed of such a thing before. But if you think about it, it seems that Zhu Hui can also do such a cool thing. Stop talking nonsense. Although your method can indeed reduce the time you spend at home after you return, it is not appropriate for you to not go home for the entire summer vacation and only stay for 1 or 2 days after returning. My aunt and uncle Ila must miss you too. At least go back and spend a week with them. A week? I don't. Zhu Qian's eyes widened. And then she shook her head like a rattle. A week is so long. They will definitely ask about my grades. What should I say then? Should I just stick my butt out and say, "Mom, I failed for subjects, you do it"? Wow, this is really a case of a thief confessing himself even if he is not punished for 3 years. Although Zhu Hu was also a poor student, he had never failed so many courses in one academic year in college. I think you really don't want a diploma anymore. If Zhu Qian continues to behave like this, she might not even get her diploma. Besides, do you think your method can save you from physical pain? Is there any difference between the beatings and 7 beatings? Chapter 38, The Princess is Not the Prince. Oh, of course. Zhu Qian pouted her red lips and was about to retort. Who knew Zhu Hui would glare at him? At this time, he was still quite afraid of his cousin. Zhu Hui cleared his throat and said seriously, "Many schools have standards for undergraduates to fail courses if you exceed a certain number of courses. Even if you pass the makeup exam, you will not be awarded a degree certificate. When the time comes, you will be miserable and get a diploma. You will go to college in Zhongcheng for 4 years and still not be able to get a degree certificate. Just wait and see how your mother will deal with you." "Brother, please stop making sarcastic remarks." Zhu Qian pokes Oh Hui, then looked at her sister-in-law Liu Zuking. However, it would be impossible to expect Liu Zuking, a person from another world, to lend her a helping hand in such a matter. The next moment, Zhu Hui coughed. "Your school's grades are all in electronic format now, right?" "Yeah. Luckily there is no parent group in the university, and the teacher will not send the test results to the group, otherwise my mother would have rushed to Zhongcheng with a knife." Zhu Hui had no interest in paying attention to the little girl's jokes and pointed to the printing shop not far away. "Go print out a copy of your transcript now and mail it back." Zhu Qian was stunned for a moment. "What? Brother, do we have a grudge against each other? You don't like me as your sister so much that you have to kill me?" Hearing this, Zhu Hui rolled his eyes. "I haven't finished yet. Change the name on your transcript to the name of any of your classmates. If your mother sees this, she will definitely want to ask the school's academic affairs office. Change the phone number of the academic affairs office at the bottom of the transcript to Lin Hao's cell phone number. Let Lin Hao play the role of the dean of academic affairs and say that they accidentally sent the transcripts to you and another student by mistake. At this time, your mother will definitely ask about your grades. You can edit an electronic version for her to see." After hearing this, Zhu Qian also understood that her brother was planning to replace the original with the fake. "But why do we do this? Isn't it troublesome? Brother, I still don't understand. You've gone through all this trouble just to fool my mom. You might as well just phobaliate a transcript that shows you didn't fail and send it home." Zhu Hui knocked his sister's head hard, thinking why this little girl didn't wake up. "Stupid. When school starts, the counselor will definitely communicate with your parents about failing a course. And you have to retake it. If you forge a transcript, the counselor will call your mother and it will be exposed. Although this is a roundabout way. When your mother receives the call from the counselor, she will definitely think that the counselor made a mistake. After all, your transcript and that of another classmate were sent to the wrong person. Maybe the academic affairs office just started and was busy, so they didn't have time to notify the counselor yet. You can just say a few indirect words at that time, and the matter will be smoothed over." Zhu Hui rolled his eyes. Upon hearing this, Lin Hao, who was standing next to him, began to twitch wildly again. "I can actually do something so cool. Why didn't I think of it back then?" Zhu Qian slapped her thigh and said excitedly, "Brother, you still have a way. Stop flattering me and think about how to get your diploma." Zhu Qian laughed dryly twice, and then asked doubtfully, "But I remember that you used to get beaten every year when you went home. Since you have so many ways, why don't you use them yourself? Lazy. Besides, my mom can just beat me to vent her anger. I'm not a good student and my mom doesn't take my grades too seriously. But my aunt is different." Zhu Hui shrugged inferently. In fact, it's not that he hasn't tried it, but the cost of failure is a bit high. But these words are not to be told to outsiders. Moreover, if Zhu Hui didn't know that his aunt had really put a lot of effort into Zhu Qian's studies, he would probably be furious if he really saw the girl's report card, and he would not intend to help her. "Brother, you have to pay for the renovation." Zhu Qian coughed and glanced at Zhu Hui secretly. "I'll pay for the renovation. You should go get your transcript right away." "Hey. Thank you, brother. Brother is the best." I saw the little girl happily running into the printing shop. Lin Hao, who was standing next to him, suddenly leaned over with a sly look on his face. Where are we going later? What? Zhu Hui was stunned. Lin Hao said righteously. Damn it, are you planning to go back after having a meal? My sister finally has a day off, shouldn't we take her around Zhongcheng and have some fun? Now it was Zhu Hui's turn to have his mouth twitching. I should take my sister out to play, but I don't want to take a jerk like you with me. Aren't you fucking going to work? Lin Hao seemed to have seen through Zhu Hui's thoughts and immediately smiled. I just asked for leave from Mr. B.A. I said you had a seizure and needed to go to the hospital, and Mr. B.I. approved it. Zhu Hui forced a smile and cursed silently in his heart. Lin Hao and MSL. Sister-in-law has such a beautiful voice, let's go to KTV to sing, how about it, sister-in-law? Just then, Su Qian, who had just printed out her transcript, ran back and jumped out to speak with a smile. Fearing this, Zhu Hui's mouth twitched again. You print things so fucking fast, are you using Flash and Sprint? She can't sing, can she? Zhu King had been an unknown person all day long, and was surprised when Zhu Qian suddenly mentioned her. She originally wanted to wave her hand to refuse, but she didn't expect Zhu Hui to speak first and underestimate her. How proud is the Ice Lotus Empress? As the leader of the demon race and a leader in the world of cultivation in the Tianjuan continent, she doesn't want to be outdone by ordinary humans. Zhu King's eyebrows were raised. Ignorance, there is nothing in the world that I can't do. Seeing that Zhu Hui was still a little hesitant, Zhu Qian took her brother's arm, and said coquettously, Brother, don't you want to listen to this princess's singing voice? Zhu Hui knew Zhu Qian's online name. The forever innocent little princess. Of course, it cannot be said that this name has no connection with the sinister little girl, but it can be said that it has nothing to do with her. Can you change your online name when you have time? Why? Because as you grow older, you will slowly realize that the prince accompanying the princess is just a fairy tale in reality. The one who accompanies the princess is always Mr. Wang. The princess's lover is not the prince on a white horse, but Mr. Wang who drives a Mercedes. Zhu Hui looked at Su Qian meaningfully. Zhu King. Zhu Qian. Lin Hao. Chapter 39, Shameless. It was just past 4 in the afternoon when the group walked into the KTV. Usually few people go to KTV at this time, so the atmosphere is not very lively. However, it is precisely because there are few people at this time that Zhu Hui dares to bring 2 beautiful women into such a place. As soon as she entered the door, Liu King looked at the decoration at the entrance of the KTV curiously. This kind of place is usually decorated in a very stylish way. For example, the door is covered with dark black tiles and the decoration is deliberately dark in color. The glass chandelier above is reflected on the ground, reflecting a hint of light, which is deep and charming. Zhu Hui and Lin Hao are frequent visitors to KTV. After all, when the company has dinner together, they would choose places like this from time to time under the leadership of the young boss Bai Zumo. In front of the 2 beauties, Lin Hao was generous for once and took the initiative to open a private room. When passing by the beverage area, Lin Hao looked at it eagerly, but Zhu Hui waved his hand to stop him. Zhu Qian is still a child. She can't drink. Who said that? Who said I'm a child? I'm already 18 years old. Okay, when brother Lin Hao was 18, he didn't have to masturbate by himself. Why should I be treated as a child at 18? As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere froze for a moment. What? How does she know this? The next moment, Zhu Hui looked at Lin Hao fiercely with fierce eyes. I treat you as a brother, and you actually want to catch my sister's attention? What are you talking about? I posted something on WeChat moments earlier and Zhu Qian saw it, so the girl must have misunderstood. Lin Hao quickly grabbed Zhu Hui, fearing that he would act impulsively. Zhu King next to them looked at the 2 brothers in surprise. Perhaps it was difficult for her to understand the friendship between boys. One moment the 2 of them were as close as one, and the next moment Zhu Hui turned against them. What's even more interesting is that after Lin Hao explained a few words, Zhu Hui's emotions suddenly calmed down again. Zhu Hui glanced at Lin Hao unhappily. What circle of friends? Why didn't I see it? Zhu Hui also secretly cursed himself for overthinking, even though his sister had a quirky personality. But she wouldn't be so blind as to fall for this fat black guy Lin Hao. Aren't you like that? You would post 1 or 2 messages on your moments to block those people you are close to, and then pretend to be cool. I just saw a copywriting on the internet and pretended to be cool. Don't expose me. Lin Hao coughed, lowered his voice and called towards Zhu Hui. I didn't expect you to have this habit. Let me take a look at your pretentious circle of friends. The 2 women in front were chatting away, and after the little misunderstanding had been explained, Su Qian enthusiastically took her sister-in-law Liu King and walked towards the KEB box under the guidance of the staff. Of course, most of the time it was Zhu Qian who was talking, and Liu King would only nod from time to time or say softly, Lin Hao knew that he had not yet cleared Zhu Hui's suspicion that his brother's sister should not be bullied. Zhu Hui opened Lin Hao's circle of friends and took a quick glance. The expression looked a little strange. June 270 2022. The day, the company had a team building and I had 2 glasses of Louis XII compared with the 1980 Lafite, which is a mellow and rich red wine. I prefer the spicy and pungent taste of foreign wine. I don't know why my Porsche car key seems to reveal a hint of sadness under the spotlight when I was a child. I hated those rich and handsome people the most. But in the end, I became that kind of person. There is also a picture below, which is a selfie of Lin Hao sitting in a Porsche Panamera. The angle chosen is very subtle, just enough to reveal MRLN's sorrow and sadness. He wasn't looking at the camera, but out the window. The Stuttgart Black Horse logo embroidered on the headrest also shines brightly. When the hell did you buy a Porsche? This is President Bi's car. Have you forgotten? Our company had a team building that day, and President Ba asked me to help her move the car, so I took a photo and posted it on WeChat Moments. Lin Hao touched the tip of his nose awkwardly. Zhu Hui took another glance and found that there were almost no common friends between the two in the circle of friends. All the replies were from a bunch of little sluts. Where did you get these girls from? Don't let me down for the rest of my life, brother. When will you come to pick me up in your Porsche? Don't eat coriander, kiss emoji, brother. Your Porsche is so handsome. March rain. Wow, I never realized that you are actually a rich second generation. Lin Hao coughed. Okay, now that you've seen it all, I should be cleared of suspicion, right? These moments are all blocked from old friends like you and those people in the company. As an adult, who doesn't have some special hobbies? Is it okay to satisfy your vanity and occasionally post to your moments to show off? Zhu Hu looked at Lin Hao twice and remained silent. I added these girls when I went out for drinks. Some of them were matched on dating apps like Momo and Tantan. Do you have any other questions? Being stared at by Zhu Hui with such a strange look, Lin Hao was a little annoyed for a moment after saying this with dissatisfaction. He glared at Zhu Hui fiercely. Okay, you really have one. A talent indeed. In the past 2 years, Zhu Hui often saw some socialites in the news. Now it seems that Lin Hao has also joined this team. If you throw out Lin Hao's packaged circle of friends, even acquaintances might not recognize that it is this guy. What a pretentious boy. But this is their own business. Zhu Hui didn't say anything more. Have you finished reading? If you have, please return my latest iPhone 14 Pro Max Midnight Purple on it. To me. Zhu Hui. The group entered the KTV boxes. So Kian and her sister-in-law, Yu Zuking, were sitting quietly on the sofa. Yu Zuking looked at the huge TV screen in front of her with curiosity. Of course, the reading of the past 2 days was not in vain. At least now, Yu Zuking knows clearly that no living person will jump out of the black screen in front of her. In this dim environment, the Ice Lotus Empress's delicate facial features are looming, giving her a unique beauty. As soon as Zhu Hui and Lin Hao entered the room, they were both stunned when their eyes fell on Liu Zuking. It was Zhu Qian's dissatisfied that drew the two people's attention back. Sister-in-law, you are so beautiful. I feel a little ashamed when I am with you. Nothing. Liu Zuking patted Zhu Qian's little head. Liu Zuking subjectively likes this lively girl who is even called the female version of Zhu Hui by Liu Zhen and Zhu Hui's aunt. Zhu Qian has a lively personality. And although her appearance cannot be described as sweet, it is not bad either. I think she went out to meet up with classmates a lot in high school, so the process of ordering songs is very familiar to her. He ordered more than a dozen songs in one breath and occupied the microphone almost as soon as the show started. It was Zhu Hui and Lin Hao who were bored and reminded her. Zhu Qian reluctantly gave up the microphone position, giving Lin Hao the opportunity to sing a song. At this moment, Zhu Qian suddenly pointed at a small gadget on the table in confusion. Brother, what does this turntable on the table mean? Princess drink 1 cup. Princess drink 2 cups. Punishment Princess hug. Princess truth or dare. Princess X kiss. Gah, lift up high. And Princess take off a piece of clothing. Why is this game wheel, which is similar to Monopoly, filled with princesses? Lin Hao winked and laughed. When we grow up, we will understand that the princess's home is not a castle but a box. And the person next to the princess is not a prince but Mr. Wang Haven. You heard this saying. Just then, someone suddenly knocked on the door of the box. Lin Hao, have you called your friends over again? No. Everyone in the room was stunned. Come in. The next moment, several girls in thin clothes and fancy clothes walked in. The lights in the KTV were dim, so it was difficult to tell their exact ages. Zhu Hui and Lin Hao looked at each other, and they suddenly had a bad feeling. Several girls then bent down and bowed in unison. Do you need any service, princess? Wow! As soon as these words came out, the air suddenly froze. The corner of Zhu Hui's mouth twitched, and he turned his head to look in the direction of Lin Hao next to him. Liu Zuking next to her only then realized that Zhu Hui had teased Zhu Qian before, asking why he didn't let her call herself a princess. Snap! Zhu Hu is shameless. Chapter 40. The Circle of Friends of Contemporary Young People. Seeing Zhu Hu being slapped, several girls in scantily clad clothes seemed to realize that the guest in this box might not need the princess's service, so they quietly retreated. Zhu Hu covered his cheeks with his hands, feeling like crying but unable to cry. What the hell was going on? I just know this joke. Is there anything wrong with that? Do you usually like to come to places like this to look for princesses? Liu King glanced at the Monopoly game wheel on the table, and a hint of annoyance flashed across her eyes. Zhu Hu quickly explained. No, I never asked for princess service. Don't you know who I am? Don't forget, I didn't even aim the first time. Snap. The two people next to them watched Zhu Hu explain to Liu King a grieved lie, and Lin Hao coughed wildly, pretending that he heard nothing. Instead, Zhu Qian stared with interest at her brother being humiliated by her sister-in-law. If you continue talking about this matter, I will send you to heaven immediately. Sister-in-law. My brother knows he's wrong, so why don't we just let it go? Yes, beauty. Zhu Hu does know he is wrong. Do I know what's wrong? Zhu Hu's mouth twitched. I never fucking asked for princess service. Why should I know that I was wrong? I occasionally read some jokes and used some memes, is that wrong? Sister-in-law. When school starts next month, why don't you take me to school? If those brothers and sisters have beautiful girls or boys at home, they will ask them to take them there. It's not popular to drive luxury cars now for those of us born after 2004, it's purely a look-oriented era. If others knew that I have such a beautiful sister-in-law, they would definitely envy me when the time comes. I'll ask my brother to take me there. Those who know what my sister-in-law looks like will definitely be even more envious and jealous. They will definitely wonder how my brother, who looks like this, could find such a beautiful sister-in-law. Zhu Qian has inherited a lot of her brother Zhu Hu's true skills. He just kept talking nonsense, praising and criticizing others, and instantly shifted the topic to the other side. Liu King's attention was also attracted. No problem. I'll go to school with you. Upon hearing this, Zhu Hu slapped his thigh. Since Liu King and Zhu Qian get along so well, and the two girls feel like they have known each other for a long time, why not just let her get adult education at Zhu Qian's school? All about this, why don't you sign up for adult education at Zhu Qian's school? Then you two sisters can go to school together. How happy is that? Zhu Hu still didn't give up. After all, this is the only operation that can obtain a reasonable and legal identity for Liu King. Are you itching for a beating again? Liu King glanced at Zhu Hu. Zhu Qian was stunned. Sister-in-law, didn't you go to college? Why do you need adult education? Your sister-in-law is from the countryside, so of course she hasn't been to college. Then wouldn't it be appropriate for you to study adult education? Zhu Qian said slowly. It will be beneficial for you whether you are looking for a job or continuing your studies in the future. Nowadays, many middle-aged people in their 40s and 50s are taking adult education. People in their 40s or 50s still want to do this? Liu King widened her beautiful eyes in surprise. At your age, why don't you stay at home and learn this kind of thing? Sister-in-law, did you misunderstand something? Zhu Qian is very sharp-minded, and because they are all women, she always felt that Liu King's reaction was a bit too exaggerated. The next moment, Liu King blushed and leaned over to Zhu Qian's ear and said a few words. The KTV box was still very noisy. While Liu King was beating up Zhu Hu just now, her best friend Lin Hao couldn't bear to watch and pretended to sing beside them, so neither Zhu Hu nor Lin Hao could hear clearly what the two women said afterwards. Sister-in-law, do you think adult education is this? Soon, Zhu Qian's laughter was heard. Sister-in-law, you are so cute. How could there be a special training school for that kind of thing? It's all my brother's fault for not explaining it clearly to you. He knew you were from the countryside, but he didn't explain it to you honestly. No wonder you misunderstood. Then the two women began to talk in whispers in each other's ears from time to time. Zhu Hui was standing by and watching eagerly. However, judging from Liu King's attitude, she most likely nodded in agreement with his suggestion. He breathed a sigh of relief. When Liu King left yesterday, Zhu Hu felt empty inside, as if something had been taken away. He didn't want to endure this feeling a second time. The singing lasted for more than 2 hours, and the beginning was basically Zhu Qian's exclusive performance. Later, Lin Hao sang a few songs to liven up the atmosphere. Later, Liu King also showed off her singing voice, which was rare, but she didn't know any of the popular songs in the Chinese music scene, so she simply sang a song without words. However, the musical scale that came out of the Sandoval's mouth intoxicated the three people present. Sister-in-law, why don't you consider developing a career in the entertainment industry? You are pretty and have a nice voice. If you become a star, there will definitely be a lot of people who like you. Then I can show off when I go out. Wow, I have a big star. Sister-in-law. When Zhu Hui heard this, a black line appeared on his forehead. Zhu Qian and Lin Hao are really birds of a feather. Maybe the content in the girl's circle of friends that blocks her contains some pretentious texts from time to time. That year, my brother put his hands in his pockets and didn't know what an opponent was. The picture below shows a pile of homework for half a semester that is more than 10 centimeters high. Forget the sour smell of love. You only need to remember the fragrance of money. The picture below shows a WeChat balance of 200 yuan. If you don't take many things to heart, you will win. The picture below shows a cake that accidentally fell off. I would rather create my own sadness than copy other people's happiness. The picture below shows the lonely back of a little girl still catching up on her homework at 2:30 in the morning. Zhu Hui can even imagine what kind of circle of friends his sister with Chu Yulibi would post. If Liu Zuqing really makes her debut, I'm afraid her circle of friends will become. Alas, in fact, female celebrities are just like us, they need pampering and care from time to time. And the pictures will become photos of Liu Zu typing with sleepy eyes. Young people nowadays. Thinking of this, Zhu Hui glanced at Liu Zuqing. Just at this moment the woman was also looking at him, and their eyes met. Liu Zuqing snorted and turned her head away. Snort. Seeing this, Zhu Hui sadly opened his phone and edited a circle of friends. People's sorrows and joys are not shared. The world of the strong is always lonely. Emoji sadness. Accompanying picture. A picture of Lin Hao's left hand holding a cigarette. Chapter 41. My brother was kidnapped. After returning home today, Liu Zhen brought soup to Liu Zuqing as usual. At first, the middle-aged woman was worried that the people in the hospital would retaliate against her yesterday. However, Grandpa didn't seem to have seen them in Hongdu Hospital in the past 2 days, so Liu Zhen was completely relieved. Zhu Hui knew very well that the old man of the Jin family was probably frightened by Liu Zuqing. It's just that Jin Ao doesn't look like a good person. However, I hope this kid can see the times and act accordingly, otherwise he might be the next one to suffer. Naturally, Zhu Qian has to live with Zhu Hui during this period of time. But she didn't have much to talk about with her brother Zhu Hui, but she liked to stick to her sister-in-law Liu Zuqing and chatter non-stop. Fortunately, Liu Zuqing has read a lot of modern books in the past 2 days and has a basic understanding of the world. She no longer gets confused and asks questions about some things she encounters in daily life. Zhu Qian just treated her sister-in-law as someone who came from the countryside, and didn't care at all when she occasionally answered irrelevant questions. Soon, 2 days passed slowly. Liu Zuqing also agreed to ask Zhu Hui to help her sign up for adult education when school starts in September. As for the major, she chose biomedicine at Zhangcheng Medical College. I am a member of the Snow Lotus clan, and I am more interested in plant biology. I heard that this major seems to give me many opportunities to study the structure of plants and animals. In the afternoon, Zhu Hui called Liu Zuqing. I'm going to the bank to withdraw money today. You and Zhu Qian can go out for dinner. If the landlord comes to collect the rent, tell him that I'll be there to see him in the evening. Okay, I understand. In fact, Zhu Hui didn't want to withdraw cash either. In today's internet age, fewer and fewer people pay with cash. But the landlord is an old man in his 50s after all. The old man's children are not in Zhangcheng, they are working in other places. So Zhu Hui also had a brief negotiation with the landlord. The old man's children and Zhu Hui were also worried that the old man's money would be taken away by scammers. After all, bad guys like to target the elderly these days. I simply paid the rent to the landlord in cash. Lin Hao, when you are free, help me with the drainage that the customer requested. I will send you the half-finished document later. Fuck, you have hands and feet, can't you do it yourself? You haven't forgotten that I'm still a patient, have you? The excuse you used to ask for leave the day before yesterday? Was that I was sick again? Do you think that even if I did it myself, President Bia would trust my skills and hand over the design drawings to the client? Although Shingxi Entertainment is a media company, their business also includes interior design and decoration. Zhu Hui is not in the sales department, he is just a grassroots employee. Of course, the work content is related to design. Although Lin Hao is in the administrative department, he is also good at drawing. He's just lazy. Of course Zhu Hui said so. What can Lin Hao do? Ever since Zhu Hui found out about the last time Lin Hao showed off on WeChat moments, he simply stopped blocking Zhu Hui. This guy's circle of friends has changed its style recently, and it's all about World Cup betting. People who normally can't even understand a football game are trying to show off just to get attention. Even during the World Cup, I started to crazily post football messages on my friend's circle. Speechless, see you on the rooftop. Others, blind guess that the next game will still be an upset. This emergency stop, plus upside down, is invincible. Zhu Hui couldn't help but shout 666 when he saw it. I'm guessing there are probably a lot of girls commenting below. It's nothing more than something like how much money the young master has bet. I want to buy it with young master Lin, or the young master wants me to be his mentor. After arranging the work, Zuhua walked out of the office and headed towards the bank across the street. It is now 4:30 in the afternoon, and there is still an hour before the bank closes. Zuhui entered the bank, got a number, and then found a place to sit down and wait for his number to be called. A bank has various businesses during the week, including loans, cash withdrawals, and large deposits. Zuhui has to wait a little longer before it is his turn to handle the business. I do have good intentions in sending you soup every day. But the nutrients may not be enough if you are sure that the baby is going to be born. You still have to take Liu Zuking to the hospital for a thorough checkup. Ever since he discovered that there was a pretentious teenager named Lin Hao hiding in his circle of friends last time, Zuhua liked to study the circle of friends of those around him from time to time. It's a pity that the Ice Lotus Empress Liu Zuking hasn't figured out the little smart trick yet. Otherwise, Zuhui would be very curious about what she usually posts on her moments. With this thought in mind, Zuhua decided to withdraw some more money for backup. I could see the number plate rolling above was about to call my name. As Zuhua stood up, there was a sudden loud noise. Bang! The glass window on the bank counter shattered instantly. The screams were deafening. Don't move! The next moment, more than a dozen masked figures swarmed into the bank lobby. The leading man was not wearing a hood, revealing a hideous face covered with scars. From now on, no one is allowed to enter or leave, otherwise you will die. Zuhua's pupils suddenly contracted, looking at the submachine gun in the leading man's hand. He never dreamed that the plot in this TV drama would happen to him. But Chia was unlucky enough to encounter a bank robbery. Don't move from now on. All of you should squat down with your heads in your hands if I see anyone running around or wandering around under my nose. Don't blame me for being ruthless with my bullets. A leading robber uttered a vicious threat and the scene became chaotic again. When the gunshots rang out just now, there may have been many people who didn't react to what was happening. So it was not until the robber finished saying this that the situation gradually became a little out of control. Some people rushed to the door one after another, while others were simply frightened and stood there crying. Bang bang, bang. Without any hesitation, the other party raised the submachine gun in his hand and fired 3 shots at the crowd. The moment the screams were heard, someone fell to the ground. Judging from the look of it, he was unlikely to survive. Blood splattered everywhere and a bloody smell filled the air. Taking human life lightly, Zuhui couldn't help but his eyelids twitching. After the swift and ruthless action was taken, the entire bank became much quieter. All that was left was the sound of the girls sobbing. Another 30 or 40 terrorists came in from behind and almost surrounded those who were still in the bank. If anyone tried to resist, they would be met with a barrage of gunfire. As a result, some people unfortunately suffered and were caught in the crossfire. When the police arrived half an hour later, the transparent doors and windows had been covered with white cloth, and all surveillance equipment had been systematically cut off by the robbers. Zuhui also became one of the hundreds of hostages. The other side had more people and more power, so Zuhui had to hold his head in his hands the whole time and could only hand over his phone obediently. It is reported that there are nearly 200 hostages in the bank. The casualties are unknown, but the robbers were very cruel. Many people were shot and injured at the scene. The casualties are unknown at present. According to the provocative video the robbers shot and sent to Zhongcheng police, there were at least 20 robbers at the scene. The bank surveillance cameras and doors were cut off or closed. We currently have no clues about the identity of this gang of robbers. We can only be sure that this is an organized and premeditated gang, and the methods used by this gang are obviously quite professional. At around 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the news of a bank robbery was broadcast on EV. Li Yuzhen has appeared in Zuhua's house, sitting on the sofa and staring at her daughter-in-law Yu Zuking drinking soup. Zuqian hugged her knees and stared at the TV screen, smacking her lips. Oh my god, what era is this? There are still such things happening. What's wrong? Someone hijacked the bank directly opposite the Zhongdai International Shopping Mall. The other party had a gun. I heard on the news that innocent people were shot and killed. Zuqian glanced at her aunt. Hearing this, Li Yuzhen frowned in dissatisfaction. How can a little kid like to watch these bloody scenes? Your sister-in-law is in the critical period of pregnancy. If she sees bloody scenes, she will not be able to sleep at night and will not be able to rest well. What should we do? Change the channel quickly. After saying that, Li Yuzhen planned to change to another TV station. As she spoke, she was still mumbling. We are just ordinary people. We don't care about these things. Bad guys who break the law will naturally be dealt with by the police. It's not our turn to meddle in other people's business. We should focus more on our studies. Halfway through the conversation, the host's voice sounded again from the TV. The following is a video clip of the incident shot by the robbers. At this moment, Zuqian suddenly screamed in surprise. Auntie, wait a minute. What's the matter again? My brother. What happened to your brother? It's a little strange. It's already so late and your brother hasn't come back yet. Doesn't he usually get off work at 5:30? Li Yuzhen thought of her son and realized that there was one person missing from the house. At this moment, Zhu Qianqian's voice suddenly had a hint of crying. My brother. My brother is in the video. My brother was held hostage by bank robbers. What? Bang! A porcelain bowl in Li Yuzhen's hand accidentally fell to the ground and shattered into pieces in an instant. Chapter 42, VIP Customer Safe. It is reported that there are a large number of injured people at the scene, and the lives of the 200 hostages are in danger. At this time, even the police can only do their best. Our robbers are not willing to negotiate with us at the moment. We are not sure about their movements and whereabouts. Our reporters will continue to follow up on the report for you. A news on EV was gradually coming to an end regarding the bank robbery. Li Yuzhen's body shook violently, and finally she staggered and fell straight to the ground. Auntie? Aunt Li? Fortunately, the two women in the room reacted immediately, and Li Zuqing even supported her mother-in-law. This prevented Li Yuzhen from falling and getting a bloody head at her son's home. Zhu Hui, was he really kidnapped by robbers? Li Yuzhen's face was pale and bloodless, and she asked Li Zuqing with trembling lips. Now that she is middle-aged, this is how her life will be. His greatest wish and concern in this life is his disobedient son. Although Li Yuzhen expressed her disdain for Zhu Hui, but which parent in this world doesn't want their children to be healthy and safe? Zhu Qianqian, who was standing beside him, didn't dare to provoke Li Yuzhen anymore and poured a glass of water. Aunt, you should take a rest first. Although my brother was a little frightened in the video, he is obviously fine. He has a good brain and knows how to curry favor with the powerful. At times like this, the robbers will definitely not make things difficult for him. This can't be true? This can't be true. Li Yuzhen's voice trembled, and even her body suddenly began to shake. The blow was too great. After so much effort, her son finally had a stable job and a girlfriend, and his daughter-in-law was so beautiful. Li Yuzhen didn't have too many extravagant requests in her life. She just hopes that her son can be healthy and safe, and that her daughter-in-law can give birth to a baby safely and smoothly in a year. However, today Zhu Hui actually appeared at the scene of a bank robbery. The news was like a bolt from the blue, and instantly overwhelmed Li Yuzhen. Auntie? Please calm down a little. Zhu Qianqian was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. In fact, she was also very worried about her cousin's situation. But now the robbers refused to negotiate with the police, and all surveillance equipment at the scene has been cut off. We can only wait for good news and news reports. But Li Yuzhen didn't seem to think so. I want to go to the scene. The next moment, the middle-aged woman stubbornly climbed up from the sofa. She looked determined. I'm going to be there to be with my son. But I just saw on the news that the bank has been surrounded. Hearing this, Li Yuzhen acted as if she didn't hear it. I don't care. I'm going to Zhongdai International. The video on the news showed that it was filmed 2 hours ago. What else happened in these 2 hours is completely unknown. I want to be with my son. No matter whether Zhu Hu is alive or dead, I want to see him first. After saying this, Li Yuzhen staggered towards the door. Zhu Qianqian immediately stamped her feet anxiously. Aunt, it's useless for you to go there now. The place is surrounded by the police. I don't care. Middle-aged woman Li Yuzhen has her own stubbornness. Although this son was not very obedient and often made her angry, he was still her biological son who she had carried for 10 months and gave birth to. He was the flesh and blood that she had devoted her heart and soul to raising since he was a child. I want to accompany Zhu Hui. I'm going too. As soon as Li Yuzhen finished speaking, Li Zuqing beside her suddenly flicked her long sleeves and followed. The woman's beautiful face also showed stubbornness. After all, the news said that the lives of the 200 people who were held hostage were in danger. She had spent half of her cultivation from the Tianquan continent to come here. Even though she was just angry and annoyed at the beginning, she has now slowly accepted the memories of her experience in the mortal world and started to stay in Zhu Hui's house and get along with her normally. She was pregnant with Zhu Hui's child, even though she had no feelings for Zhu Hui. As for the sake of the continuation of this bloodline, she couldn't just sit back and watch Zhu Hui get into trouble. You bastard, if you die inexplicably like this, I will not let you off easily. What's more, she actually gradually developed a slight sense of identification with the man. You. What are you doing there as a pregnant woman? It's too dangerous for you to go. What? Sister-in-law is pregnant. Although Zhu Qianqian spent 2 days with Liu Zuqing, but usually, Aunt Li Yuzhen would come to bring meals to Liu Zuqing as Zhu Hui's sister. Zhu Qianqian also did not enjoy the treatment of having someone bring her meals. So often at lunchtime in the afternoon, Zhu Hui would naturally take his sister out to eat. Today was the first time I heard Li Yuzhen's gossip about family matters because Zhu Hui was not around. However, Zhu Qianqian is still able to prioritize. Father Zhu Hui is now the focus of everyone. You can't go there. That's the scene of a bank robbery. What if you see some bloody scenes and it causes you to lose sleep or have a bad rest? Besides, there are so many people around. And you might even get your baby upset if you're not careful. Zhu Qianqian smacked her lips. Unexpectedly, the only person who could make my aunt stop was my sister-in-law. But the next moment, Liu Zuking shook her head. Auntie, I also have reasons to go. You are his mother and he is the father of my child. No matter what happens, even if I can't stand by him through thick and thin and face it together, I must be there at the scene. At the same time, Liu Zuking added another sentence in her mind. And maybe I can wait for an opportunity and rescue him. Hearing this, Liu Zhen was stunned. However, she remained silent for a long while and couldn't think of anything to refute Liu Zuking. Zuqian gritted her teeth when she heard this. And let's go over there and take a look instead of sitting there anxiously and nervously. We can get first-hand clues and information. We can also know the situation of our cousin first. On the other side, while the three women at home were sitting there restlessly, discussing whether to go to the bank to inquire about the situation, Zhu Hui just squatted there obediently with his hands on his head. These robbers are indeed fierce. So far, in the nearly 3 hours since they broke into the bank, 3 groups of people have suddenly attacked and tried to subdue these guys. However, the ending, without exception, was almost always extremely tragic. I've been squatting for 3 hours, and I'm almost numb. What is the purpose of these guys? I haven't seen them rob the counter in 3 hours. The purpose seems to be to deliberately cause trouble. Could it be that he has other intentions and is taking hostages just for the sake of taking hostages? Zhu Hui frowned and glanced at the broken counter. When the leading robber came in, his first shot an innocent salesperson at the counter in the head, and the glass on the counter was also shattered at the same time. If their purpose was to get money, they could have just captured 2 bank employees to lead the way and withdraw the money after taking so many hostages. But 3 hours later, the robbers were still just quietly watching the anxious crowd. Zhu Hui secretly glanced at the robber closest to him not far away. These guys have a clear division of labor. There are almost 2 of their people standing in front of every 10 people. This positioning also makes it easy for them to suppress the crowd's resistance. Even as someone is good at fighting and thunder strikes to take down a robber in the first place, the other person can quickly open fire. It's not easy. Just then, one of the robbers looked at his watch and suddenly greeted his 2 companions. Seeing this, the leading robber sneered. It's time to inform the guys outside that we can negotiate. Fuck you. You spent 3 hours just negotiating? Zhu Hui's eyelids twitched. If I didn't have a gun, I would have shot all of you idiots to death. Soon, the robbers restored the bank's communications equipment. The voice of the police commander outside came over the radio. Laying down your weapons and surrendering is your only option. Stop talking nonsense. I have held more than 200 people hostage. Will we surrender? When Zhu Hui heard the conversation between the 2 groups, 1,000 thoughts flashed through his mind. There is something right about what the robber leader said. They held more than 200 hostages and didn't try to steal money. So they must have other intentions, plus, they were obviously well trained. This means that this robbery was a planned act. How could they be persuaded to surrender with just a few words? Hello, I'm Li Xie Changel from the Zhangcheng Criminal Investigation Command Squadron. Not long after, the voice on the indoor communication broadcast changed. The robber leader then sneered and said, I am going to negotiate with you now. These 200 hostages in exchange for 20 people should be a very good deal for you. Air Zhangcheng police arrested a group of people from country A who entered the country illegally some time ago. You should still remember that, right? Hand them over to me and I will release these hostages. The country hostage exchange? Upon hearing this, the hostages suddenly let out sighs of relief. It seems that these 3 hours were quite depressing for everyone. When Zhu Hui heard the words people from country A who entered the country illegally, he was stunned. Although he seldom paid attention to the news, he seemed to have heard something about this incident. Because the group of people who illegally entered the country were arrested on the first day that Zhu Hui woke up from his vegetative state. At that time, the hospital required Zhu Hui to stay in the hospital for observation. He was bored and could only watch TV to pass the time. Those guys seem to be some laboratory scientists wanted by country A, right? These people's target is not the bank. Is it them? Zhu Hui held his chin and thought for a moment. Even if the purpose of the hostage-taking was to target these smugglers who entered the country illegally, why did they choose a bank as the hostage-taking location? Choosing a bank means there must be something special about it. The next moment, he glanced past the crowd. Suddenly it landed on the VIP customer safe at the back of the Zhangcheng head office. Chapter 43. Does what I said make sense? There was a crowd of people at the entrance of the bank. A quick glance showed that there were at least 500 onlookers just watching the fun. And this was a street south of the bank. A dozen EV reporters rushed over like sharks smelling blood and started lit broadcasting. When Liu Zuking, Liu Zhen and the other 2 arrived here, the bank entrance was surrounded by people, even outside the cordon. And, look, the robbers have turned on the bank's communication equipment again, and the news has started broadcasting live what's happening inside. Zhu Qian saw this local news as soon as she opened her phone. Liu Zhen quickly snatched the phone away with her eyes wide open. Show me now. Liu King also leaned over, and the three of them stared at the screen intently. What the hell is this? Are these bank robbers crazy? Their purpose is to exchange hostages, but they actually came to rob a bank. Are they crazy? When Liu Zhen heard the exchange conditions demanded by the robbers, she was immediately furious. Liu King narrowed her eyes. A request is to send those 20 people in as an exchange, so I should have a chance to sneak in as well. If Liu Zhen knew that Liu King's original intention of following here was to go in and confront the robbers head-on, I wonder what this mother-in-law who once thought that her daughter-in-law was a delicate and weak beauty would think. I just don't know if Zhu Hui is in danger. Liu King took a deep breath. She didn't know why, but her heart started beating violently, as if she was palpitating and feeling anxious for no reason. Liu King had never experienced this feeling before when she was in Tianjuan continent, even when she was fighting a desperate battle with the ferocious and cruel demon Yi Ziyuan. This seems to be an emotion called fear. Sir, why do I have such emotions? Liu King slowly raised her head, her beautiful eyes cast around her. It is not uncommon for families like theirs to be trapped hostage in banks. Not far away, a family of 3 were staring at their phones worriedly, seemingly also following the live broadcast. Is this because I am worried about Zhu Hui's life and safety, so I am afraid? Liu King's heart trembled. Why would I worry about him? The coupling in Mulberry Village was just due to amnesia, so it was a bad fate. Could it be that I really fell in love with him? Zhu Hui still doesn't know about Liu King's bank robbery. For the first time, I began to think about the relationship between me and Zhu Hui. Otherwise, based on his personality, he might actually thank these robbers for turning a disaster into a blessing and thawing his relationship with the Ice Lotus Empress. At this moment, the voice of the robber leader was heard again on the radio. We have limited time. We won't waste it with you. If you don't intend to give up these 200 hostages, bring them here immediately. I'll give you half an hour. If I don't see the person I want in half an hour, we'll start killing them per minute. Until these 200 people are killed. After saying this, without waiting for a response from senior police officials, the robber turned on the surveillance equipment. A robber leader's hideous scarred face instantly appeared on the leak broadcast. Although the surveillance footage only revealed the tip of the iceberg of the situation inside, one could clearly feel the hostages' dejection. There was blood all over the floor, and it seemed that many innocent hostages had died. The atmosphere in the bank was depressing and suffocating. At the same time, the robber leader grabbed a man from the crowd and pointed a gun at his head. Let's start with this guy. If I don't see the person I want in half an hour, I'll start killing people. After saying this, countless people around the bank exclaimed that these robbers had no moral integrity. At this moment, an anxious cry sounded among the crowd. Auntie, what's wrong with you? In the video, the hostage being captured is a young man in his early 20s. He had a dull look on his face and was not handsome, but had a unique kind of unruly temperament. It was just such a ruffian-looking young man who was blinking innocently at the camera. Isn't it exactly? Zhu Hui. I just came to the bank to withdraw some money in this day and age. Is it life-threatening to come to the bank to withdraw money? Zhu Hui had the gun pointed at his head and was a little panicked for a moment. Facing the camera, he looked completely dazed. He probably never dreamed that there were nearly 20 people in the live broadcast room outside. And he probably didn't expect that this behavior would scare his mother, who was waiting outside to faint. What he could not have expected was that his mother and Liu King had already known what had happened in the bank and came to the door. The robber leader had a strong body odor, which made Zhu Hui frown repeatedly. Damn, are robbers so unhygienic these days? If those people outside knew was seeking at this moment, I wonder if they would praise him for being calm in the face of adversity. At this moment, the robber glared at Zhu Hui impatiently. Boy, be honest, do you want to stop moving your head? Do you believe that I will shoot you right now? No, brother, you smell, and it makes me want to sneeze. Clam. The air froze for a moment. As soon as these words were spoken, even the people watching the live broadcast outside couldn't help but laugh out loud. The live broadcast room of the first satellite TV was instantly boiling. Fuck, this guy is too fierce, isn't he? He dared to make fun of the robber. Awesome, this is a real man. TSK, what's the big deal? It's all one life. Life and death are in the hands of others, and the mouth is on your own body. Is there anyone who would brag about saying something just to show off? The person above is very courageous. Why don't you give it a try? I don't. The live broadcast room started a heated discussion about Zhu Hui's words. Of course, Zhu Hui was just an ordinary innocent hostage. Even if he became the focus of the live broadcast room, it was only a temporary attraction. Most people's attention was still on the robbers. You dare to laugh at me? Do you want to die? The robber leader also had a bad temper, and he pointed the gun at Zhu Hui's forehead again. Damn, you have no vision. You can't afford to play. Zhu Hui's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. It's okay. Big brother, I don't mind you being unclean. In fact, many girls are just as unclean as you. I saw the robber leader showing a suspicious look. Zhu Hui said with a flattering smile. Otherwise, why have I never seen a girl taking a bath in my life? A burst of comments floated through the live broadcast room again. This is the first time I've seen someone talk about being single in such a refreshing and refined way. Is this guy a hired help of the robbers? I would have shot him dead 8 generations ago. Father upstairs, you understand robbers? You are quite humorous. A robber leader seemed to be interested in Zhu Hui. Aren't you afraid of us? Afraid? But I'm more afraid of not being able to withdraw money. And then going home without my wife and kids having enough to eat. You people in this business may not know that these days, money is hard to make and shit is hard to eat, to put it bluntly. I'm more afraid of not being able to make money to go home for the new year than being shot to death. What do you mean you are in this line of work? Is robbery a profession now? Isn't this guy too humorous? A robber leader was also amused by Zhu Hui. You mean you're hard to get along with? Well, it's hard to get by with old people above and young children below. Life is a piece of shit. How about I tell you the jokes, brother? How about you exchange a hostage? Oh, that's something I can consider. At first I thought you were a man of integrity, but I didn't expect you to be such a coward. If someone points a gun at you, you'd be more scared than I am. Zhu Hui complained in his heart, but he remained calm on the surface. As the saying goes, if a man does not work for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth. But as these words fell, now everyone in the bank focused their attention on Zhu Hui. Many people's eyes were filled with deep resentment. You do have a sense of humor, but not much. Some people subconsciously shrank their heads and didn't even dare to look at the robber, for fear of being noticed. Zhu Hui had no choice. He was not Iron Man. Of course he panicked when facing the cold muzzle of the gun. As the saying goes, it is better to let my friend die than to let me die. Not far away, a sinister gaze fell on Zhu Hui. A man had an arrogant look on his face, although he was a little embarrassed at the moment under the oppression of a group of robbers. However, looking at the figure of Zhu Hui being kidnapped, he couldn't help but reveal an expression of gloating. Jineo also came to the bank to handle business today, and he was also unlucky enough to encounter this outrageous robbery case. He saw Zhu Hui become the first hostage taken by the robbers. Jineo couldn't help but feel a little proud at first. Damn, it's true that enemies often meet in a narrow road. I didn't expect to meet you here. What's even more interesting is that I might even have the chance to watch you die in front of me with my own eyes. But the next moment, Zhu Hui's gaze turned over, and Jineo suddenly panicked. Why is this kid looking at me for no reason? Let me tell you. That guy over there is a famous and wealthy second-generation man in Zhongcheng, the second-generation ancestor of the Zhongcheng Jin family. He tried to rob my grandfather's ward last time. How about you tie him up instead? Killing this arrogant person is much more satisfying than crushing a small ant like me to death. You have to love what you do. Being a robber can't just be supported by hobbies. You also have to have a sense of accomplishment and achievements. Whether it's to deter the police outside or to kill him as a warning to others, that guy is more valuable than me. If he dies, it will further demonstrate your determination to kill all 200 people present in one go. If you don't get what you want, do you think what I said makes sense? The scene fell silent again. What? Jineo, who was originally looking smug not far away, was stunned for a moment. Chapter 44, Why Are You Dizzy Again? Hearing Zhu Hui's words, Jineo's expression froze for a moment. That look was as wonderful as it could be. Fuck, I thought he was a tough guy, but he turned out to be a really good-looking guy. If a man does not work for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth. This is true. This kid knows how to maneuver. Mad, even though this is a matter of life and death. I'm sorry, I still want to laugh. I work for a publishing house. Does anyone have the contact information of this guy? I want to talk to him about publishing the journal, 100 Ways to Save Your Life When Facing Robbers. If it weren't for the fact that the live broadcast at this moment was indeed first-person perspective monitoring inside the bank. Many self-media executives want to shut down the live broadcast directly. This was obviously a very serious matter. But because the hostage taker chose the wrong person, the rhythm of the entire live broadcast room became a little weird. That's interesting. I'll take your suggestion. Come, catch that guy for me too. What? Jineo's eyelids were twitching wildly and he was cursing in his heart. Is this robber leader an idiot? He actually followed Zhu Hui's advice and called 2 of his men to lift me up. Fuck your mother. What's the grudge between us? You fucking. Shut up. Jineo had just cursed a few words when the leading robber glared at him fiercely. Jineo didn't dare to force it anymore. Although this kid is arrogant, he has to bow his head when facing the black muzzle of a gun, no matter how strong his backbone is. Brother, I suggest you teach this kid a lesson. Think about it, these days, aren't these rich second generations all like that? They pull their hair and wipe their sweat, rotating their index and middle fingers alternately, first blowing the hair, then sliding the edges, and putting their tongue right in the middle. Zuhu aside. Life is not easy. How can people like you do this if you are not forced into a desperate situation by life? People like you live so carefree, can you stand it? Brother? I don't know how many good girls have been ruined by this kind of people. Maybe we will all be the ones who take over in the future. Hearing this, the robber was stunned at first. I originally wanted to say that I am not from country Z at all, but what's the point of you saying this to me? But on second thought, Zuhu's previous words echoed in his mind again. Suddenly, the robber leader became angry. Oh, these rich second generations really deserve to die. Come to think of it, it's really ridiculous. I have to work so hard to earn this money. Maybe these bastards have had the hook hand since birth while I'm working hard to make money. These rich second generations may be enjoying themselves in some unknown bar. Is this fair? This is not fair. Damn it, give him some pain. After saying this, the robber leader was incited by Zuhu and was the first to slap Jineo in the face. Snap. Countless onlookers outside were watching the live broadcast in their hands, looking at each other in bewilderment, feeling that the way things had turned out was a little outrageous, especially the first hostage who was kidnapped. How does this guy look like a hostage? He is definitely a stand-up comedian. The most important thing is that he saw Jineo being beaten. Not only was there no scolding in the live broadcast room, some people even cheered for Zuhue. Fuck, these second-generation rich are so abominable. I remember my ex-girlfriend left with a guy driving a BMW 7 Series. What's that? Do you know what my ex-girlfriend said to me when we broke up? She said that girls aren't that picky at all, at least, she doesn't care what color her boyfriend's Ferrari is. The ex-girlfriend above understands men. The most interesting breakup quote I've ever heard is, "Why not suitable, and his Porsche can make her wet more than just her eyes." Hold on to the head of the bed in the wall. It is better to feel pain than to wear Kimoji doghead. The comment section is now in complete chaos. Netizens expressed their opinions one after another, and as soon as they saw that things were not going well, the authorities had no choice but to close the comment sections of major media outlets. Of course, the comment sections of self-media accounts were still hotly discussed. But at the same time began to pass bit by bit. Soon, there were only 5 minutes left before the half hour the robber leader had mentioned at the beginning. At this time, all the hostages in the bank began to panic, including Zuhui, who couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Of course, the second-generation rich man Jineo, who was standing next to him with a bruised face and nose, was not much better. "Time is running out. Have you guys thought it through? I'm going to start killing people in 5 minutes. Should I start with this rich second generation first? Or with this sharp-tongued but humorous little brother? Let him go first." Zuhui coughed and immediately pointed at Jineo. No. You go first." "Oh, why are you being so polite to me about this? Young Master Jin is a rare talent, so he should be one step ahead of the ordinary people. Don't be so polite to me. You should go first." Jineo also gritted his teeth. Humility is a traditional virtue of the Chinese nation. You go first. If I beat a gentleman like Brother Jin, it would be embarrassing if the news got out, so you should go first. You first. You first. You first. You first. Fuck, shut up. The next moment, the robber leader became impatient with the two men's behavior of giving up the pair and cursed angrily. "I have the final say on who goes first. If you two keep chattering, I'll kill both of you." After hearing this, both of them were so scared that they dared not say a word. Just when the robber leader was getting impatient and wanted to shoot one person to make an example of him, "We agree to the exchange." Suddenly a beautiful figure led 20 figures and walked out slowly. As soon as the voice fell, they walked straight through the police cordon and entered the bank. They all looked like scientific researchers, except that each of them was wearing prison uniforms of different colors. Liu Zhen, who had just recovered from the shock in front of the screen, was stunned again. I glanced to the side, but didn't see my daughter-in-law Yuzu King. Her heart skipped a beat and she looked at the screen again. Liu Zhen just felt her eyes go dark. The next moment, Zukian Kion's exclamation rang out again. "Auntie, why are you dizzy again?" The woman standing at the front of the exchange team is Li Zuking. Chapter 45. Not sure yet. It seems that the Zhongcheng police still care about the people. I thought I had to kill 1 or 2 people first as a warning to others, and then you would cooperate with the exchange. The robber leader sneered. I felt a little more disdain for the Zhongcheng police. I haven't even started to intimidate you yet. I just threatened you a few words, and you guys actually cooperated with me. TSK. This is a bit boring after all. He had originally planned to kill 2 people to liven up the fun. But he had other important business to do with these people. In exchange, can you let him go now? In the police circle, a man who looked like a leader shouted towards the bank with a stern face. However, upon hearing this, the robber leader curled his lips. Don't worry, we can't disappear with these guys. If we open the bank door and let them in, Your armed police will immediately concentrate their firepower to break through. Even if you can't break out, you still have a chance to use thermal imaging equipment to spy on what's going on inside. Who knows if you will come up with some other plans if you learn about the internal structure of the building, so let the people I want come in through the window first. Now that they're in, I'll naturally let the hostages out. But the 200 people have to leave one by one during this time. You should put aside the idea of taking action. Cunning. Zhu Hua followed the leader's gaze and saw that there was indeed a small window on the southeast side of the bank. The window was not very high, only about 1 meter from the ground. This is the fire escape window. It is hard enough to accommodate to people escaping at the same time. A robber leader let the hostages leave through this escape window. It took a long time for the 200 hostages to walk out one by one. At this moment, Zhu Hua's heart moved. Confirmed his guess. The robber's target was not just those illegal immigrants. The things he wanted should be in this bank. They have kept our promise. According to your request, you have no bargaining conditions with us. Release the hostages immediately and open the bank door. At this moment, the voice of the senior police officer outside was heard again, with a hint of anger and shame in his voice. The robber's inconsistent behavior obviously angered the senior executive. However, he still underestimated the robber's ferocity. Bang! The next moment, the robber leader shot Jin Ae on the leg. Jin Ae screamed in pain. Countless viewers in the live broadcast room also saw this scene, and the relaxed atmosphere originally created by Zhu Hua suddenly became suppressed again. Brother, why don't you hit me and him? Shut up, I'm happy to beat anyone I want. The robber leader glared at Jin Ae coldly. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll shoot you again. The evil side is exposed. After all, the robber was still so fierce even after both parties had already started negotiations. This scene not only caused psychological pressure on the people who were paying attention to this matter, but even the senior police officers outside were a little unsure of these robbers for a while. Let us in. Their purpose is not the hostages. Since they have agreed to the exchange, as long as those illegal immigrants go in as an exchange, they will definitely release the hostages slowly. The person who analyzed the key point like Zhu Hua happened to be Liu Zuqing. She stood at the front of the exchange line with her head lowered. Speak slowly in a low voice that sounds as clear as possible. Hearing this, the senior police officer looked in the direction of Liu Zuqing in confusion. Since one knows that he is the target of those vicious robbers, would anyone be willing to fall into their trap? If he knew that Liu Zuqing was not an illegal immigrant at all, but a passerby who had just taken the opportunity to knock out an exchange personnel and put on the other person's coat to blend into the team, I don't know what he would think. I can only say that today's young people are really tigers. The other 19 researchers who entered the country illegally were trembling with fear. However, the robber leader in the bank was very satisfied with Liu Zuqing's reaction. I like dealing with smart people since you know what I want. Just come and don't worry about the guys outside. I will release the hostages. After saying this, he urged Zhu Hua and Jin Ae to squat down. Jin Ae asked with a sad face, "Brother, I want to go out. How about you release me in the first batch of hostages?" The robber leader sneered and ignored Jin Ae. It shouted outside, "You guys take your time to think about it anyway. This is the only plan I have. If you don't agree, I will kill the hostages." Soon, after a few minutes of discussion among the top police officers, Liu Zuqing and other illegally entered scientific researchers lined up one by one and squeezed into the bank through the fire escape under the watchful eyes of the public. There is no way. In fact, the police do not want to compromise. But the stalemate will only increase the hostages' anxiety. There is no good way out now, and we can only hope that these vicious criminals armed with guns can keep their promise. Otherwise, the lives of 200 citizens would be threatened. And even the mayor would be impeached. Zhu Hua didn't know yet that his ice Lotus Queen had already entered the bank and was determined to face it together with him. He looked at the robber from time to time, and glanced towards the safe from time to time. A robber leader noticed this and suddenly squatted down. "Boy, have you guessed something? Brother? What are you talking about?" Zhu Hua gave a simple smile and scratched the back of his head in a pretentious manner. Snap! The machine gun bullet was loaded and the robber leader pointed it at his forehead. The next moment, Zhu Hua immediately changed his words. "Oh, you mean your target in the safe? I guessed it. Of course I guessed it. You spent so much time here, but you didn't touch the money in the vault, and you didn't touch the bank cards of the depositors present. You dragged on until it was getting dark, and then you started a face-to-face confrontation with the police. Any fool knows that your target must be in the bank, not those scientific researchers. In this case, it's easy to analyze using the process of elimination. Besides the depositors, the bank only has the vault and the safe. The first two are not your targets, so your target can only be the last one." Zhu Hua wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. I finally breathed a sigh of relief when I saw the robber slowly put down his gun. Zhu Hua wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the robber slowly put down his gun. When saying this, he tried to avoid causing a commotion among the hostages around him. So he deliberately lowered his voice so that only the two of them could hear it. Hearing this, a hint of appreciation flashed across the robber leader's eyes. You have some brains. No wonder people say that the office workers in Country Z have many abilities. I have seen it today. Fuck your mom. You are the social slave, and your whole family is social slave. Are you praising your dad or scolding your father? Zuhu's face turned pale for a moment, but he quickly adjusted himself. Now he was under someone else's roof and had to bow his head. Even if I am a corporate slave, I am still better than you, the scum of society. It's a pity that smart people don't live long. I can only let you suffer later after we succeed. You will become my dead soul, but don't worry. As long as you don't resist, I will send you off in a dignified manner. The robber leader patted Zhu Hui on the shoulder, and a fierce look flashed across his face. There was also a hint of coldness in Zhu Hui's eyes. He took one look at the 5-star red flag hanging at the bank entrance and spat coldly. It's still unclear who the hell will be the dead soul later. Chapter 46. How does she get in? Plop. Soon, the first figure staggered to the ground from the escape window on the other side. Several robbers surrounded the other party. In an instant the leader of the robbers did not say a word, but just silently played with the eggshell in his hand. The atmosphere in the bank was depressing and almost suffocating. Everyone stared at the center of the hall. Our lives now rest in the hands of these desperate criminals. It would be a lie to say he wasn't worried. Hey, what did that guy say to you just now? At this moment, Jineo saw that the robber's attention was not on him, so he moved closer to Zuhua. Although he hated this guy, they were now both tied to the same rope. Of course, all grudges will be forgotten with a smile when we meet. Zuhua shrugged nonchalantly. Oh, nothing. He just said that if something happens later, he will kill you immediately as a warning to others. What? Hearing this, Jineo was stunned. Oh, he really said that? Zuhu nodded. Yes. He said he admired my character and that it would be a shame if I died here. So he wanted me to live on. Titus believed me. He even told me their plan. He said that their goal this time is to get something in the bank's safe. Maybe they will meet those illegal researchers and he will kill you to force you to confess and establish his authority. Jineo was completely confused. Why? I shouldn't have come to the bank today. Zuhu nodded in the direction of Jineo. He also told me there's a code. If you say this, I'll kill you right away. What should I do? Jineo was completely panicked now. He doesn't want to die. Who would want to die when they are living a good life? Zuhua clicked his tongue. Alas, I am kind-hearted. Although we have some conflicts, I don't want to see you die in front of me. That would be so gloomy. That's so inhumane. I know their code. Zuhua smacked his lips. Before we start, I'll signal you, 3, 2, 1. All you have to do is watch my movements, then you can take the opportunity to strike first and fight back desperately. Maybe you'll have a chance to survive. According to my guess, you are still useful for the time being. After all, if you kill the hostages again in this situation, the police outside might be enraged and launch fire to suppress the attack. They probably won't kill you for a while. Half true and half false, although most of them were analyzed by Zuhua. Jineo didn't know. Zuhua's phone call scared Jineo so much that he was stunned. I guess the most likely scenario is to kill you the moment I succeed, so you can wait for my signal then. As long as I shout, don't even think about killing me, you can go ahead. Zuhu was certain that he and Jineo would be the last hostages left. There is no doubt about this. Because they were the only two survivors who had direct contact with the robbers. Zuhu and Jineo might have the fingerprints of these robbers on them, and the fingerprints can be used as an identity information to identify the origins of these robbers. So these two people will definitely not be let go easily. However, it is actually Zuhu who is more likely to be inseparable from the bank. After all, the robber leader had patted him on the shoulder. And there was a 100% chance that his fingerprints were on his clothes. Okay, I get it. I'll obey your command when the time comes. As long as you give the order. Damn it, I'm going to die anyway. Maybe if I resist, I can still have a chance to save my life. Yes, that's the truth. Zuhu saw that the brainwashing was successful and nodded with a smile. At this moment, the robber leader suddenly said lightly, okay, the hostages can start lining up to leave in batches. But one at a time, also you to stay. After saying this, the 200 hostages in the bank instantly became excited and rushed towards the escape window. The two people who were named to stay were naturally Zuhu and Jineo. Seeing this, Jineo believed even more what Zuhu had just said. These bastards really want to kill me for fun. Gina, oh convex. At the same time, Zuhu's attention was focused on the scientific researchers who entered the venue. Each of the 20 men was wearing a striped prison uniform. Moreover, they all seemed to be in a bad mental state, and were very depressed. However, Liu King deliberately hid in the crowd and was not noticed. A robber leader walked towards the researchers step by step. Dr. Li. You should know what we want. Country A has spent countless manpower and resources on this experiment, and you just took away the research results in one go, and even intended to hand them over to the officials of Country Z for asylum. This makes that person very angry. You were sent by Country A. The middle-aged man called Dr. Lee took a deep breath. No, we are from H country. Dang dang dang. On the other side, there was a chaotic crowd in front of the escape window. Some people were even scrambling for the chance to escape, racing against time, and arguing over who would go out first and who would go out later. The quarrel was getting more and more intense, and it seemed like they were going to end up fighting. Bang, bang, bang. A robber leader not far away raised his gun without saying a word and fired 3 shots as a deterrent. At this moment, the crowd became much quieter and slowly lined up in an orderly manner. Cold, ruthless, and cruel. Zhu Hua made an evaluation of the robber leader in his mind. Brave Li led the way. You should know the consequences and price of betraying Country A. Hand over the things obediently, and we will send you on your way in a dignified manner. Otherwise, even if you hide in Country Z's prison, we have countless ways to torture you to death. Dr. Li was silent for a while and suddenly sighed. The password to the safe is in Xie Ane's hands. I gave all the information to Xie Ane, and asked her to take you to get the things. I just hope you can leave us an intact body in the end. As if knowing that he could not escape death. Drive? Li accepted his fate obediently. Zhu Hua watched the scene nervously. Chaona, go and bring out the information. Chaona, what are you doing? Why are you daydreaming? Chaona? Chaona, I know you're still young and a little reluctant, but in our line of work, we should know from the first day that we will end up like this sooner or later. At this moment, Dr. Li suddenly shouted twice in confusion. The eyes of the 19 researchers were all focused on the slender figure. Zhu Hui also looked in that direction, and felt that the figure was slightly familiar. A robber leader did not urge her, but just raised his gun and locked the girl. First, I am not Xie, and second, don't point that iron lump at me. The cold voice landed with a thud. The next moment, the woman took a step forward. A stunning aura emerged from her frail body, and she slowly raised her head. The moment he saw her face clearly, Zhu Hua's body trembled violently. What the hell? How did she get in? Chapter 47, Reversal of Situation. First, I am not Xie, and second, don't point that iron lump at me. A moment Zhu Hua noticed Liu Zuking. He knew that this was definitely not a look-alike. Could it be that my wife couldn't recognize him? Especially the way he speaks. Open your mouth, this master, and close your mouth. This master. What kind of bullshit safe password is that? Liu Zuking definitely doesn't know it. It was obvious that she would be exposed in the next second. Zhu Hui also knew that her purpose of coming in was very simple, which was nothing more than to save herself. While Zhu Hui was moved, his heart was pounding with fear. The leading robber looked at Liu Zuking coldly. You're not Xie? Finished. It's going to be exposed. Zhu Hui's face turned pale and he blurted out almost instantly. What she meant was that she didn't like people calling her Xie. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire bank fell silent. Except for the hostages who were scrambling to flee through the escape window. Almost all the other robbers and scientific researchers had their eyes on Zhu Hua. Do you two know each other? No, I don't know him. When Zhu Hua met the fierce gaze of the robber leader, he felt his mouth dry. You're not Xie? Then who are you? The Zhongcheng police sent all 20 of you here intact. Could it be that a stranger has mixed into Drive Li's team, and he can't recognize you? You want to waste time with me here? I can only say that you think too much. The robber leader gave a thorough analysis. This is what he doesn't know. When that group of scientific researchers were in Country A, they were all kept in the same research institute for experiments. But for the sake of confidentiality, everyone, including Drive Li, was included. Neither of them knows each other's true identity or face. After Country Z captured these illegal immigrants, they imprisoned them separately for the convenience of investigation. So today was the first time that these researchers showed each other their true faces. Click, click, click. The next moment, more than a dozen submachine guns were pointed directly at Liu Zuking. Zhu Hua's heart almost instantly rose to his throat. He gritted his teeth and made a bold decision in his heart. If these guys dare to shoot, I will do whatever it takes to replace one of them, just to avenge Liu Zuking. Oh no. And the baby in her belly. When he thought of this, Zhu Hua looked at the robbers quietly with a fierce look in his eyes. Fortunately, the robber leader did not care about Liu Zuking's words. He preconceived that she was Xie and said coldly. Don't play dumb with me, take me to get what I want now. I don't mind killing people here even if the Zhongcheng police are furious. It will only cost me my life, but don't forget that you still have your family in Country A. You don't want to implicate them. Do you? Hearing this, Dr. Li and others' faces suddenly turned ugly. It was obvious that the robber leader had hit their soft spot. Also, I'm not afraid to tell you that I have no intention of letting the 20 of you leave this place. As he spoke, the robber leader pointed to the tiles near each low-lying wall. I have buried C4 underneath all of these. I can break the low-lying beams at any time. This area and the bank's vault will be spared because of special protective measures. But the rest of the place will be shattered. You can't leave. The robber leader seemed to want to destroy Xion's psychological defenses and directly revealed his trump card. After hearing this, even the audience who had been watching the live broadcast showed expressions of indignation. Madman! These robbers are simply desperados. What's even more terrifying is how they brought in explosives and weapons. The Izu King didn't understand what C4 meant, but that didn't stop her from planning to leave. She was here to take Zhu Hui away before he could escape safely. The Izu King had no intention of staying out of trouble. Oh, get what you want. But should you turn it off? As she said this, Liu Zu King raised her smooth chin and glanced at the surveillance equipment. She might be able to react. People outside can only get a glimpse of what's going on inside through these things. The robber leader nodded slightly. Well, you have a point. Bang, bang, bang. The next moment, he raised his hand. Several bullets directly destroyed the surveillance equipment. And Zukian Kian and Liu Zhen outside had no news of Liu Zu King and Zhu Hui at all. A middle-aged woman's face turned blue and red alternately, and Zukian Kian beside her didn't know how to comfort her. But I have to say that my sister-in-law and my brother have a really good relationship. It is said that a friend in need is a friend indeed. My sister-in-law is willing to live and die with my brother. It is so touching. It's just that this head isn't worth it. Zukian Kian sighed with red eyes. Meanwhile, inside the bank, the leader of the robbers glanced in the direction of the hostages, whose number had been reduced by about half, and then looked down at the time on his watch. Now, can you lead the way? Ms. Xiana and Dr. Li. My patience is limited. Hearing this, Dr. Li nodded hesitantly, and then forced out an ugly expression and said, if we hand over the things to you obediently, then you let us go. Bang. Before he could finish his words, one of the researchers was shot in the head. The man didn't even have time to utter a scream before he died beyond all possibility of death. This bloody scene stimulated everyone's eyes. The robber leader licked his lips. You have no room for bargaining with us. He is truly a cruel and desperate criminal. He kills people when he says he will kill people. He does it when he says he will do it. Zhu Hui's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. Okay, I'll lead the way for you. Dr. Li was terrified. On the contrary, Liu Zu King remained expressionless and secretly made a gesture to Zhu Hui. At this moment, the robber leader suddenly seemed to remember something and pointed at Zhu Hui. You, come with us to the safe to get something. What? Oh, you two were flirting with each other? Did you think I didn't notice? It seems that Ms. Xiana is dating a lover in Country Z. I don't believe you don't know each other. Stop talking nonsense. If you don't go, I will shoot you right now. Upon hearing this, Zhu Hui had no choice but to stand up obediently. But it's better this way. If something happens to Liu Zu King at the hands of these desperados, I'll do a one-for-one exchange as soon as possible, no matter what. If Liu Zu King knew what Zhu Hui was thinking, the woman would probably sneer at him. Extreme one-for-one. Since she came in today, she had no intention of leaving any of the robbers alive. The three were controlled by four robbers and walked towards the depths of the bank. The safe was some distance away from the lobby, and the atmosphere was somewhat tense along the way. No one spoke. Zhu Hui could only feel his heart beating wildly. It was his first time to come to this VIP area. The surrounding decoration is more than one level higher than the lobby outside. But for him, he might not be interested in paying attention to this at all. The safe is just ahead. Go ahead and take out what I want. If I'm in a good mood, I might even consider leaving you with an intact body. You go open the door. As he said this, the robber leader raised his chin towards Zhu Hui. Zhu Hui had just taken 2 steps when the robber leader behind him raised his gun towards him. Zhu Hui could actually guess that in TV dramas, robbers would often not even open the door themselves at such times, with the sole purpose of making the innocent hostages turn their backs to them and then shoot them to death. It can not only have a deterrent and intimidating effect on Xian and Drive Li, it can also get rid of a useless burden like yourself. Snap. The robber leader grinned and showed his white teeth. Hurry up, kid. What are you dawdling for? When Zhu Hui heard the sound of the bullet being loaded, his legs felt a little weak. You are not qualified to touch my people. The next moment, the bloody scene that Dr. Li had expected did not happen. Bang, 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 bang. Only 3 muffled groans were heard. 3 figures fell to the ground. Dr. Li was dumbfounded to see that Xiaona, beside him, easily dealt with the 3 people without even spending much effort. And the most mysterious thing is that before anyone could see clearly how she moved, the submachine gun in the leading robber's hand fell into Liu Zu King's hands. Be honest, or I won't mind blowing your head off. The woman didn't waste any time and directly pressed the muzzle of the gun against the back of the leading robber. The situation reversed in an instant. Liu King's gun-holding movements were not standard at all, and her finger didn't even fall on the trigger. But it didn't affect the robber's leader from sweating profusely on his forehead. What's wrong with this woman? Isn't this skill too terrifying? Everything happened in a flash. And even the robber leader didn't react. Zhu Hui also widened his eyes at the same time. It was a bit hard to believe what I saw before me. But the crisis is over. Zhu Hui suddenly had some evil ideas. Damn it, you scared me so much just now. If I didn't have a good mental state, I would have been scared to death. God will take its course, and no one will be spared. You. Go open the door to the safe for me. Yu Hui took the submachine gun from Liu King's hand and tilted his head to face the robber. A proud face. Zhu Hui. Chapter 48, Another Reversal. Who are you? Who are you? You can't be someone from the laboratory of Country A. We have all seen the background and identity information of those people. There is no such terrifying skill. She's my woman. Zhu Hui chuckled and interrupted directly. Do you know what the biggest mistake you made when you robbed the bank today was? That was kidnapping me. Do you think you can scare me, your father? The robber leader's mouth twitched violently. The boy in front of me looks so smug at the moment. There is no trace of his cowardice just now. Are you playing Sichuan opera face changing with me here? Also, who told you to call me a corporate slave? Put your hands over your head and squat down. Let me ask you. Who is a corporate slave? You. Snap. The next moment, Zhu Hui pointed the black muzzle of the gun towards the robber leader's forehead. Say it again. Me. The robber leader never dreamed that there would be someone in the world who would hold a grudge so much just because of a word, social animal. He doesn't know who makes Zhu Hui fit the image of a social animal perfectly. 996 blessing, plus overtime work at all times. If it weren't for the fact that the boss of Shangxi Entertainment was his senior BA Zhu Hui might have to do the same thing every day as the other graduates who entered the company at the same time. Either working overtime or on the way to overtime. Working people are still quite sensitive to the word social animals. After all, we workers also need to save face. Right? Zhu Hui hummed twice. That's more like it. Fuck, I don't know who coined the term social animal. Is it wrong for us workers to work hard with our own hands and create a grand vision for the future? Halfway through her words, Liu King glared at Zhu Hui. You talk too much nonsense. Zhu Hui then laughed dryly and pointed to the safe at the back. Now tell me, what is your goal? Dr. Li watched the dramatic scene in front of him and tried to retreat and escape without leaving a trace. It was obvious that neither the robber nor the terrifying Liu King were people he could afford to provoke. However, Liu King reacted faster and spoke calmly without even turning her head. Do you think if you run out now, will those people outside let you go easily? Or will they capture you and then come back to kill us? Hearing this, Dr. Li stopped moving. Yes, there are still more than 30 desperate criminals armed with submachine guns waiting outside. If I run away like this, wouldn't it be like walking into a trap? He gave a dejected smile and then behaved much more obediently. Zhu Hui ignored Dr. Li. All his attention was on the robber leader in front of him. The next moment, he viciously hit the robber leader's forehead with his submachine gun. You're still pretty stubborn, Baka. Have you heard of the 10 cruel tortures of the Qing dynasty? Believe it or not, I will show you all of them in a moment. I will give you one more minute. If you don't say anything, I will let you see what it means to be nailed to the ground. A done deal? The other three were all stunned. Zhu Hui shook his head. You're wrong, it is set in stone. Ding ding ding. The corner of the robber leader's mouth twitched again. Nima yo. I've heard that being a robber carries the risk of losing one's life, but these days, I've never heard of anyone doing this job having the possibility of losing his entire family line. We are here for their scientific research results, some experimental materials and data. These people escaped from Country A's laboratory a month ago, taking away a research project that Country A had spent nearly 15 years on. When they left, they also completely deleted all electronic copies of the research in the laboratory to prevent the data from being leaked. After saying this, the robber leader gritted his teeth. Country A hired us to find these people, but they are currently under strict surveillance by the police of Country Z because of their illegal entry into the country. We have no chance to contact them. So, I didn't ask you these questions. Are you just telling me the word count? Zhu Hui waved his hands impatiently. I'm just asking you, what is your target? What is the thing in the safe? What is it used for? It's that simple. You're talking so much nonsense. It's easy for readers to misunderstand. Do you know that the author is adding drama to your story? The robber leader stared at Zhu Hui and moved his lips, but did not say anything. Damn it, why not just kill this idiot? As he said that, he raised the submachine gun in his hand, fiddled with it a few times, and put his finger directly on the trigger. At this moment, even Drive Li next to him couldn't help but tremble in his heart. A passerby. who had just been scared to death, was terrified in front of the robber leader. Now you dare to kill people? Are ordinary passers-by so difficult to deal with these days? I say. No one is not afraid of death, let alone for the robber leader. Dying at the hands of a small thug like Zhu Hui can be said to be the greatest shame in his life. The next moment, he didn't dare to delay the time any longer. It contains a biochemical research file, we don't know what it is used for, and don't expect to ask these people. Their experiments in country A are all separate. Each person is only responsible for a small part, so even they don't know the specific content of the project. I only know that it is related to biology, medicine, genetics, and mutation. Oh, I thought it contained confidential documents that could make me the richest man if I sold them. Zhu Hui had just imagined that if the book contained design drawings of country A's aircraft carrier, he would hand it over to the country. At least you can get a more impressive identity. Right? After all, that's what it says in novels. What kind of opening is to bring back the US aircraft carrier and become a high-ranking military official? Or steal back the nuclear bomb and become a hero of the motherland? I've asked all the questions, can I open the safe now? A robber leader glanced at Zhu Hui, who was holding a submachine gun. Hearing this, Zhu Hui shrugged. Bullshit, she's not Xione. How could she possibly know the password to this counter? At this moment, Dr. Li, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. There is actually another way to open the counter. What? As soon as these words came out, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. You can also use the work badge of the VEP customer area specialist at the counter to open this thing. The staff's ID card? Oh, that's right. If a customer forgets the password, he or she only needs to prove his or her identity to the staff, and the bank will definitely have a second option to help the customer open the safe. Otherwise, if the customer forgets the password, will the things stored in the safe be unavailable for the rest of his life? Zhu Hui glanced at Drive Li, but most of the hostages have probably left by now. No one can be sure that there are bank staff among the remaining hostages. Moreover, if we leave the safe now, the robbers in the hall will definitely be able to tell that something unexpected has happened. In Zhu Hui's eyes, there is no difference between making this suggestion and not making it. But at this moment, Dr. Li shook his head. Just now, when the hostages were crowding towards the escape window, I picked up a fallen work badge on the ground. Wow, as soon as these words came out, Zhu Hui's eyes widened instantly. But fellow, did you figure out in advance that Liu King was Comrade Xiaona, in disguise? It's just a life-saving trump card. Dr. Li glanced at the robber leader who was squatting on the ground, his eyes constantly changing, and no one knew what he was thinking. Zhu Hui was relieved. Then it was true that if a person was not afraid of death, he would be punished by heaven and earth. In this situation, everyone would want to retain a few more chances of saving their lives. The atmosphere became somewhat frozen. Everyone's attention was focused on Drive Li. He didn't hesitate any longer and took 2 steps forward. Beep, beep. He quickly swiped the counter open. I saw 4 documents neatly arranged. Each one was put in a yellow-brown paper bag. And Zhu Hui smacked his lips in delight. The thing in front of me turned out to be the culprit that enabled the robbers to kidnap hundreds of hostages. It's really unbelievable when you think about it. For a few documents or contents on a few pieces of white paper, human life can instantly become worthless. Is this all the documents you have here? The robber leader suddenly spoke. In the quiet environment, Zhu Hui could clearly feel that his tone had become a little strange. After Drive Li took out the things, the atmosphere between the 4 people became even weirder. Because there is only one question before everyone now. To go out or not to go out? When they go out, they will face more than 30 thugs armed with guns. Seeing that Li King had dealt with their teammates, those people would most likely fight back desperately. 3 people against 30 people. There was basically no hope. If you don't go out, continuing to waste time here will only increase the danger. No one could be sure whether the robbers outside would realize what had happened after seeing that no one came out for a long time. At that time, if more than 30 people rushed in at once, it would also be a life-threatening situation. Now, Zhu Hui and Liu King were in a dilemma. Whether you stick your head out or hide your head, you will be killed. Zhu Hui glanced at Liu King twice. The woman glanced outside. Her eyebrows slightly furrowed. There are nearly 30 people. I can't deal with them all at once. Hearing this, Zhu Hui sighed. Sure enough, Liu King could fly and hide underground. It's a bit exaggerated to kill more than 30 people in one move. But this is because he underestimated women. If Liu King were in her peak state, let alone 30 ordinary humans, even 30 powerful demons would not be a match for her. However, the problems facing Zhu Hui are now equally serious. I have a suggestion. I know you are worried that you will be shot to death by my people after you go out, but you are wrong. As long as this thing is in your hands, they will not dare to shoot. At this moment, the leader of the robbers suddenly raised his chin towards the documents in Drive Li's hand. Our mission target this time is this thing. Seeing that we are about to succeed, no one will randomly shoot. This is your life-saving gold medal. Hearing this, Zhu Hu narrowed his eyes and stared straight into the eyes of the robber leader. It seems like he wants to spy on the real thoughts in this guy's mind. The robber leader grinned. Of course I don't want to die even if I'm handed over to the Zhongcheng police. It's better than eyeing in the shabby bank. Right? As soon as these words came out, Zhu Hui and Li Zuqing looked at each other. He saw the woman raising her smooth chin towards him. Zhu Hui then took the submachine gun and hit the robber leader on the back. You'd better not play any tricks than you walk in front. A robber leader didn't waste any time and walked out obediently. It was this move. Zhu Hui suddenly felt something was wrong. This guy seems to be a little too cooperative, right? Would a group of people who dared to hijack a bank right under the noses of Zhongcheng police be so afraid of death? It turned out that Zhu Hui's worries were correct as soon as he walked out of the safe. Suddenly something strange happened. The robber leader sneered. You are still too young. The next moment, without waiting for Li Zuqing to do so, she grabbed the back of his neck and knocked him unconscious. More than a dozen submachine guns were pointed directly at the three people. A hand that Li Zuqing had just raised also stopped in Midra. How does that sentence go? God will take its course. And no one will be spared. Boy, now the situation seems to have changed again, doesn't it? Chapter 49, Last Chance. At this moment, Zhu Hui could only watch as the robber leader took the submachine gun from his hand, facing Zhao Hui's unwilling gaze. The robber leader grinned. If I get something, I will have someone notify the outside world. If I don't get something, I will also notify the outside world. In short, after I go in, half of my people will guard the door of the vault to prevent any special circumstances from happening. And now, without notifying anyone, I brought the three of you out, and the result is obvious. Simply put, their idea was wrong from the beginning. Facing more than a dozen black gun muzzles, Zhu Hui had no intention of resisting at all. Fuck you. I knew you wouldn't be honest. Gurgle. His Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. Why would God do this to a poor, honest and upright office worker like me? How could a small office worker like me outsmart these people in society? The city is full of tricks. I want to go back to the countryside. Zhu Hui. Boss, what do we do with these guys? There were no signs of other hostages in the hall. It seems that the hostages dispersed in just over 10 minutes. There were only a few figures surrounded by robbers, but they were none other than the scientific researchers who had smuggled themselves into the country illegally. The robber leader glanced at him calmly and sneered. No longer of any use, kill him. After saying that, he was the first to raise the submachine gun in his hand. Bang, bang, bang. After a burst of gunfire, the dozen or so scientific researchers didn't even have time to react, and they fell to the ground in unison like wheat being cut. The blood splattered everywhere. It was shocking. The rest of the robbers were also shot a few more times, but few of them were not killed by the vitals in the first shot. But they were already dead after the second round of shooting. Devils, you guys are simply devils. Dr. Li next to Zhu Hu was shaking and his lips were quivering wildly. Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, big brother. Don't kill me. I will give you as much money as you want, just don't kill me please. Please don't kill me. Just then, an excited roar sounded. It turned out to be Jineo, who had always been ignored. Ever since Zhu Hui went in, Jineo has been watching the robbers' every move with great anxiety. He learned from Zhu Hui that he was doomed to die. This is like the trial time before Linkai. Even though you know you will die, the time before the axe hanging above your head falls down is the most difficult. The bloody scene just now undoubtedly destroyed Jineo's backbone. He was trembling all over. A foul smell came from not far away. The boy was actually scared to pee. Oh, yeah, I forgot about you. A robber leader sneered sinister lie. But I don't really want to bother with you right now. I'll deal with that other troublemaker first. After saying this, the robber leader's eyes fell on Zhu Hui. He deliberately ignored Zhu Hui and others just to kill someone in front of them to establish his authority. The robber leader had long hated Zhu Hui, a villain who had succeeded in his career. It wouldn't undoubtedly be a happy thing for him to let this hateful kid experience the fear before death before he sets off. Boy, do you have any last words? A little bit. Dr. Li's eyes suddenly widened. Why didn't you even ask any questions when you killed someone just now? Don't they even have the right to leave a last will? Oh, sorry, I forgot about you. Bang. The next moment, Li was shot in the head. Zhu Hui? Li Zuqing? Jineo? Zhu Hui sighed beside him. Damn it, why are you trying to steal the show? They kept me until the end just to scare me. And hearing my last words gave the robber leader a great sense of accomplishment. Otherwise, do you think he really wanted to take my last words out and help me fulfill my unfulfilled wish? At times like this, you just happen to grab the lines. Even Buddha can't save you, you fool. Even Jesus can't save you. Speak now, if you beg me, maybe I will show mercy. Zhu had no intention of paying attention to the robber leader at all. He turned his head and looked at Li Zuking behind him. I've implicated you. If you hadn't come in to save me, you wouldn't have gotten yourself in here. We really have to say goodbye this time. I just don't know if I can still watch you on the road to the underworld. The next moment, Zhu spoke with great emotion. In fact, I have also thought about our future together. We may have a lovely baby who will wake up every day and call her Mom, in a baby voice. I'm hungry and need milk. From time to time, we will take her downstairs for a walk. She can perfectly inherit the good looks of her parents. She has the handsomeness of my daily and GSH and annual Wu and your sweet dimples. If she goes to kindergarten, the teachers and classmates will definitely like her very much. But it seems a bit of a pity. I probably won't be able to see that day. You. This sentence is actually a sincere confession. Of course it also has a bit of temptation. Zhu wanted to know if he could escape unscathed with Liu Zuking's abilities. Don't make it like a life and death separation. Why do you say such cheesy words at a time like this? In the past 2 days, I have learned a phrase called sharing we and woe. Liu Zuking's pretty face flushed, but she told Zhu in the most determined voice that she would not leave. At the end of her words, Liu Zuking's voice became smaller and smaller. With a wife like this, what more could a husband ask for? Zhu excitedly held Liu Zuking's hand and couldn't help but say, I once had a true love in front of me, but I didn't cherish it. If there is an afterlife, I will definitely say 3 words to that girl. I love you. If I have to put a time limit on that love, I hope it is 1,000 years. Can you please stop for a bit? At this moment, the robber leader on the other side couldn't bear it anymore. Oh, is this a fucking last word? Brother, there's a submachine gun pointed at your head. Shouldn't you fucking kneel down and beg for mercy? And then be rejected harshly by me, and then I shoot you to death? Are you guys trying to play the Titanic trick on me? My heart will go on. The melodious melody of Titanic theme song is slowly ringing in everyone's hearts at this moment. Every night in my dreams, I see you. That is how I know you go on. Far across the distance. Wait a minute, brother, I haven't finished speaking yet. What I asked you to say were your last words. Who the hell asked you to confess? A robber leader's eyelids twitched and he spoke through gritted teeth. Zhu shrugged. This is my last words. Oh, yes, there is one last sentence. At this moment, Zhu dragged out a long tone, suddenly glanced at Jin Ao, and spoke word by word. Don't you ever think of killing me. Plam. The robber leader was stunned. Is this his last words? What are you talking about? Kid? On the other side, Jin Ao looked up at Zhu in disbelief. Zhu didn't reply, but just held up 3 fingers. Signal. Is it now? Jin Ao's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. At this moment, the look Zhu gave him seemed to carry energy, making his adrenaline surge. The melodious melody of my heart will go on also rang from Jin Ao's heart. Don't you dare try to kill me? Far across the distance. Oh, Jin Ao slammed hard into the robber leader. At this moment, all the robbers were stunned. What's happening? Is this guy mentally ill? There is nothing for him to do now, so why not just be an ordinary passerby? Is it because he feels bad that he was not shot? A big question mark appeared in the minds of the other robbers at the same time. At the same time, Liu Zuking also understood what Zhu meant. This is their last chance. Chapter 50, Talented in Catching Bullets. Hurry, ambulance, come and save people. Oh my god. Is that him? Is this the guy who saved the rest of the hostages? I am so moved. This selflessness is something we should learn from. Brave, so brave. Half an hour later, there was chaos in front of the bank. In addition to the crowds who came to watch the excitement, many bigwigs from Zhongcheng officials also came. A stretcher was quickly carried out by the police. The young figure above was covered in blood and had been shot several times. But she still bit her lips stubbornly, and murmured the melody of My Heart Will Go On, the theme song of Titanic crazily. As 5 minutes ago, the police bomb disposal team completely dismantled the explosive device set up by the robbers in the bank. The bank is now out of danger, you can rest assured. The graceful host spoke excitedly to the camera. As soon as these words were spoken, cheers rang out from the thousands of lights in front of and behind the camera. Then, the host said seriously, just now, a hero stepped forward and performed 18 sets of military boxing. He was shot 36 times. The police found that the criminal had only 36 bullets left in his gun. A total of 36 bullets were blocked by this selfless hero. He used his own blood to protect the lives of 2 other innocent hostages. He used his own body to block the distance between life and death, and he used his blood and tears to protect the well-being of the other 2 hostages. Let us applaud the heroes, let us cheer for the heroes. Crash. There was applause at the scene, and countless people looked at the young figure on the stretcher. Damn, this guy is really amazing. He was able to catch all 36 bullets from a submachine gun in one go without missing a single one. It's not easy to achieve this. The two figures standing in front of the police car, a man and a woman, were naturally Zhu Hu and Liu King. Hearing this, Liu King pursed her red lips. It seemed like he wanted to laugh, but he also felt that this kind of atmosphere shouldn't be so gloating. You are such a bad person. Zhu Hui glanced at the two people's hands tightly held together, and the corners of his lips suddenly curled up. A moment Zhu Hui shouted the secret signal, Jin Ao. With his blood boiling, gathered all his strength and rushed towards the leader of the robbers. Of course, whether it is strength or combat effectiveness, this kid is hardly a match for the robber leader, so the one Zhu Hui really counts on is Liu King. However, adhering to the spirit of, a friend's death would rather die than myself, Zhu Hui should not consider what kind of danger Jin Ao might encounter. But Zhu Hui never expected that Jin Ao was very talented in the unique skill of catching bullets. What's even more outrageous is that before Liu King could even make a move, the police assault team suddenly found the side of the building and rushed in through a detour. At that moment, the meat shield Jin Ao attracted the firepower of all the robbers. Those special police officers in the commando team probably didn't expect that this mission would be completed so easily. The robbers didn't even have a chance to resist before they were shot to the ground. Some died, some were injured. The two hostages, Zhu Hu and Liu King, were also easily rescued. Alright, you've been holding hands for such a long time, haven't you two had enough of each other after surviving a disaster? And you, little brother, I know my girlfriend is pretty and attracts a lot of attention, but isn't it a bit inappropriate to show off your affection in public like this? Just then, an agent walked over here. Liu King finally reacted and shook off Zhu Hui's hand with a red face. Zhu Hui touched the tip of his nose angrily. But there was a hint of sweetness in her eyes, like the first love. Please tell us your ID numbers. We will do a simple registration and record your statements. And you can go back if we need your cooperation later. We may contact you by phone. Please leave a mobile phone number where I can contact you too. The next moment, the detective took out his notebook and raised it towards the two of them. As soon as these words came out, the look of relief on Zhu Hui's face instantly disappeared. Damn it. I was so happy that I forgot about this matter. At this moment, Liu King lowered her head and played with her cell phone, saying without raising her head, Zhongcheng Medical University, Kian, officer comrade, can I ask for your student ID number? Kian? Liu King wants to use her cousin's vest? Zhu Hui was stunned. The agent didn't think much of it. Student ID. A student ID is fine, we are just doing a simple registration, you should all be passers-by who are here to handle business. The basic process of this robbery is clear, and you shouldn't need to do anything afterwards. Kian, please tell me your student ID number. 20,223X. In fact, the registration process is not complicated. What Zhu Hui was most worried about was that Liu King would be exposed. But she answered very well, seeing that she kept her head down and playing with her pager. It seemed that her cousin Kian was assisting her off court. The detective didn't suspect anything. It's your turn, buddy. Zhu Hui, ID number 6,103,231,999XXXXXX, graduated from Zhongcheng. No need to mention the university you graduated from, you can find it all here. The detective glanced suspiciously at Zhu Hui and Liu King. Are you all surname Zhu? They both have the same surname, or are they from the same family? But this is someone else's private matter, fortunately. Kian is only Zhu Hui's cousin, not his biological sister. Otherwise, the blood relationship between the two people can be found directly. God knows what the agent will think by then. Even so, the detective's expression when he looked at the two of them was extremely strange. Let's exchange contact information. I'll read you my phone number, you can save it and contact me if you encounter any problems in the future. My last name is Zheng, the same as Zheng He's voyage to the west. Zheng age. The agent left his contact information and waved goodbye. The casualties from this robbery were the most serious in Zhongcheng in recent years. They still have a lot of work to do. Seeing Zheng age leave, Zhu Hui breathed a sigh of relief. This time, it's all thanks to this little girl Kian. Hearing this, Liu King shrugged. She asked me, sister-in-law, if I wanted credit for fighting the robbers. I said I didn't need it. Then she sent me a text message, saying that in a situation similar to ours, since we held out as hostages until the end and were rescued, we would definitely be commended. It is said that the spirit of fearlessness in the face of danger is worthy of reward. There is no problem with this. Being able to persist and deal with the vicious robbers under such circumstances. If you survive by chance, it can be publicized as an inspiring situation. Then what? She then said that the police would contact me later to find out about the situation at the scene. It would be inconvenient for a pregnant woman like me to be summoned by the police all day long, so I might as well give the credit to her. If the school learns about the whole process, they will definitely give her a certificate of honor. Liu King imitated Kian's tone and said, Don't be afraid of danger, and fight the criminals with wisdom. Zhu Hua's mouth twitched. It really is my cousin Zuqian style of doing things. No wonder she was so kind as to let her sister-in-law Yu Zuqing use her own pseudonym. It turns out that he was planning something. There are so many colleges and universities in Zhangcheng. How many college students have encountered such a thing? He was on the verge of life and death, and survived by fighting wits and courage with the criminals and relying on his wisdom to persevere to the end. It will become a good story when it is spread out. If the school knew about this, they would definitely reward Zuqian. After the two of them registered, they could leave. Liu Zhen and Zuqian stood at the front of the crowd seeing Zhu Hu and Liu Zuqing walking over safely. Liu Zhen almost cried with excitement. Thank God for that kid who took 36 bullets. Mom, please give your dear son a hug. I was so scared just now. Zhu Hui grinned and opened his arms. However, Liu Zhen didn't even glance in his direction, and came towards Liu Zuqing with an excited look on her face. That's great, Xiaoliu. You're okay. How could you take such a risk? I was just thinking, if Zhu Hua died, you could just remarry or find a good family. Why do you have to hang yourself on my son's tree? Your own safety is the most important thing. How can I, as your son, deserve you to share the good and bad times with him? Even if he is gone, his father and I can still practice a trumpet. Don't do this again next time. The middle-aged woman Liu Zhen muttered a few words in a mumbling manner, and finally sighed. Fortunately, God has eyes and didn't let you get hurt. Hearing this, Zhu Hua's mouth twitched suddenly. I really didn't pick it up. Chapter 51, Shivering with Frost. Come to think of it, you all really should be grateful to that young man who took 36 bullets. Liu Zhen patted Liu Zuqing's arm and suddenly liked this tall daughter-in-law more and more. Zhu Hua hesitated for a moment, but decided to tell his mother the truth. Actually, that guy is the rich second generation who fought with us for a ward in Hongdu Hospital last time. Do you still remember him? He's the guy named Jin Yo. Flam. Liu Zhen's face suddenly froze, and the next moment she said inferently, I was just saying how much sin a person must have committed to be so unlucky. So it was him, no wonder he deserved it. I can only say that he deserved it. Look, this is the worldview of a middle-aged woman, with a clear distinction between gratitude and resentment. If, at the beginning, Liu Zhen was a little grateful to the young man who caught 36 bullets to protect his son and daughter-in-law, now, the last bit of gratitude in her heart disappeared. In the worldview of middle-aged women, bad people who have committed many evil things do not deserve their gratitude. By now it was gradually getting dark, and except for the branch opposite Zhongdai International, all other banks had basically closed for business. Originally Zhu Hua wanted to withdraw money, but ended up causing such a mess and almost causing a separation of life and death. He vowed to teach the landlord how to use a smartphone when he had time. At this moment, Zuqian suddenly leaned forward and asked Zhu in a low voice, Brother, since you made it to the final round, can you tell me what those robbers wanted? It's not some state secret or something like that, right? Finals. Do you think I'm playing PUBG? Can I still escape the poison? Zhu Hua rolled his eyes wildly. If his mother hadn't been there, he would have given his sister two big slaps to let her know what it meant to survive a disaster. You guessed right, what the robbers wanted was a document. It should be a secret of country, eh? Right? I heard it's related to biochemistry or something like that. What about that thing? Zuqian blinked her big eyes excitedly. The robbers have been shot dead. You can take the document out during the chaos when the time comes. You can hand it over to the country in exchange for tens of millions of dollars, or a position as a senior official of Country Z. Then I can walk around with a swagger in the future. I heard that my cousin was also assuming the same thing. Zhu Hua glared at her unhappily. Do you think this is a novel? This kind of thing is a hot potato in real life? If you really dare to get involved, you might die on some deserted street corner before you even get the money. After saying this, he secretly thought that his sister had a really wild imagination. However, when Zhu Hua first saw the document, the same thought flashed through his mind. Of course he wouldn't tell his sister this. The atmosphere of separation and death slowly disappeared, and the group walked towards the intersection of Kangwu Street. Brother, how does it feel to hold a submachine gun? It's okay. Is it heavy? Did you fire the gun? Was the recoil strong? No, I don't know. Were you scared when you were in there? Did you pee your pants? What do you think? Liu Zhen led Liu Zuqing in front, and Zhu Hua and his sister followed behind. The two of them chatted in a random manner. Stop. I don't want to discuss the robbery anymore. Don't forget that your sister-in-law used your best and gave you a commendation for fearlessness in the face of danger. If the police find the school leaders will definitely announce your praise to the whole school. If you don't want my mother to know about this, just be quiet. Oh, only then did Zuqian agree sullenly. Zhu Hua finally had half a minute of peace and quiet, but soon another phone call came in. Of course, the people who saw the news were not just Zhu Hua's mother Liu Zuqing and her family. The first one was Lin Hao. Fuck. Zhu Hua, guess what I just saw? What's wrong? I just saw on the news that the Zhongda International Bank across from our company was robbed. Brother, you called me just now after it's all over. Your information is too out of date. How could there be someone more out of date than Liu Zhen, a middle-aged woman who uses a 5G mobile phone to use for G network to surf 3G web pages? I'm going to tell you something you'll never guess. The next moment, Lin Hao on the other end of the phone seemed a little annoyed by Zhu Hua's indifferent reaction, and then he spoke excitedly. I saw a lookalike of yours on the news. Fuck. That guy was right inside the bank, and he was being controlled by the robbers when the robbers were negotiating with the police outside. Your lookalike was being broadcast live the entire time. And he uttered several classic quotes and swear words. If the news about this robbery wasn't so hot, the live broadcast replay of your lookalike would have been enough to become a hot topic. A face fuck. Zhu Hui was stunned, and then the corners of his mouth twitched wildly. Awesome. You are awesome. Brother. Hello, Zhu Hui, why are you silent? You don't believe it, right? I'll send you a screenshot of the news later. There was a hostage at the scene who really looked like you. And what a coincidence. I remember you were wearing a black and white plaid shirt today, right? But guess what? Not only does your look like you, he also wears the same clothes as you. Zhu Hui. Is there a possibility that that person is me? The next moment, Zhu Hui said silently. I fear the air suddenly becoming quiet. Hearing this, Lin Hao fell silent. After a long while, he finally shouted, Fuck, are you serious? Were you the one who was in the bank at the time? I was wondering how someone could be so coquettish and swear so often. It turns out it's really you. After saying this, Lin Hao was suspicious again. But are you sure? You're not kidding me? You almost died? Fuck you. Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up now. I'm annoyed. Zhu Hui rolled his eyes and hung up the phone, guessing that it was wishful thinking to expect his best friend to say a few words of comfort. If this guy knew how to comfort people, even a sow could climb a tree. For the next half hour, I walked all the way from Zhongda International back to Kenji Street. Zhu Hua's phone never stopped ringing. First it was Lin Hao, and then some colleagues in the company. Later, even Ba Zumo, the boss of Shengxi Entertainment, got the inside scoop from somewhere. I heard that one of my employees was trapped in the bank and was involved in a bank robbery. President Ba was alarmed. Ba Zumo asked someone to check and found out that the person was actually the unlucky guy Zhu Hua. She called Zhu Hui immediately. Buzz buzz buzz. Staring at the words Mr. Ba on the screen, Zhu Hua suddenly twisted his buttocks somewhat unnaturally and glanced at Liu Zuqing in front of him. Coincidentally, at this moment, Liu Zuqing also turned her head and glanced at him. What's wrong? Zhu Hua felt guilty and twisted his butt again with a dry mouth. Liu Zuqing immediately noticed something was wrong. Why do you keep shaking your butt? Is it that obvious? This stress response needs to be changed. Zhu Hui coughed. Maybe I'm a little nervous when I was a kid. My body would tense up when I was nervous. It was the same when I had conflicts and fights with my classmates. Besides the trembling from the adrenaline, my muscles were stiff and my hips twisted when I walked. Yes, he was like this when he was a kid. Every time I was asked to meet the teacher, he never stopped. Once in elementary school, he broke a classmate's glasses. The parent of the school across the street, who was tall and strong, looked at him fiercely and scolded him. This kid was not as lawless as he is now. He was so scared that his butt was twisting like a top. Liu Zhen added with a smile. I can't stop. As soon as these words were spoken, except for Zhu Hui who looked embarrassed, the other two women next to him all burst into laughter. When they imagined the scene of Zhu Hui's butt twisting wildly like a top, they couldn't help laughing. Could this be the legendary small electric motor? Zhu Qian never expected that her cousin Zhu Hui actually had such a funny dark history. And she laughed so hard that she was shaking with laughter. As expected, human beings, joys and sorrows are not the same. Your happiness is all based on the suffering of others. Laugh. I'll teach you a lesson when I go to your house during the new year. Zhu Hui didn't want to laugh. And couldn't laugh at all. He glared at his cousin fiercely. Fortunately, the shaking phone in his hand was hung up. It seemed that there was no response for a long time, so Biaizumo also hung up. Zhu Hui finally breathed a sigh of relief. For some reason, he felt like a guilty thief. Obviously, there was nothing between him and President Ba, but because of Liu Zuqing's misunderstanding last time, Zhu Hui didn't even dare to answer Biaizumo's call in front of Liu Zuqing. However, contrary to Zhu Hui's expectations, when they returned to their doorstep, a Porsche Panamera suddenly blocked the intersection. Zhu Hui's heart suddenly skipped a beat. The next moment, a sexy figure in a snow-white coat walked out of the car. The woman had delicate features, but her temperament seemed much softer than Liu Zuqing's cool demeanor. Of course, her pair of willow-shaped eyebrows are equally domineering and slender. and her glare is just as intimidating. Zhu Hui, why didn't you answer my call? Don't you know? I'm worried about you. At this moment, Zhu Hui felt as if he was falling into an ice cellar. Her sharp gazes fell on him. And for a moment he felt as if he had been stripped naked and thrown into the street, and he was shivering with cold all over. Chapter 52, To Women Confronted. Don't you know? I'm worried about you. The domineering figure standing in front of him at this moment is naturally the female president of Shengxi Entertainment Company, Bai Zumo. Her big wavy brown hair reflected a sexy and charming luster under the low street light. The red lips painted with Dior 888 are alluring. But the words that came out of those red lips made Zhu Hui feel his scalp tingling. Another person who got off the car at the same time was Lin Hao. Zhu Hui. Are you okay? Damn, it turns out that funny guy in the lit broadcast room is really you. I thought it was your look-like. Boss Bi found out about this and immediately came to me to check. I wasn't sure about your current condition, and Boss Bi couldn't get through to you on the phone, so she had no choice but to come to your house. What the hell? The corners of Zhu Hui's mouth twitched, and he wanted to cry but had no tears. It turns out that you bastard, are the one who harmed me. I finally managed to warm up my relationship with Liu Zhu King a little. As a result, you brought Mr. Ba to Liu Zhu King. A gurgle. Zhu Hui's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously, and he pretended not to notice the cold gazes of Liu Zhen, Liu Zhu King and the others. I gritted my teeth and greeted Ba Zumo. Mr. Ba, my phone was turned off just now, so I didn't receive your call. Thank you for your concern and love. Mr. Ba, I am fine. Ba Zumo raised her eyebrows when she heard this. Are you sure you didn't develop any mental illness after being with the robbers for so long? After all, don't forget that you were in a coma for half a year, and your health was already poor. How about I take you to the hospital for a checkup now? But I dare not. No need, Mr. Ba, it's really okay. You probably want me to die. Liu Zhu King is now the daughter-in-law chosen by my mother. And she is pregnant with my Zhu family's child. If I go out with you alone now, I won't be with my family the first time after surviving the disaster, but will be taken away by a person of the opposite sex. My mother might have to divorce Lao Zhu again. At this moment, Liu Zhu King finally couldn't help herself and asked coldly, Who are you? Wow, it was just a normal question, but the air seemed to freeze. Even Lin Hao, Zhu Qian and others felt a chill. As if the temperature had dropped suddenly. Who am I? Shouldn't Zhu Hui have told you? Liu Zhu King sneered. I'm sorry, maybe you overestimated your relationship. I've never heard Zhu Hui describe someone like you. As expected, I only remove this self-proclaimed name when I am with my mother. As Liu Zhu King's cold voice fell, the scene fell into silence. The next moment, Bai Zumo said calmly, Actually, he never mentioned you when he was with me. What? At this moment, Zhu Hui felt that the look his mother gave him was as if she wanted to cut him into pieces, especially his cousin Zhu Qian, who groaned in disgust. She has been spending all day with her sister-in-law Liu King these past 2 days, and the two have already established a certain emotional foundation. In her heart, Liu Zhu King is a sister-in-law who deserves the title. Especially today, Zhu Qian also found out that her sister-in-law Liu Zhu King was pregnant. Then the choice of my cousin's wife is completely settled. At this moment, a woman suddenly appeared out of nowhere and showed off in front of her sister-in-law. Zhu Qian immediately assumed Bai Zumo was a mistress. Boo! You shameless bastard! Apart from my sister-in-law, are you worthy enough to like my brother? At this time, he forgot how surprised he was about his sister-in-law Liu Zhu King and how blind she was to fall in love with his own brother. Boss Ba. Shut up. As soon as Zhu Hui opened his mouth, Liu Zhu King and Bai Zumo glared at him at the same time, forcing the latter to shut up and twice in disappointment. Liu Zhu King narrowed her eyes and looked at Bai Zumo coldly. Do you think you can snatch him away from me? Can't I? Bai Zumo chuckled, then took a step forward and took Zhu Hui's arm. The soft body pressed against Zhu Hui, and the latter's old face suddenly turned red. Especially the big brown waves that were swaying back and forth. A hair fluttered under Zhu Hui's nose, making Zhu Hui feel itchy. What is Mr. Ba doing? Zhu Hui's heart contracted violently. Can't I? At this time, Bai Zumo repeated it proudly to Liu Zhu King again. Liu Zhu King's starry eyes instantly flashed with intense anger and shame. Then, under Zhu Hui's astonished gaze, the next moment, Liu Zhu King also took a step forward. He held Zhu Hui's other arm. No one else has the right to touch my things, even if they are garbage, unless I don't want them. So domineering. The next moment, Liu Zhu King pulled Zhu Hui. I'm hungry, go home now and cook for me. Snort. However, as soon as Liu Zhu King said this, Zhu Hui was stunned for a moment. Liu Zhu King immediately gave him a cold look. It must feel great to be surrounded by girls on both sides, right? Cheat man? The famous scene of 2 women. one on each side, had already stunned Lin Hao, Zhu Qian and others nearby. Even Zhu's mother Liu Zhen initially thought that Liu Zuking would slap Zhu Hu in anger and run away crying and shouting something like, "I want to go back to my parents' home." Who would have thought that at this time, the daughter-in-law who seemed so delicate in his eyes would actually become so domineering? Zhu Mo sneered. "Oh, you think I will leave Zhu Hu just because of a few words? We are the kind of relationship where I only wear a certain piece of clothing for him to admire. Have you reached that level?" "What kind of clothes?" "It's just that before the last meeting, you asked me to get you a coat in advance, but you put it on and felt too hot, so you took it off in the end. So I was the only one who saw it. Can this be said so ambiguously? Also, when I was with you, I never mentioned Liu Zuking. Why the hell should I mention her? Who has so much free time as to describe his girlfriend to his boss all day long? Could such words cause misunderstanding?" The next moment, Zhu Hui turned his head and looked at Liu Zuking. Her face was stern, but her eyes were filled with complexity and anger. "He also taught me how to use the shower head while taking a shower." "I'm just teaching you how to use the shower head. How can that be considered playing with it?" A black line appeared on Zhu Hui's forehead. Sumo had no intention of admitting defeat. He even watched Scallop spit water with me. Lin Hao was the first one who couldn't stand the driving of two women, and a trickle of blood spurted out of his nose. Zhu Hui was in a similar situation, except that he was complaining in his heart. "What's wrong with Mr. Ba? What's with the Scallop spitting water? I just accompanied her to the seafood market to sell clams. This lord. I am married to him." Liu Zuking now used her ultimate move. Zumo, however, remained calm and didn't care. "His mouth isn't the only thing that can make me drool." Now even Zhu Hui couldn't help it anymore. He pushed the two women away and ran upstairs in shame and anger. Zumo glanced at Liu Zuking proudly. "See? He is planning to reward himself by looking at my photo. Fuck you." Lin Hao's nose was bleeding continuously, and he finally chose to surrender. Following Zhu Hui, the two brothers went upstairs one after another. "Hey, Lin Hao. Remember to remind Zhu Hui that Chinese Valentine's Day is coming soon. Ask him to accompany me out for dinner, movies, and shopping. This is a work assignment." Liu Zuking widened her eyes. Is this really possible? She has read a lot of books during this period, so of course she knows what the Chinese Valentine's Day is about. That is a festival for lovers. How could this vixen be? Izumo asked Zhu Hui to accompany her on Chinese Valentine's Day. "Then who will accompany me? You dare. See if I dare see you on Valentine's Day." After saying this, Izumo turned around and got into the Porsche. With a roar, the car drove away. At the beginning, Liu Zuking didn't care much about Zhu Hui. In fact, if Izumo hadn't reminded her, she didn't think it was necessary to take human festivals like the Chinese Valentine's Day seriously. But at this moment, Liu Zuking gritted her teeth. "Just wait and see. I've said before, even if my things are garbage, I won't allow anyone to touch them." Chapter 53. She is not as good as me. I've said before, even if my things are garbage, I won't allow anyone to touch them. My man is also my thing. When she thought of this, Liu Zuking narrowed her eyes and stared at Izumo's car. Until the car went away, and even its taillights could no longer be seen. Liu Zuking then silently withdrew her gaze. Zhu Qian, who was standing next to her, thought that her sister-in-law was angry, so she quickly jumped out and took the woman's arm to comfort her. "Sister-in-law, don't be angry. Mistresses these days are so shameless. Being angry is harmful to your health. Your body is your own. You must not upset the fetus." Yes. Xiao Yu, don't worry. I will deal with that bad boy Zhu Hu when I go upstairs. He has been doing bad things day by day and has even gotten involved in some philandering. This problem must have been inherited from his father. He cheated before getting married. I will definitely help you get justice today. At the same time, Lao Zhu, who was on a business trip far away, suddenly sneezed twice. "Who is talking about me?" Wiped his nose. Lao Zhu put aside the thought of who was thinking about him and continued to lie on the bed in the hotel reading the newspaper. Now in middle age, he is too lazy to figure out which girl or which female colleague of the same age in the company would care about him. At this age, apart from one's own health, what one cares about most are actually children and wife. Thinking of my son who is troublesome but reliable. Our quarrels all their lives, but it was his first wife who raised Zhu Hu with great difficulty. Lao Zhu couldn't help but curl up the corners of his lips into a smile. I really want to go back and reunite with them soon. As soon as he thought of this, Lao Zhu suddenly saw a report in the newspaper about the bank robbery opposite Songdai International when Zhu Hu was in middle school. Lao Zhu actually didn't have the habit of reading newspapers. Until his son grew up, went to college, and left home. Although old Zhu didn't say it, he still wanted to secretly pay attention to his son's life, so he developed the habit of reading newspapers. The friendship between father and son is like this. It is more difficult to get him to say the 6 words "son, dad loves you" to Zhu Hu than to kill him. Besides being awkward, there is also embarrassment. But in fact, Zhu Mingyuan cares a lot about Zhu Hue. It's just like Li Yuzhen, who nags all day long, or talks on the phone for long hours when she misses her son. Lao Zhu himself felt annoyed, let alone his son who had such a volatile personality. He has always believed that children should have their own space when they grow up. So unless there is something important, Mr. Zhu will only call Zhu Hue once a week at most. Zhongdai International. Is it the Zhongdai International opposite Shengxi Entertainment? The next moment, Lao Zhu's expression froze and he began to panic unconsciously, because the bank where the robbery took place in the newspaper was right across the street from his son's workplace. And he also saw his son's photo among the hostage pictures. That's when Lao Zhu's hand touched the phone. Suddenly the phone rang and another call came in. Hello? Uncle Zhu, I'm Ba Zhu Mo. Hey, Xiao I have something to do right now, how about I get back to you later? Old Zhu, who is usually calm, was rarely flustered. Ba Zhu Mo seemed to know what Lao Zhu was thinking, and the next moment she said, Uncle, I just want to report to you that I just saw Zhu Hue. He is not injured and is fine. Call. Hearing this, Zhu Mingyuan's tense muscles suddenly relaxed. It's alright. Yes, I have just gone to Kangwu Street to see Zhu Hue. He is alive and well, don't worry, Uncle. I think Zhu Hue will be able to report to you tomorrow when he is free. The brat encountered such a big thing, but he didn't even bother to say hello to his dad afterwards. For the first time, Lao Zhu couldn't help but doubt himself. Is it because this son has been brought up to be too independent? The next moment, Lao Zhu noticed another strange point in the words. Once you have free time, will you report to me tomorrow that you are safe? Why wait until tomorrow? Lao Zhu works within the system, so he speaks with great discretion and is accustomed to organizing his words before speaking. Oh, he just went through such a big thing, maybe the police will summon him to cooperate with the investigation. That's not right, this kid has already returned home. The middle-aged man Lao Zhu frowned. Hey, Xiao. Beep beep beep. After hesitating for a while, Lao Zhu just opened his mouth. All I could hear was a busy tone on the other end of the phone. He smacked his lips in dismay. Am I a person with such a gentle personality and I speak too slowly? In a rare incident, due to his inner anxiety, Lao Zhu actually began to recall his entire life. Thinking of my son Zhu Hue, whose face is not handsome but is the one I have watched grow up since he was a child. I watched him grow up to look nothing like his parents. But now he looks like his wife, with features like mine. A sense of accomplishment involuntarily emerged in Lao Zhu's heart. Maybe it's because Li Yuzhen and Zhu Qian are both at home. So they plan to celebrate the brat's survival tonight and can only contact me tomorrow. Old Zhu thought for a moment. He probably never dreamed that Zhu Hue was facing a small Shura field tonight. The most important thing is that he has never flirted with his female boss, President Ba. And who believes this? Not to mention Liu Zuking and the others. Even Lin Hao, who went to college with them and worked in the same company after graduation, didn't believe it. Even Lin Hao started to imagine the secrets of the female president series. On the other side, Li Yuzhen and Zhu Qian tried to comfort her. Zhu Hue must have inherited this habit from his father. Our Li family doesn't have the habit of flirting with other women's. Zhu Hue's father is like this after he married me. I once discovered the love letters he had secretly hidden from his first love. Li Yuzhen said this just to enlighten Liu Zuking. Of course she gets angry every time it's brought up. But let me be frank. In this matter, Li Yuzhen really misunderstood Comrade Lao Zhu. In that era, transportation was slow and one could only love one person in their lifetime. Old Zhu always obeyed his wife's words. And even the family's financial power was handed over to Li Yuzhen. He usually has to ask Zhu's mother Li Yuzhen for money for smoking if there is something fishy going on. It would be weird. Last time, Li Yuzhen was just a middle-aged woman taking advantage of the situation. Fortunately, she has a reasonable husband who can always tolerate her. As expected, these words did divert the attention of Zhu Qian and Liu Zuking. Zhu Qian couldn't help but ask, what happened next? Did you divorce your uncle? It was a fuss, he didn't agree. The next moment, Li Yuzhen said angrily. I was so angry that I used the excuse that I didn't do well on the midterm exam and pulled Zhu Hue out to practice with him until the second half of the night. I almost ended up in the ICU, and that's it. I still don't feel relieved. Good job. Zhu Qian was staring as she listened nearby. I always heard from her mother that her cousin Zhu Hue was beaten all the time when he was a child, and he was simply Li Yuzhen's punching bag. At first Zhu Qian didn't believe it. But now that she heard the person involved admitted himself, Zhu Qian suddenly felt a little sympathy for her cousin. The next moment, Li Yuzhen rolled up her sleeves. Xiaoliu, don't be angry if you want to fight, we will do it together later. Zhu Qian's mouth, which let us go together. Fortunately, Liu Zuking shook her head upon hearing this, with a gleam of confidence in her eyes. It's okay, Aunt Li. I'm not angry anyway. I can be sure of one thing, she is not as good as me. The she here refers to be Izumo, of course. Compared to the paper-like senior sister Myanzu who was iPhone 14 screensaver at the beginning. This real Izumo seems to be barely able to be considered an opponent. In terms of appearance alone, she is indeed on par with Liu King. In terms of body shape, the two are evenly matched. Liu King may be slightly taller, but Izumo's figure is 3 points better. Liu King has a cold temperament, while Izumo has a domineering temperament. It can only be said that the two women have their own merits. She is definitely not as good as you. She is not as good as you in any way. She is just a mistress. How can she compare with my sister-in-law? The lackey Kion immediately stood up and agreed, and then asked, slyly the next moment. But, sister-in-law, I'm still curious about what you are so confident about. Liu Zhen stared with eyes wide open. So I had worked so hard to bring back the topic. But you, a little girl, brought it back with just a few words, right? Because I am pregnant with Zhu Hua's child. She is just a virgin. What she said just now is just empty talk. Just for this reason, I am ahead of her. Liu King. Chapter 54, There is a traitor. That night, Zhu Hu was subjected to a severe criticism meeting at home. Even Kion, his lackey, betrayed him for the first time and sided with Liu King and her mother Liu Zhen. Not only did he fail to intervene in the middle to ease relations between the two sides, he even poured cold water on the fire and added fuel to the fire. It seems that Kion is determined to become a supporter of her sister-in-law Liu King. Fortunately, Zhu Hua took out his mobile phone and provided the chat records, proving the innocent relationship between the two. Only then did Kion give her cousin a better look. However, even so, Liu Zhen still felt that Zhu Hua might have deleted part of the chat and did not completely dispel his suspicion. Ever since her son got a girl pregnant before marriage, Liu Zhen never trusted Zhu Hua again. Now, in her opinion, what does it matter if Zhu Hua is to timing? As long as the two girls aren't getting pregnant, it wouldn't be considered earth-shattering news. It lasted for half an hour, and the three women showed no intention of letting him go. Zhu Hua looked at the three women in the room with grievance. Have you all forgotten that I am only 23 years old and have just survived a catastrophe? Oh, this isn't a reason for you to have two relationships at the same time, is it? They didn't. Mr. BA has a volatile personality. He must be joking. She is a child of an aristocratic family after all. To put it bluntly, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. How could she possibly fall for me? As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the air froze for a moment. Liu Zhen and Kion looked in the direction of Liu King again. Then his eyes swept back and forth between Zhu Hu and Liu King. Brother, you shouldn't be so convinced that you are worthy of your sister-in-law, right? Kion muttered while holding a decalcium. It's not an isolated case. I've always felt that blindness isn't necessarily an isolated case. Sister-in-law, don't get me wrong, I didn't mean to scold you. I just said that my brother is not worthy of you. Very good. One sentence perfectly offends two people. It still has to be you. Kion. In the end, it was because the landlord came down to collect the rent. The woman reluctantly chose to let Zhu Hua go. The part where Liu Zhen was looking forward to beating her son did not happen. Instead, she felt a little unsatisfied, so she put away her dishes and left with a chuckle. Uncle Shang, I'll bring the cash to you in 2 days. I was robbed at the bank this afternoon, and then. What, you were robbed? Uncle Shang adjusted his reading glasses. Zhu Hua coughed. No, didn't you watch the news? It was a big deal. The police rescued me after the bank closed, so I couldn't withdraw cash. Also, I'm thinking of visiting you at your house in a couple of days to teach you how to use the QR code on your smartphone to receive payments. It's much easier at worst. I can accompany you when you collect rent every month. The tenants upstairs are all old tenants, few of them will cheat you. Hearing this, Uncle Shang nodded. His children all work in other provinces, and the old man makes a living by collecting rent from this house in the urban village. We had been accepting cash before because our son was worried that his grandfather didn't know how to operate a smartphone and might encounter a scammer who would take away his retirement savings. In addition, his son seldom comes home a few times a year and has no time to teach Grandpa Sheng how to use a mobile phone. As a result, all the tenants in Zhu Hua's entire building have to go to the bank to withdraw cash to pay Grandpa Sheng's rent on rent due dates. Finally, Uncle Shang took the cash to the bank and deposited it into his passbook. This is indeed too inefficient. There are several more steps in the middle, which is quite troublesome. It would be much easier if he could pay directly online, and then find someone to exchange it for cash for Uncle Sheng. If that doesn't work, he can withdraw cash from online banking and deposit it into his card, which is more convenient than withdrawing cash. I see. Okay, Xiao Zhu. I'm glad you're okay. Come to my house for hot pot later. Uncle Shang smiled gently. Elderly people are actually quite curious about the electronic products that young people have. I have a lot of free time and are eager to learn how to use them. Grandpa Shan bought a smartphone a long time ago. Unfortunately, his children have been working outside and no one taught him how to play. For Mr. Zhang, the smartphone he changed to is nothing more than a simple way to make calls and send text messages. Okay. I'll come to see you in 2 days. He had just seen off Uncle Shang and before Zhu Hui could close the door, the iron gate opposite opened instantly, and Uncle Wang, holding the garbage, greeted Zhu Hui with a sneaky look. Uncle Wang, are you going out to take out the trash? Yeah, Xiao Zhu, I just heard you talking to the landlord about robbery. Who was robbed? This kind of small floor in the urban village has no sound insulation, and Zhu Hui and the landlord were chatting in the corridor with the door open. Most of the tenants in such places are retired and older people with nothing to do. What they like most is to watch the fun and gossip. When he heard that he could eat melons, Uncle Wang, who was on the front line, naturally jumped out. Zhu Hui glanced at the garbage in Uncle Wang's hand, and the corners of his mouth twitched violently. The trash bag wasn't even full, but you had to act like you were going out to take out the trash in the middle of the night and just happened to see me. It turns out that he really spent a lot of money just to eat melons. It's nothing, Uncle Wang. I was just unlucky and got robbed at the bank. But I'm fine and I didn't lose any money. This matter has also been reported in the news. You can pay attention to it later. Hearing this, Uncle Wang's heart, which had been burning with desire to eat the melon, suddenly sank. That's it? Just a few words and you're done? He thought it was a big deal and could become a topic of conversation with other residents when he played cards tomorrow. This is the result. There was an obvious hint of disappointment in Uncle Wang's eyes. Oh, I'm glad you're okay. Hey, honey, do you still have garbage in your kitchen? I'll help you throw it away too. After saying this, Uncle Wang pretended to pick up the garbage bag and went back to the house. Zhu Hui's mouth twitched again. So you think the melon is not big enough, and you don't want to go down and throw away the garbage just to listen to some gossip? Zhu Hui understands the nature of these middle-aged uncles and aunts. Now that I am retired, all I do every day is walk the dog and occasionally go to the yard to exercise. Eating melons and gossiping are probably one of the few pleasures in their lives. However, Zhu Hui also knew that rumors were powerful, and that the final version would be terrifying if it was spread based on false information. He didn't want to become the topic of conversation among these uncles, grandpas and aunts. Unfortunately, Zhu Hui still underestimated Uncle Wang's ability to spread the news. After returning home, Uncle Wang sent messages to several residents he knew well. Have you heard, my neighbor? The young man across the street, Zhu Hui, was robbed. Passerby. What? Where was he robbed? Uncle Wang, he said the bank. But I think the person is fine, and it doesn't look like he was robbed in a bank. Bank robbers are all very vicious people, and they won't let anyone come back safely like that. Oh, yes. I saw Zhu Hui's mother come this afternoon. There were noises of quarrels coming from the house from time to time. Just now, the landlord came to collect the rent, but Zhu Hui said he had no money to pay. I think it's more likely that he ran into something. Passerby, have you heard? The guy downstairs from me was set up by someone. Passerby, absolutely. I just heard what his neighbor Lao Wang said. Lao Wang said that the young man didn't even have the money to pay the rent, and there was a quarrel in their house just now. I think the young man probably ordered a home service and was caught by his girlfriend, who demanded compensation. Passerby, you don't know. Even his mother was alarmed. Passerby, have you heard? There was a guy in our neighborhood who attempted rape and was caught by his girlfriend. The mother of the girl across the street was alarmed and ran to the house to demand compensation. Passerby, who is it? Passerby, that is the young man Zhu Hui who lives on the 3rd floor. You have seen him. His neighbor next door saw it with his own eyes. The young man could only respond submissively to the landlord's rent collection. He even had no money to pay the rent. It seems that he was blackmailed for a large sum of money. This kind of gossip spreads extremely quickly, and each version is more outrageous than the last. In less than 10 minutes, Zhu Hui, the bank robbery victim, turned into a rapist. If Zhu Hui heard this, he would probably get so angry that he would get a brain congestion. The reason I didn't tell Uncle Wang next door about the bank robbery was because I was afraid that you would spread rumors and make irresponsible remarks. But when it came to your mouth, it became an ambiguous and specious version that was passed on. It's not that he doesn't have money to pay the rent, it's just that he doesn't have cash to pay the rent, okay? Because of this, he became a rapist as the story spread. Is this reasonable? However, the version passed down by Uncle Wang was normal, and it was basically the same as what Uncle Wang himself understood. But when it came to the next person, the version changed again. In the end, the neighbors even alarmed the police after so much discussion. At about 11 o'clock, the policeman knocked on Zhu Hui's door. Hello, we are from the community. Hey. Why are you here again? Aren't you the girl who stole someone's breakfast last time? Liu King has a beautiful appearance and an extraordinary temperament. Almost everyone who has seen her once can remember her appearance. The two policemen happened to be the same ones who dealt with Li Zuking's incident of stealing someone's breakfast last time. Forehead. Noticing that Li Zuking's expression had become somewhat unnatural, Zhu Hui coughed. Comrades, what happened? We received a report from the public that someone raped someone in your house, and the victim's mother was alarmed in the afternoon. In the end, you settled the matter privately. This kind of thing has seriously touched the bottom line of the law. It is not something you can just settle privately, so we came here to understand the situation. But, rape? At this moment, Uncle Wang opposite also opened the door immediately. Arad police officer, what happened? Hello, we received a report that an attempted rape occurred in this house this afternoon. So we came to investigate. The next moment, Uncle Wang said with his eyes wide open. Rape? That's nonsense. Xiaozu works at the nearby Shengxi Entertainment Company. His girlfriend just moved in with him recently. How can this be considered rape? Who raped whom? That's nonsense. Xiaozu and I have known each other for such a long time, he would never do such a thing. The policeman coughed twice in embarrassment. It was mainly spread by neighbors, who also said that the victim's parents had just arrived at the house and a heated argument had broken out between the two sides. What victim's parents? That's Xiaozu's mother. Uncle Wang frowned. What nonsense are these neighbors talking about all day? I live across from Xiaozu's house. If something this big happened in their family, how could I not know about it? I see. The two policemen also smiled bitterly. Uncle Wang has not yet realized that he was the one who spread the first version. If it weren't for him, the neighbors wouldn't have ended up spreading rumors into such an outrageous version. The two policemen glanced at Zuhu and Li Zuking. They didn't look like they had just been raped and their girlfriend had caught them in the act, so they were furious and had just had an argument. I guess the neighbors just misunderstood it based on hearsay. They simply registered Zuhu's ID number and left. What the hell is going on? At the end of the day, I almost became a rapist for no apparent reason. Xiaozu, don't worry, Uncle Wang believes in you. Hearing this, Zuhu glanced at Uncle Wang. He had no idea who had come up with the final version that said he was a rapist. But he was sure that the first version was most likely spread from his mouth. You still believe me? You are the biggest traitor. It just so happens that I'm not feeling sleepy right now, so why don't we talk about the robbery you encountered? Zhu Hui glanced at him unhappily. There is a traitor. The deal is cancelled. What? To speak human language? That means gun. Gun. Pronounce each word with emphasis. After saying this, Zhu Hui closed the door. Uncle Wang didn't understand what it meant and was thinking about it for a long time. Until I was lying in bed with my wife. He asked subconsciously. Hey, wife, do you know what gun means? Roll. Uncle Wang was puzzled. Didn't I just ask what gun means? Why are you asking me to get out? Chapter 55, Who is more beautiful? Aren't you going to rest tonight? Zhu Qian is already asleep. After the farce just now ended, Zhu Hua returned to the house and glanced at Li Zuking, and found that the woman was still sitting in the living room with a book in her hands, carefully scanning the contents of the book in the dim light of the reading lamp. Zhu Hua smacked his lips. Li Zuking had been sleeping with Zhu Qian for the past 2 days. After all, after the two met again, their relationship never had a chance to make a breakthrough and warm up. Letting them live together, even if they did nothing, would be inexplicably awkward for both of them. So Zhu Hui always slept alone in the guest room. The other slightly larger two-bedroom house was given to the two women to rest. If you sleep too late, be careful not to wake up Zhu Qian. How about you sleep in my room while you rest, and I'll sleep in the living room. Zhu Hui poured a glass of water for Yu Zuking, placed it on the coffee table and was about to leave. Yu King looked up at Zhu Hui, with a hint of confusion in her eyes. You go to sleep. I'm not too sleepy if it's too late. I can stay here for a while. It won't be a problem. As she spoke, Yu King patted the sofa under her butt. Okay. The next moment, as Zhu Hui turned his head, Liu King suddenly said, You and that woman. I swear to God, there's nothing between us. Zhu Hui thought that Liu King was thinking about Bai Zumo again. Was he going to be scolded for doing it again? He didn't want to be pulled out to practice alone in the middle of the night, so he patted his chest and made a promise. Well, I don't think you dare to play these little tricks in front of me. But you still have to be clear about one thing: if you can't control your lower body, I will really make you childless. After saying this, Liu King suddenly stood up and walked towards the bathroom. Zhu Hui coughed. According to Liu King's behavior, it was not impossible for him to be childless. However, he and Mr. Ba were as innocent as green onions and tofu, so there was no need to worry. Thinking of this, Zhu Hui patted his chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, is Liu King jealous of me? The next moment, a surprising thought flashed through Zhu Hui's mind. This thought would not go away soon after that. Besides feeling a little surprised, he also felt a little proud. It turns out that fairies who are detached from worldly affairs can also fall in love with mortals. Why don't you go into the house and rest? What are you grinning about? It's okay. I just suddenly thought of some happy things. Oh, I'm going to take a shower, you'd better watch your eyes. After hearing this, Zhu Hua quickly hid in the guest room. Leaning against the door, he still touched the tip of his nose in disappointment. This woman is really something it's not like she hasn't seen it before. And you can look at me, so why can't I look at you? What are you mumbling about over there? No, it's okay. Snort. Liu Zuqing herself didn't know why in fact. When her mother-in-law Liu Zhen was around, Liu Zuqing didn't think it was a big deal. Some people even felt that it was a bit of an exaggeration for Zhu Qian and Liu Zhen to hold a special criticism meeting. The woman named Bia Izumo was obviously a virgin. Both in her gait and temperament. Combined with Su Hua's reaction, Liu Zuqing was 80% sure that they were innocent. But when I was alone at night, I couldn't help but start to have random thoughts in my mind. This is also the root cause of Liu Zuqing's insomnia. Even if they are innocent for now, what will happen over time? This was the first worry in Liu Zuqing's mind. What about the future? That woman is obviously interested in Zhu Hua. You can't hide your concern for someone. I can feel that she likes Zhu Hua. Liu Zuqing pouted her red lips. She was full of confidence in front of Liu Zhen. But she is not a human after all. And the Tianjuan continent also has her own mission. Even if she postponed her return temporarily for Zhu Hua, she, Liu Zuqing, would have to go back sooner or later. By then, when all the people around will be gone, will that woman take advantage of the situation and sneak into the house? And Zhu Hua, is he really so obsessed with me? Liu Zuqing takes a bath almost every day before going to bed, but this time it took exceptionally long. After taking a shower, Liu Zuqing wrapped herself in a white bath towel and sat in the living room with her long legs crossed, her chin held high, pondering, not knowing what she was thinking about. The night gradually deepened. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, Zhu Hua got up to go to the bathroom and found that the reading light in the living room was still on at this time. He walked into the living room and took a look. I saw that cold and beautiful figure squatting on the sofa with her knees hugged. Her eyes seemed to be looking out the window, and I don't know what was in her head. A woman's long black hair was casually draped behind her like a waterfall. From this angle, you can just see her full nose and attractive profile. She is wrapped in a white bath towel, with only her long legs exposed, swaying her legs in a way that makes your heart beat faster. Aren't you going to rest yet? It's very late. Zhu Hua's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. A gurgle. Liu Zuqing is really charming from this angle. The next moment, Liu Zuqing didn't even look in Zhu Hua's direction, but just spoke slowly. I asked you. Wow. As she spoke, Liu Zuqing slowly stood up. She also took off her bathrobe to Zhu Hua's surprise. What was underneath the bathrobe was not Snow White, but a black maid outfit with lace edges. Of course, compared to Liu Zuqing's usual antique long skirts, the maid outfit is already quite revealing, with her delicate collarbone and a pair of arms completely exposed. Especially that long white leg as a contrast. Zhu Hua's throat felt a little dry after watching this. Liu Zuqing noticed Zhu Hua's somewhat aggressive gaze and her pretty face turned slightly red. For Liu Zuqing, who is aloof and arrogant, a maid outfit is already a big challenge. She bit her red lips with her pearly teeth and slowly spoke to Zhu Hua. Haven't you seen the clothes she only wore for you? I have only worn this dress for you, so between me and her, who is more beautiful? Chapter 56, Nosy Zhu Qian. Liu Zuqing didn't believe all of Bia Izumo's words. But there was no disbelief at all. At least nothing physical had happened between the two of them. But Liu Zuqing hoped, both physically and mentally, that Zhu Hua would only appreciate her. This feeling is very strange. How can I describe it? Before Bia Izumo appeared, if Zhu Hua suddenly jumped out and said to Liu Zuqing, "Baby, I love you, baby, you are all in my eyes, in my heart. Everything is mine," these lyrics, Liu Zuqing would most likely not care at all. Even just nodded silently. And then nothing happened. She still needs some time to process the qualitative change in their relationship. If there is not enough time for them to get along with each other, Liu Zuqing will definitely not take the next step with Zhu Hua. But the appearance of Bia Zumo just became the catalyst for the qualitative change in their relationship. Liu Zuqing now suddenly had an inexplicable sense of crisis. What she was most worried about was that she would lose her status in Zhu Hua's eyes and heart. This feeling is probably the legendary jealousy. Gurgle. His Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. Zhu Hua stared at Liu Zuqing with wide eyes. He didn't dare to glance around, for fear that the woman would get angry over something she said, so even though Liu Zuqing suddenly came with such a big gift package tonight, Zhu Hui actually felt that it was not real? Are you still annoyed by what Mr. B.A. I said this afternoon? There's really nothing going on between us. If you wanna hit me, you can find another reason there's no need to use this honey trap, I won't be fooled. Zhu Hui coughed, and unexpectedly he seemed like Liu Xiaohui, who remained calm even when a woman sat on his lap. The next moment, he obediently withdrew his gaze and wanted to go back to the room. Originally, Liu Zuking saw Zhu Hua staring at her with his eyes wide open. In addition to shyness, she also felt a little proud. You pervert, I just don't believe that I'm not as charming as a vixen. However, at this moment, Zhu Hui obediently withdrew his gaze, which instead irritated Liu Zuking again. What's going on? When she was in Tianjuan continent, Liu Zuking charmed countless outstanding young men from the demon clan. Just relying on her stunning beauty, countless demon families wanted to use her as an excuse to form an alliance. Liu Zuking is quite confident in herself. As a result, at this moment, Zhu Hui just took 2 glances and then looked away. Am I not attractive anymore? As soon as Zhu Hui turned around, Liu Zuking followed closely with light lotus steps. The next moment, the woman appeared in front of Zhu Hui accompanied by gusts of fragrant wind. Liu Zuking's black hair fluttered slowly in the wind as she stared at Zhu Hui. The two of them were so close that they could hear each other's breathing. This was the first time that Zhu Hui looked at the Ice Lotus Queen at such a close distance after their reunion. In reality, she was truly breathtakingly beautiful. Thus staring at her from this distance, Zhu Hui couldn't help feeling inferior. Especially the woman's long hair was still wet, and her whole body exuded the fragrance of just having a bath. It was dark and there was only a man and a woman. Liu Zuking also has a maid outfit, which is extremely tempting to any man. In your eyes, I am worse than a vixen? Liu Zuking frowned. Waves of anger suddenly burned in my chest. Zhu Hui was stunned for a moment. No, then why don't you dare look at me? I'm shy. Shy. The next moment, Liu Zuking gritted her teeth, and in front of Zhu Hui's astonished gaze, she grabbed the man's neck, pulling Zhu Hui to stagger, and their cheeks touched each other. Just as Zhu Hui was about to speak, his mouth was blocked. From such a close distance, all Zhu Hui could see was Liu Zuking's pair of cold and bright eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered at the corners of her eyes before he could feel the woman's lips. He felt a bloody taste in his mouth. Hiss, it hurts. You bit me? What's wrong with biting you? A faint flame danced in Zhu Hui's pupils. His palm even held the woman's slender waist, dishonestly. When I loosened the leash, you're on your own. As he said that, Zhu Hui hugged Liu Zuking. Originally, he was planning to restrain himself. But who knew that Liu Zuking didn't know what went wrong in her brain and actually dared to bite him? What do you want to do to me? Liu Zuking didn't know what she was thinking at first, and she actually took the initiative to kiss the man. But at this moment, when Zhu Hui held her slender waist with both hands, a rare hint of panic flashed across her pupils, and her heart was pounding. Why do I have this uneasy feeling? What do you think? Zhu Hui pressed closer and closer towards the woman. And just when something unspeakable was about to happen, suddenly an inopportune voice sounded slowly. You too, there are other people in the house. Brother, sister-in-law is a pregnant woman after all. Can you be more careful? Zhu Qian. Zhu Hui and Liu Zuking separated instantly as if they had been electrocuted. Liu Zuking's pretty face was still red as she tittied her appearance. Zhu Hui glanced at Zhu Qian fiercely with an annoyed look on his face, but Zhu Qian was not afraid of her brother at all. Brother, my sister-in-law is pregnant. You have to be restrained. Sister-in-law, this is a critical moment, you have to have common sense. Generally, you can only do that kind of thing after 3 months. Your fetus is not stable yet, be careful of miscarriage. My brother doesn't know how to take care of a woman. Do you know your own physical condition? You are a little kid with a smart mind, and you are the only one who talks too much. Zhu Qian looked righteous and first taught her brother a lesson, and then complained to her sister-in-law. At the end, he even acted as if he was worried about the baby who was about to be born. Hey, ain't you just let me save some trouble? It's not easy for me to be an aunt. Come on, sister-in-law. Let's go back to sleep. Zhu Hui looked at Liu Zuking eagerly. The woman lowered her eyebrows and her rosy face looked like a ripe apple, making people want to take a bite. Hello? How about letting your sister-in-law accompany me tonight, and we won't do anything? What are you thinking? Men's words are always deceiving. I won't let my sister-in-law fall into the tiger's mouth. Zhu Qian elbowed Zhu Hui and rolled her eyes. He grabbed Liu Zuking and walked towards the master bedroom. Before leaving, he turned his head and glanced at Zhu Hui. Don't come into our house in the dark at night. I am to your mother. My feelings towards your mother are purely aunt and nephew. If there is nothing wrong, please stop telling tales to the elders. It will only cause trouble to your aunt, don't you think? After saying this, Zhu Hui touched the tip of his nose angrily and returned to the house. Liu Zuking stared at his shabby figure, who kept looking back every few steps and couldn't help laughing. Zhu Qian snorted unhappily. Sister-in-law, you are still laughing. If my brother succeeds today and the fetus is injured, you will cry. Liu Zuking's physical fitness is different from that of ordinary people, and she is not a human being. Therefore, she couldn't use human theory to understand her physical condition. Even if I had sex with Zhu Hui today, it would not have much impact on the fetus. However, Liu Zuking knew that Zhu Qian was doing this for her own good. So she just nodded. The two of them went into the room. Chapter 57, Why is he okay? Zhu Hui returned to the guest room, and all his original distress disappeared. Lying on the bed and staring out the window. He felt that the night was long and his whole body was whole. He actually suffered from insomnia. All I could think of was Liu Zuking's delicate and pretty face. Zhu Hui muttered to himself angrily. I wonder if there are any human traffickers nearby. It would be great if we could sell this little light bulb, Zhu Qian, to Africa, where she can never come back. Zhu Qian had no idea that because she had ruined her brother's good deeds, Zhu Hui actually wanted to viciously sell her to Africa. Nothing special happened for the next period of time. Zhu Qian and Liu Zuking would go out shopping from time to time, and the relationship between sister-in-law Liu Zuking and Zhu Qian was gradually warming up. Compared to the innate sense of distance between men and women in Zhu Hui, Zhu Qian, the recognized female version of Zhu Hui, seems to be more likely to win Liu Zuking's favor. In the blink of an eye. There are only 3 days left until the Chinese Valentine's Day. Apart from the brief confrontation with Liu Zuking at the intersection of Kinjwu Street last time, Bioa Izumo was actually very well behaved when interacting with Zhu Hui on weekdays, and there was no sign that she likes Wu Hui at all. Of course, Lin Hao was at the crime scene that day, so he didn't believe that Mr. Bi and Zhu Hui were really innocent. Even what happened that day, this kid would occasionally bring it up and make a joke about it. No wonder I never discovered your relationship with Mr. Ba before. It turns out that Mr. Ba, I can hide it so well you to have to different faces you to don't even have a chance to meet one-on-one in the company. And you rarely go to work together. Lin Hao smacked his lips. So it's normal that I can't find out about your affair, but how do you and Mr. Ba maintain your secret relationship? Do you two just rely on chatting online? What a bullshit underground love affair. Fuck you. Zhu Hui rolled his eyes at Lin Hao in annoyance. In the afternoon, the company held a regular meeting. Originally, for a grassroots employee like Zhu Hui, he didn't have to attend the regular meetings at all, but for some reason, the department manager came over and notified him that Zhu Hui must be present. Although he was somewhat confused, he still attended the regular meeting obediently. In the conference room, Bi Zumo on the podium chattered on and on about a lot of company-related stuff. But these had nothing to do with Zhu Hui, a grassroots worker, and he hardly even glanced in that direction. I was just drawing circles on paper out of boredom the whole time. 3 days from now is Chinese Valentine's Day, and our company will have a day off. However, Bi Zumo's last sentence was so sudden that it resounded in Zhu Hui's ears like a thunderclap. What? Isn't Chinese Valentine's Day on Thursday? Why take Thursday off when you have nothing to do? As soon as these words were spoken, there was an uproar in the audience. But it be that Saba I is in love, so she's not in the company on Chinese Valentine's Day. So she just gave us a day off? I think there is such a possibility after all, Ms. Ba is still a young girl under 25 years old. It is normal for her to fall in love. Damn it, Mr. Ba is actually in a relationship. If that's the case, I have no chance. Amid the noise in the field, there were also many heartbreaking voices. Bi Zumo has outstanding looks, is young and rich. Isn't this the typical image of a rich woman? If I could get Ba Zumo's favor, I would definitely save 30 years of hard work. To put it bluntly, there are many people in the company who have ideas about this female president. Ba Zumo taking a day off on Valentine's Day is almost like announcing that she is in a relationship. At this moment, the scene was shattered. However, Zhu Hui's heart suddenly made a click, and a bad premonition flashed through his mind. Mr. Ba, is this going to fulfill your promise and do what you say? Okay, the regular meeting ends here. Administrative Department Director Lin Hao, Financial Manager CUI, and Security Team Leader will stay in my office to report their work tasks. The rest of you can leave the meeting. The next moment, Bi Zumo tittied the things in front of her, shook her long hair, and the tight suit made her look very professional, especially the crisp sound of her high heels stepping on the ground, which was like stepping on the hearts of these men. Even after Ba Zumo had walked away, many people were still staring at her back. Hey, what are you looking at? Stop looking, I'm telling you, Ms. Bi is already taken. At this moment, Lin Hao suddenly walked over with a smile, joked to a colleague, and glanced at Zhu Hui teasingly. The colleague smacked his lips in regret. Brother Lin Hao, you are so sure. Do you know Mr. Ba's boyfriend? Boyfriend, what boyfriend? It's just an ambiguous relationship. Upon hearing this, the colleague felt a little sorry for Ba Zumo and said, it's just an ambiguous relationship. But Mr. Ba even set aside a day on Valentine's Day for a date. This is too unreserved. It's easy for a man not to cherish her like this. You misunderstood. Hearing this, Lin Hao laughed. If that guy wants, They can confirm their relationship at any time, but it's not that Mr. BI doesn't acknowledge the other person's boyfriend relationship, it's that the guy doesn't accept Mr. BA. As soon as these words came out, the colleague was stunned. What? The next moment, he lay on the table and cried uncontrollably. Where did I lose? Boss BA. Look at me, I can also marry into the family. I'm such a polite boy every time I masturbate in front of your photo. I always press the doorbell before entering the house. Don't you like me like this? Lin Hao and Zhu Hui are both experienced people, and they understood what he meant instantly. You are quite good at it. Lin Hao laughed. Maybe Mr. BA, I likes to keep ringing the doorbell before entering the house. Zhu Hui couldn't help but interject with a smile. Who are you talking about, T? Just then, the crisp sound of high heels was heard. Dang dang. Just talk about me, don't talk about me behind my back, Lin Hao. If you continue to criticize your boss, you don't have to come tomorrow and the one who masturbated to my photo, you're fired. Several people turned their heads and saw Bi Zumo standing at the door with her arms folded across her chest, staring at the three people without changing her expression. Lin Hao and Zhu Hu then dispersed. The crying colleague hasn't reacted yet. When he came to his senses, he murmured in confusion. Zhu Hui also criticized Mr. BA, I just now. How come he is fine? Chapter 58. There are always days worth looking forward to. What? You said your boss gave you a day off for Chinese Valentine's Day. At night, while Li Yuzhen was serving soup, he supervised Liu Zuking and made her drink it up without leaving a drop. Brother Zhu Hui quietly took his sister Zhu Qian out to eat and found a food stall. Zhu Hui briefly described what happened at the afternoon meeting, and Zhu Qian was immediately shocked. No, don't talk nonsense. We gave all employees a day off. What is her purpose then? How do I know what her purpose is? Maybe she wants to go out for a walk on Valentine's Day. Or maybe she feels that work has been tiring during this period and wants to give all employees a holiday. Zhu Hui touched the tip of his nose in dismay, pretending to be ignorant even though he knew the truth. Hearing this, Zhu Qian slapped the table. The sound was so loud that it immediately attracted many guests nearby. However, when they saw that it was a pretty girl, the burly men withdrew their gazes. Fights can easily break out in places like food stalls. But in fact, in many cases, two tables of strangers would fight, mostly because one table made too much noise or the noise was too exaggerated, which aroused the disgust of the people at the other table. Then there was a verbal argument, which eventually turned into physical contact between the two sides. It's actually very simple to avoid this kind of thing. You just need to bring a girl who is somewhat pretty if the person causing the noise is a girl. Or if the person making exaggerated noises and disturbing the people at the next table is a girl, then that's fine. Most people are quite tolerant of girls. So many people just glanced at Zhu Hu and the others and then looked away. The next moment, Zhu Qian sneered. Why did that woman surname BA give all employees a holiday? Don't you have any idea of what's going on? He must be trying to steal my sister-in-law's boyfriend and date you. Zhu Hu's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. For some reason I felt guilty towards Li Zuking, but I clearly didn't do anything. Zhu Qian glared and stared at Zhu Hu closely. Tell me the truth, are you still looking forward to going on a date with that Mr. BA? What are you looking forward to? The person I like is your sister-in-law, can't you see that? I treat her with a clear conscience. Heaven and earth can bear witness to my love for her. I never fight back when I'm beaten or scolded. Who else have you ever seen me do this to? Zhu Hui was even more desperate to cry. Isn't it obvious that I feel for you, Zhu King? You know, in the first week after he woke up, he was searching for information related to Mulberry Village almost every day. Otherwise, this village would have disappeared as if it had never existed. Even if it is possible to get any clues, even if it is the peach blossom spring mentioned by Tao Yuanming, I believe Zhu Hu will go there without hesitation. And you should find a chance to explain to Zabai that you are already in a relationship. No, you are already a married man. Ask her to stop thinking about destroying other people's families. Originally Zhu Qian did want to say that the girl was already taken, but when she thought of her sister-in-law Yu Zuking's appearance, she felt that her brother Zhu Hu is not worthy of the word girl. So she changed her words. The next moment, Zhu Qian knocked on the table with a serious expression. It's wrong to be a mistress, especially to be a mistress knowingly. Hearing this, Zhu Hu smiled bitterly. I don't have any contact with President BA in private. Do you think I can say such things to her in the company? Don't you two have a phone? Telephone. Zhu Hu looked even more embarrassed. What he was more worried about was that he was being too sentimental and that Mr. BA had no interest in him at all, but he ended up nagging like that. In the end, BA Zumo said, "You misunderstood," and was slapped in the face, which was very embarrassing. Is there a compromise solution that would prevent me from having any contact with BA Zumo? But also let the entire company know that I have a girlfriend. That way, no matter whether Mr. BI is really interested in me or not, I think he probably won't have any bad thoughts towards me in the future. With your appearance, you still wanna be evil? Are you worthy of it? Zhu Qian was halfway through her words when she noticed her brother's eyes suddenly turned hostile, and she quickly stopped talking. What I mean is, with Biaizumo's looks, is she qualified to compete with my sister-in-law Liu King? She is simply being self-indulgent, self-righteous, self-deceiving, and Okay, I asked you to find a solution for me, not to recite idioms for me. Zhu Hui couldn't help interrupting Zhu Qian. However, the girl held her chin and pondered for a long time, but still could not come up with any good solution. The brother and sister felt quite depressed during the meal. Zhu Hui has been thinking about how to avoid some uncontrollable things from happening on the Chinese Valentine's Day. What if Mr. Ba really asks him out? Should I reject her directly in front of everyone? Not to mention anything else, just those guys in the company who have feelings for Biaizumo, each of them could drown Zhu Hui with a mouthful of thick phlegm. Just as he thought. If he guessed Mr. Ba's thoughts wrongly, and the other party was not interested in him at all, he would take the initiative to approach him and end up being slapped in the face. It became even more awkward for the two of them to get along with each other from then on. In the adult world, it is too difficult to maintain a delicate and balanced relationship. Zhu Hui didn't want to offend Biaizumo to death. But he also wanted the woman to give up. But there is no perfect solution in the world. When she returned home, Liu King had already seen her mother Liu Zhen off. Almost 2 weeks have passed, and Liu Zhen still insists on checking in every day and making soup for her daughter-in-law. At first Zhu Hui thought his mother was just acting on a whim, but later he gradually discovered Liu Zhen seemed to be very competitive and serious about this matter. It's okay in the summer, I can just take the subway or bus here, but if it's fall or winter, I won't be able to stand the wind and rain. Zhu Hui smacked his lips and glanced at Liu King, who was sitting upright on the sofa. Well, on Valentine's Day, shall we go out for a walk? Oh. Liu King nodded nonchalantly, but a hint of tenderness appeared between her brows. In fact, she had been waiting for this sentence for a long time. Before, she didn't understand why the human race had so many miscellaneous holidays. But after being provoked by Biaizumo that day, Liu King suddenly realized that the Chinese Valentine's Day seemed to have extraordinary significance for lovers and couples. In that case, she certainly wouldn't let Zhu Hui go on Chinese Valentine's Day. However, the arrogant Ice Lotus Queen behaved quite calmly. Where do you want to take me? Just walk around. In order not to disturb the two of them, Zhu Qian went into the house to watch TV as soon as she came back. The girl knows her limits very well. Dating is a matter between two people. A third person can act as a listener. But she has no right and no reason to put herself in the other person's shoes and give any suggestions. How many couples break up because of the girl's best friend causing trouble? Therefore, Zhu Qian would never interfere when it was not her place to do so. Leave enough space for Zhu Hui and Liu King. Liu King glanced at the TV. It also begins to introduce sporadically the activities of various shopping malls during the Chinese Valentine's Day. I really don't understand why you humans have so many miscellaneous festivals. And each one seems to be quite solemn. From what I know, Country Z has more than a dozen festivals a year. Add to that the holidays brought over from the West. And there are 360 days in a year. All the holidays alone would take up about a month. Liu King's eyebrows were slightly furrowed. Are there so many days to celebrate? Hearing this, Zhu Hui frowned for the first time, putting away his usual cynical smile. You don't know this. Holidays are not only to celebrate certain moments, but also to remember a certain period of history. How should I put it? This is a long-standing cultural heritage of a nation with a historical imprint. Lantern Festival, Spring Festival, New Year's Day, Little New Year, Winter Solstice, various solar terms. Behind each festival, there is actually a story. It has been passed down from generation to generation through word of mouth. For example, the Chinese Valentine's Day in 3 days is a very suitable festival for couples to celebrate together. It is because there is a sad love story behind it. Only on this day can the cowherd and the weaver girl meet on the Magpie Bridge. I personally think it is the most romantic traditional festival. Hearing this, Liu King nodded as if she understood. Zhu Hui knew that if he wanted her to accept everything he had been exposed to since childhood, it would take time. He chuckled, and suddenly changed his words to something meaningful. Just understand it as among these dull and boring days, there must be a few days worth looking forward to and being surprised. Expectations and surprises. After these words were spoken, Liu King held her chin in the air and pondered for a moment, which was rare. Because I am about to spend Chinese Valentine's Day with my lover. So many couples are looking forward to that day. Liu King glanced at Zhu Hui with her beautiful eyes. When Zhu Hui came over today and invited her to celebrate Chinese Valentine's Day together 3 days later, she seemed to feel a little relieved. This feeling is like waiting and getting a response. At this moment, Liu King was slightly stunned. This seat seems also looking forward to it. Chapter 59, If you can't get it, destroy it. Although I am not interested in your holidays. Since you have invited me, I will temporarily agree if I have other things to do that day, we will talk about it later. After saying this, the arrogant Ice Lotus Queen did not give Zhu Hu a chance to refute, and turned around and went into the bedroom. Zhu Hu stood there for a moment, then muttered to himself. Suddenly I feel that Liu Zuking seems to be quite cute. First, the woman has no job. And second, she has no other friends in this world. Would it be possible that someone else would ask her out on Valentine's Day? Agreeing reluctantly is just an excuse for the sake of saving face. A woman's modesty. Since Li Zuking said so, it was a foregone conclusion that the two would go on a date on Chinese Valentine's Day. As soon as he thought of this, Zhu Hu suddenly felt that the simple decoration in the room became much more lovely at this moment. Under the soft reading light, the surroundings were silent. Unless you deliberately calm down, you can hear the chirping of cicadas and birds outside. In the summer everything is so quiet and peaceful. Of course, when August passes and it is mid-September, the evenings in Zhongcheng will be much quieter. At night, there is almost no other noise except for those ghost-fire teenagers, a rich second generation, and the roar of motorcycle and sports car engines. The next 2 days were normal. It seemed that Zhu Hu and Li Zuking were both silently preparing for their date on the Chinese Valentine's Day. When Yu Zuking went shopping with Su Qian during the day, she would deliberately observe other girls who secretly bought gifts for boys, and would ask Su Qian for advice from time to time. Do boys and girls still give each other gifts on Chinese Valentine's Day? Liu Zuking observed for a while, and then took advantage of the lunch break to quietly ask Su Qian. Hearing this, the girl was stunned at first. Then she recalled that her sister-in-law was from the countryside, so it was normal for her not to know the common practices of today's urban youths in celebrating holidays. Of course, there is no such requirement in the customs. The cowherd and the weaver girl only meet once a year, although they may have prepared for this meeting for a long time. But more thought should be put into how to cherish the time after meeting each other and make good use of every minute and every second together. Giving gifts is not something that comes from a fairy tale. What's more, the date of QIXI festival is different every year. Cowherd and weaver girl can't even be sure of the day they meet. They don't know what the other person needs, so how can they have time to prepare gifts for each other in advance? Su Qian's statement was a bit far-fetched, but it made people wonder how to refute it for a moment. However, if the nitpicking Zhu Hu were here, he would probably say, "Don't you know how to prepare a surprise when you only see each other once a year? Even if the gift doesn't touch the other person's heart, it is still a token of your thoughtfulness. If you give a gift only to the satisfaction of the other person, then it is no longer an act of expressing your feelings but becomes an act of deliberately trying to please the other person, thus changing the original intention of giving the gift." Of course, Liu Zuking did not delve into the logic behind it, but just nodded silently. Miamu glanced at several counters around the mall where there were many young girls. Su Qian saw all these actions, and she couldn't help but envy her brother. Although sister-in-law Yu Zuking seems serious on weekdays and rarely takes the initiative to get close to brother Zhu Hu. As the saying goes, those who are involved in the matter are often confused, while those who are not involved can see things more clearly. Su Qian knew clearly how Yu Zuking felt about Zhu Hu. This made her hate Xiaos and Bai Zumo even more. "What time is it?" "It's past 4:50. What's the matter? Sister-in-law?" "It's okay. I'm almost tired after a day of shopping. Let's go back." "Oh, okay." Since Su Qian came, she would take Liu Zuking out for a stroll almost every day. But the two women never came back later than 6 o'clock in the afternoon. At about 5:40, the two women returned to the urban village near Kinjwu Street. But unexpectedly, a silver Panamera stopped at the intersection again. A car like the Pame is still quite eye-catching after all. It is a $1 million luxury car, and it is rare to see it in a place like an urban village. The elderly people passing by didn't recognize the car logo. However, just by looking at the body lines and design, you can tell that this car is worth a lot of money. Why is she here? When she saw Bai Zumo's car, before Liu Zuking could react, Su Qian frowned slightly. "My sister-in-law is still pregnant, and she is worried that if she quarrels with the mistress, she might get angry and hurt the fetus, which would be bad. She now has the awareness of being an aunt." He took the initiative to step forward. Standing in front of Liu Zuking, staring at the driver's seat with an unfriendly look. "Don't be afraid, little girl. I'm not here to see her. I'm here to see you Zhu Hu's cousin, right? Would it be convenient for us to have a cup of coffee together?" The next moment, the car windows slowly lowered, revealing an equally stunningly beautiful face. Even Su Qian, a loyal fan of the Zhu Hu and Liu Zuking CP, has to admit that Bai Zumo's looks are actually quite good. To be honest, she is no less capable than her sister-in-law, but she will never admit it. When Su Qian heard that Bai Zumo was looking for her, she was stunned. Bizumo chuckled. What, are you still worried that I'll sell you out? Gut. Where to drink? Kion felt that she must not be weak in momentum at this time. Although his original wife is often visited by the mistress has not done anything out of line yet. The relationship between the two sides has not developed to the point of being on the verge of a showdown. So you must show enough calmness. Only in this way can the mistress feel that she is not valued at all and is completely despised. What qualifications does a mere mistress have to threaten the status of my sister-in-law King? Only in this way can Xiaosun understand her own position. When she thought of this, Kion waved her fist in her heart. I hold high the banner for my sister-in-law. There's nowhere to talk around here. Get in the car. I'll take you to a place. I also know Zuhu's father, your cousin, and I are from the same hometown. You don't have to worry that I'll sell you out. Kion curled her lips. Gut? Who's afraid of who? The next moment, she turned her head and said to Liu King, Sister-in-law, please go back first. I want to have a chat with your rival. As Kion said this, she arrogantly opened the car door and sat in the back seat. Seeing this, Liu King knew that the quirky girl with a similar personality to Zuhu would not easily suffer at the hands of outsiders. So she naturally did not have to worry about Kion's safety. Thinking of this, Liu King nodded and went upstairs. After the car started, the cabin was so quiet that it was suffocating. Bizumo didn't feel anything after all. She was the female president of such a large company and had seen all kinds of scenes. On the contrary, Kion, who had been trying to rush towards the fat man, suddenly became a little nervous now that she no longer had her sister-in-law's support. On one point, Liu King made a misjudgment. Although Kion's way of doing things and speaking style are similar to Zuhua's, her courage is far inferior to Zuhua's. Tell me, what do you want from me? In the end, the little girl was the first to lose her temper and spoke to Bizumo in front of her. Hearing this, Bizumo chuckled. Are you going to be a sophomore this year? What's wrong? Kion glanced at Bizumo warily. You found out that you can't snatch my brother from my sister-in-law. And you're planning to start with me, right? Are you trying to use your connections and power to bend the law for personal gain? Tell me, should I expel you or drop you out? The next moment, Kion chirped. I'm telling you, even if you have connections, even if you do this, I won't obey you. I swear to death that I will never help you pursue my brother. Expelled or dropped out. Wow, this little girl is really arrogant. For other students, their biggest worry would be not getting a diploma or giving up their studies halfway. But I suppose you're just hoping to be fired? Bizumo glanced at the rearview mirror and saw through Kion's thoughts at a glance. Bah! What nonsense are you talking about? In fact, I know quite a few leaders and teachers in your school. Although our company does not have any medical research projects or experiments, I personally prefer to invest in some laboratories in this area. I am in charge of several projects in your school. And then, are you going to fire me? Kion didn't give up and raised her eyebrows again. You are so beautiful. A smile flashed across Bizumo's eyebrows and eyes. This little girl's personality is really exactly the same as Zuhue. I asked a few friends to help check your transcript. Well, he failed for subjects in his first year. This doesn't look like a good student wants to get a diploma and take the postgraduate entrance exam. Fuck. Are you checking my privacy? Failing for subjects was already embarrassing enough for Kion. As a result, it was discovered by an outsider, Bizumo. Her confidence in representing her sister-in-law and punishing the mistress suddenly weakened by 3 points. You bad woman. What on earth do you want to do? Isn't the mistress who intends to separate my brother and sister-in-law bad woman? If knowing this is enough for a girl like you to swear and say fuck, then what I'm going to say next is probably worth 2 fucks. Tell me, what if I report this report card truthfully to your parents? Is hit? Are you threatening me? Kion didn't say the second, I fuck, in the end, and just said angrily. You are the boss of a big company after all. How can you not get a woman worth tens of millions, but destroy her? It's so shameless for such a big boss to argue with a little girl like me. Bizumo smiled and turned the steering wheel. The surrounding scene changed unconsciously during the chat. The car had already entered the underground parking lot. Shouldn't the saying, if you can't get it, you'll destroy it, be applied to your brother? I have no interest in a little girl like you. Even if I want to destroy someone, I should destroy your brother, right? However, at this moment, Kion was focused on the content of the conversation and didn't pay attention to the changes in the surrounding environment. She said with a dissatisfied pout. You couldn't be with my brother. So you also couldn't have a lovely sister like me, right? Isn't this destroying it if you can't get it? Hearing this, Bizumo almost couldn't help laughing out loud. Good God, it's really a small knife pulling the G-door. It's eye-opening. It turns out that the saying, if you can't get it, destroy it, can be used in this way. Chapter 60. Actually, I still need a children's watch. Don't worry, if I really tell anyone about this, you probably won't be able to go home this summer. I'm not that cruel. I know that students who have worked hard for a year finally have a vacation, but I still want to prevent your family from reuniting happily. If you really have to say it, this weakness can't be blamed on anyone else. The only thing to blame is Zuki-on herself, who completely let herself go after entering college and had too much fun in her first year. In addition, many majors for medical students do not involve simple process assessments, and attendance requirements and classroom performance also account for a considerable proportion. This meant that even if Zuki-on did not miss any classes, she might still fail the course. What's more, Zuki-on arrogantly skipped most of the semester. The reason why Zuki-on failed for subjects was because the head of the teaching department was worried that if she failed too many subjects, her salary would be deducted, so he set the limit. Otherwise, Zuki-on would have to take home a perfect score. I just hope that on the Chinese Valentine's Day, you can come up with something to tie up your sister-in-law so that she can't do anything on the Chinese Valentine's Day. With your intelligence, you should know what I want to do, right? Are you planning to take my brother out on Valentine's Day? I just like smart little darlings like you. As she spoke, Biaizumo found a parking space and slowly moved the car. Fuck you. You shameless vixen. Zuki-on glanced at Biaizumo angrily. I can't help you. Is that so? Then I won't force you. Let's go have a couple of cups of coffee. Contrary to Zuki-on's expectations, Biaizumo had no intention of continuing to dwell on this topic. Do you mind if I call another friend over? No problem. What will happen if you invite 10 friends over? Do you dare to kidnap and sell me? Cut. Zuki-on hummed with great satisfaction. I thought Biaizumo was completely defeated after seeing how I remain loyal to my sister-in-law and brother. As a result, the next moment, Biaizumo pursed her red lips and said to the other end of the phone, Director Zhu, I'm also at Capital and Mall right now. Why don't we go to the newly opened Cat Shit Cafe on the 4th floor? It just so happens that the younger sister of a friend of mine is also a student at your school, so I'd like to talk to you about her academic performance. Clam. As soon as these words came out, Zuki-on was stunned. Director Zhu? Could it be the director of our department? Damn it. Seeing that he couldn't persuade me, he just gave up and planned to end up hurting both of us. You are too cruel, aren't you? Zuki-on had a sad face. At least your brother Zuhu and I are friends. You may not know that we were classmates in college and served in the student union at the same time. With our relationship, his sister is naturally my junior. I want to ask about your academic performance. Maybe some teachers in the medical school have problems with their teaching content, which makes the class very boring. So you can't learn and end up failing the course. I'm just giving you some suggestions. Why are you so nervous? You are so cruel. As expected, she is a female CEO. I am convinced now. You can sing both the good and bad roles. Zuki-on stomped her feet. Isn't it enough for me to promise you? Then what's the benefit for me? Benefit? Biaizumo smiled and opened her phone again. Director Zhu. I booked a private room when you come in. Just say my name. I give up. I don't want any benefits anymore. Biaizumo then withdrew the 2 voice messages in her hand and gave Zuki-on a charming smile. You are still a student. Don't be influenced by those bad social trends. It's not good to talk about the exchange of interests all the time. It's not like a student. After saying this, Biaizumo raised her chin and looked at Zuki-on. But good kids make wise choices. There are no benefits, but there are rewards. Zuki-on. Are you showing me your extreme pulling skills? A slap in the face and a piece of candy? The next moment, Biaizumo led Zuki-on into the elevator. Only then did Zuki-on have time to pay attention to her surroundings. It turned out that Biaizumo had brought her to a shopping mall. Where is this? Zuki-on asked curiously. Seeing that Zuki-on agreed to her conditions, the atmosphere between Biaizumo and her became harmonious, at least for Biaizumo herself. When she looked at Zuki-on, there was a hint of approval for someone who knew how to act. This is Guoyan International Shopping Center. Before we drink coffee, I'll take you here to spend some money. You've been stuck in school for a semester. Is there anything you want? Without, Zuki-on didn't want to accept any gifts from her sister-in-law's love rival. However, Biaizumo pretended not to hear Zuki-on's refusal. After getting out of the elevator, she led the girl straight to the 3rd floor of the mall. Zuki-on had actually heard a little about this Guangzhou shopping center from her classmates. I heard that the consumption in this place is quite terrible except for the 1st, 2nd and 4th floors, which are affordable consumption places. The rest of the floors are all luxury goods. For example, there is a seafood banquet on the 6th floor, and the starting per capita consumption is 3,000 yuan. There is also a private restaurant on the 8th floor, where you can even make reservations for state banquets. Only the things on the first and second floors are affordable for students. Zukion Kion had never planned to come to this kind of den of brothel before. But today Byazumo actually brought her to such a place. Actually, I don't need anything, why don't we just go get some coffee? Before they could finish their conversation, the two of them arrived at the Apple mobile phone store on the first floor. Byazumo has an outstanding temperament. As soon as she entered the door, the female tellers came to greet her. Hello, are you going to look at your phone, computer, or watch? I need both a cell phone and a computer. Take one of your latest 14 Pro Max top configurations, swipe the card. And take another computer. Price is not an issue, the requirement is that it can be compatible with dual systems, can be used for gaming, and can also be used for daily office work, suitable for students. Hearing this, the two teller ladies looked at each other in surprise. It was the first time for them to see such a customer. The first thing he said as soon as he entered the store was to place an order. Didn't he even listen to the introduction before considering it? Beautiful lady. How about I introduce you to someone, otherwise, the commission will be too much for me to handle you. You are not planning to use our counter to launder money, are you? One of the counter ladies glanced at Byazumo timidly. Byazumo chuckled. No need. Just swipe the card. Don't worry, my money is clean, and my computer and mobile phone are all top of the line. The next moment, Byazumo glanced at Zukion Kion, who was looking confused behind her. What color do you want your phone and computer to be? Clam? Zukion Kion was stunned. Is this for me? What else? Gurgle. Zukion Kion's Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. She originally wanted to blurt out a refusal, but when the words came to her lips, she stared at the row of brand new iPhone 14s over there. The words of refusal seemed to be burning her lips and she couldn't say them at all. She has used that old phone for several years. It is impossible that she can really do as those bloggers on TikTok say and go on Zwan or Pinduoduo to get one for free for 9.9 yuan. Right? Sister-in-law, don't blame me for being sorry for you who made my brother so poor. If he treated me like this, I wouldn't have thought of betraying you when I saw someone buying me a new phone. That's right, it's all my brother's fault. The next moment, Zukion Kion put on a flattering smile. Second sister-in-law, I want a white cell phone and a gold computer. Byazumo was stunned. What did you call me? It wasn't because of Zukion Kion's spineless reaction, but because of the speed with which she changed her words. Second sister-in-law. I've decided from today on, in my heart, you are my second sister-in-law. It's my brother's business who he marries in my eyes. The eldest sister-in-law is my sister-in-law. And you are also my sister-in-law. This doesn't affect us, we can just talk about our own affairs. Awesome. Byazumo couldn't help but give a thumbs up. She is indeed a logical genius. She is worthy of being Zuhu's cousin. If it weren't for the huge difference in their looks, Byazumo would even doubt whether Zukion Kion was Zuhu's biological sister. So you are sincerely planning to join me now? That's... Zukion Kion dragged out a long tone, and looked at the two brand new electronic products that Byazumo had already packaged in her hands. Of course. And from now on, not only will I not hinder you from seducing my brother, I will also help you cover up. Because you are my second sister-in-law, you betrayed your sister-in-law just like that? How can it be called betrayal? This is called the phoenix choosing a good tree to roost in. Zukion Kion was unhappy, but she didn't show it on her face, and she even found an excuse for her behavior. Mr. Lu Xun said it well. When you are weighing the idea of betraying someone, betray him without hesitation, because if you are firm in your choice, you will not have this idea weighing the pros and cons. Mr. Lu Xun said this? Byazumo was stunned for a moment. Zukion Kion waved her hand. Second sister-in-law. Don't worry about these details, by the way. Do you want to remove the 2 in front of your name? Byazumo's attention was diverted, and she glanced at Zukion Kion with interest. Tell me about it. As long as the conditions are not too excessive, I can meet them. Hearing this, Zukion Kion pointed in the direction of the counter. Actually, I'm still missing a children's watch that can make phone calls. Chapter 61. Go. Gilwan leading Zukion Kion to the 6th floor. The girl was playing with her newly bought mobile phone and watch all the way. Zukion Kion's face was full of satisfaction. A top-of-the-line new Apple phone alone costs tens of thousands, not to mention a top-of-the-line laptop and watch. Along the way, he called her sister-in-law more and more skillfully and affectionately. I wonder if Suhui would scold this traitor if he saw this scene. Just a mobile phone, a watch and a computer can buy you off. Do you have any spine? But if Suhui really said so, I'm afraid Zukion Kion would also have rebuttals. Brother, if someone asked you to call dad and gave you 100 yuan, would you be willing? Zuhui dad. At this moment, Byazumo turned her head and glanced at Zukion Kion, who was lost in thought, revealing a charming smile. Before drinking coffee, you are buy a new set of clothes? As he spoke, he pointed to the Gucci and Bulgari counters in front. Zukion Kion's heart started pounding instantly. Gurgle. Sister-in-law, although you look very embarrassed when you pursue my brother, your card swiping posture is really moving. In order to protect your movingness and cover up your embarrassment, let me fire the first shot of the love charge for you. Let me, the Disney runaway princess, escort the love between you and my brother. Achoo achoo. Who the hell is talking about me? As soon as he arrived at the door of his house, before Zuhue took out his keys, he sneezed 3 times in a row. He rubbed his nose, feeling that someone was slandering him behind his back with bad intentions. The key had just been inserted into the latch before Zuhue had time to turn it. The door was suddenly pushed open from the inside. You are finally here. Zuhue almost stumbled and fell. Liu Zuking pushed open the door with a happy look on her face, and Zuhue thought the woman was coming to greet him. Who knew that the next moment, when Liu Zuking saw her own face clearly outside the door, her expression changed instantly, her brows furrowed, and she turned around and walked into the room without saying a word. Oh, my God. Why do you react like this when you see me? Are you waiting for someone? Yes, I'm waiting for Aunt Li. Hearing this, Zuhue was stunned. What time is it? My mom hasn't come yet. I glanced at the time and it was already 7:30. Normally at this time of year, Li Yuzhen would be preparing to leave. Because usually she would leave after making dinner for her grandfather in the hospital. The elderly go to bed early at night and get up early. Basically, everyone who has elderly people at home knows this. Therefore, the elderly have to eat earlier than the young grandpazu who usually eats around 6 o'clock. Li Yuzhen usually prepares the meal in advance and puts it in an insulated box, and then makes soup for Yuzu King. According to Zuhue, Li Yuzhen set out at 5:30 and it only took her about 10 minutes to get here by subway. The bus ride takes no more than 40 minutes. And Li Yuzhen usually arrives at her house around 6 o'clock. As a result, today was abnormally late by more than an hour. When something is abnormal, there must be something wrong. A sense of uneasiness suddenly flashed through Zuhue's heart. Let's go out and see what's going on. Zuhue had no time to rest. He originally wanted to call Zukion, but he learned from Liu Zuking that the girl had gone out for something in the afternoon. Liu Zuking didn't want to mention the name of her rival what's more. In her own opinion, she had never acknowledged Bai Zumo's identity as her rival, so she was too lazy to sigh and complain like a nagging woman. After just saying that Zukion was not there, Zuhui reluctantly gave up the idea of asking the girl for help. After they went their separate ways. The sky was gradually getting dark. The shadows of the willow trees on both sides of the road were stretched out by the street lights. There were no high-end residential areas on Kanjwu Street. There were only old-style houses and residential buildings. The search is not difficult, but the road conditions here are a bit complicated. Most of the roads are small, and 2 cars coming in opposite directions can easily block the road. The 2 searched for more than half an hour, but still found no trace of their mother on the road that Liu Zhen must take. Zuhu was extremely anxious. At this moment, Liu Zuking's pager suddenly rang. As soon as she saw the number, Liu Zuking immediately showed a look of suspicion. Nuisance calls? It should be. But not many people know this phone number. Only Aunt Li and you, oh yeah, and Zukion. It seems that the operator will occasionally send me some text messages. The next moment, Liu Zuking answered the phone. Who knew that Liu Zhen's voice would come from the other end? Hello, Xiaoliu? Auntie, where are you? What happened? No. It's just that I was unlucky today. I fell on the road and not only sprained my ankle, but also lost my phone, so I can't bring you soup. So that's how it is. Liu Zuking let out a long sigh of relief. She was very worried at first, fearing that something might happen to Liu Zhen, the protective mother-in-law. Xiaoliu must not have eaten yet. I'll ask Zuhua to go back and take you to eat something good. It's okay to eat. Is your foot okay, Auntie? It's okay it's just like that when you get older. You're prone to osteoporosis, don't worry about me. Okay, I'll hang up first. I borrowed this phone from a passerby. After saying that, Liu Zhen hung up the phone. Liu Zuking originally wanted to ask for the address and go see Liu Zhen. After all, her mother-in-law would come to her in the wind and rain to bring her soup every day, and this behavior happened day after day for Liu Zuking, who had lacked family affection since childhood. It was a completely unique experience in her life. It would be a lie to say that the Ice Lotus Empress was not moved. It was through Liu Zhen that Liu Zuking felt the taste of family love for the first time. However, Liu Zhen hung up the phone without giving Liu Zuking a chance to ask. Liu Zuking had no choice but to put away her thoughts and said to Zhu Hui, Aunt Li said she accidentally sprained her ankle and lost her phone. Do you know where she usually rests? Why don't we go check on her? Hearing this, Zhu Hui was stunned for a moment. What a coincidence. You sprained your ankle and lost your phone? No one knows the mother better than her son. No, it was definitely not just a simple sprain of the ankle by mother. Ding ling ling. At this moment, Zhu Hui's cell phone rang. He made a shoozing gesture towards Liu King. Hello? Zhu Hui, it's me. Mother? Well, are you off work? Are you home? Not yet. Zhu Hui glanced at Liu King beside him and immediately realized that his mother was about to tell him the truth. Knowing Liu Zhen's character well, Zhu Hui was certain that 80 of what his mother told Liu King were lies. How could someone be so unlucky that he not only lost his cell phone but also sprained his ankle accidentally? What's more, even if she sprained her ankle, she could borrow a cell phone from a passerby to notify her son in advance and ask Zhu Hui to come and pick her up. It was already very unusual that the first call to report safety was made to Liu King. It's good that you haven't come home yet. I just happened to have something to tell you. Don't tell Xiaoyu she is still pregnant and I'm afraid something might happen to her. Zhu Hui frowned. So what happened on your end? Oh, don't mention it today. When I was near King Gwu Street, I ran into a few hooligans robbing passersby. I shouted to call the police, but they were not afraid at all and pointed their spearhead at me. Li Zhen said indignantly on the other end of the phone. My cell phone, wallet and other things were taken away, but they weren't worth much during the argument. They pushed me and I accidentally fell and sprained my ankle. What a pity that the soup I made for Xiaoyu was spilled all over the floor. It's all wasted. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhu Hui became furious. Little gangster. Rob me? Mad, who is so blind as to dare to rob the mother of bloody Han Tu Hui? Is your foot seriously injured? While Zhu was annoyed with those gangsters, he also felt very sorry for his mother. You said you had nothing to do, so why did you shout like that? You are not a child anymore. Why don't you avoid such things? Do you still think that you will always be 17 or 18 years old and can shine for the society and contribute some positive energy? Liu Zhen laughed dryly. It's not serious, just my ankle is swollen. No broken skin or bones, maybe a little bruising, and it hurts a little when I walk. It should be fine after 2 days of rest. Oh, it's a pity to waste the soup I made for Xiaoyu and my cell phone. In fact, the cell phone is not important. I have used it for several years and it is not worth much now. But the recipe I wrote for Xiaoyu in the memo on my phone is lost. I stayed up for several days and spent a lot of time to come up with it. It seems like next time I do something like this I'll have to write it down on paper. Otherwise it'll be easy to lose it if something goes wrong. Liu Zhen didn't have so many reservations when she talked to her son on the phone and chattered for a long time. From the repeated words, Zhu Hui could also tell that his mother was really scared. When those hooligans robbed my mother, the old lady must have been scared to death. Thinking of this, Zhu Hui became even more furious. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I have to return the phone to the community police. Remember not to tell Xiaoyu anything when you go back. Say that I accidentally sprained my ankle, and then lost my phone. Xiaoyu is not a smart kid and won't suspect anything. Remember not to let anything slip. I'm afraid she'll worry about me. Hearing this, Zhu Hui looked at Liu King next to him again. The woman still had no expression on her face, but from the changes in her micro-expressions, it was not difficult to see that there seemed to be a hint of self-blame between Liu King's brows. Zhu Hui smiled bitterly. She probably heard it. Although Zhu Hui was not clear about Liu King's title. The last time the woman threatened to run away from home, she revealed that her true identity was Zulian. At that time, thousands of thoughts flashed through Zhu Hui's mind. Isn't this world too mysterious? I got a plant? I was poisoned by snow lotus. How to get along with plants? My snow lotus fairy wife is pregnant with my child. But later on, Zhu Hui gradually seemed to begin to accept this fact. Liu King is indeed different from ordinary people in many ways. For example, her excellent hearing, excellent reaction speed and learning ability. Okay. I understand. After hanging up the phone, Zhu Hui glanced at Liu King. Liu King didn't say anything, but walked slowly in one direction with lotus steps. Walk. Where are you going? Kill. Chapter 62, The One Who Wants to Kill You. Kill who? Zhu Hui hurriedly caught up with Liu King and followed behind the woman. Liu King's steps didn't seem to be big, but she walked as if she was floating. The speed was so fast that even Zhu Hui, with his 1-meter long legs, had difficulty catching up. Little rascal. Do you know who it is? I know, I can smell who has at least stuff on them. That person is nearby. After saying this, Liu King leads Zhu Hui in turn to walk towards an alley. There are also many small alleys on King Gwu Street. Although there is no university town nearby, there are 2 vocational high schools and a technical school. Those who understand know that the students in that kind of place are of varying quality. Although we cannot condemn them all with one blow, it is undeniable that the proportion of gangsters is much higher than that in ordinary universities. But he was different from the Leng Xiao that Zhu Hui had dealt with before. The words, hooligans and rich second generation, are almost completely unrelated to each other in front of the technical school. In addition to the old residential buildings, the most common things here are homestays and some billiard tables, internet cafes, and chess and card rooms. Soon, Zhu King brought Zhu Hua to the door of an internet cafe. Are you sure those people are in here? Zhu Hua frowned. He has never been afraid of such things since he was a child. What surprised him was how many people came and went in the internet cafe every day. Not to mention anything else. Just now, it is an unknown how many people are in this black internet cafe where one can access the internet without an ID card. Liu Zuking could tell who it was just by smelling the scent of Liu Zhen on the phone. Not to mention Zhu Hui, who didn't believe it. Even those experts who receive state subsidies wouldn't believe it if they told them. I am quite sure. Liu Zuking nodded without question and glanced at Zhu Hui after she finished speaking. They also know what it means to catch a thief and seize the stolen goods, and to catch an adulterer and seize his partner after you find the phone. You should be able to believe it. The next moment, Liu Zuking pushed open the door of the internet cafe. Instantly, a strong smell of second and smoke and various moldy smells hit me in the face. There was also a mixture of instant noodles and various sour and smelly feet odors. Zhu Hui couldn't help but dry heaving. Then he covered his nose and adjusted himself. Even he hasn't been to such a place for many years. Oh my god, except for the time in elementary school, when I lied to my mom and the teacher asked us to do an electronic version of our computer homework, and then I went to this kind of place with a budget of $5. I never came to this kind of small internet cafe after I entered junior high school. The main reason is that the people in such places are of mixed quality, and young people are easily bullied. Moreover, most of the people who surf the internet here can't even afford to eat. And incidents of robbery happen all the time. No matter how reckless Zhu Hu was, he was only about 1.5 or 1.6 meters tall at that time. The Greenhorn Elementary School student will not get any good thing in such a place. In addition, Zhu Hu's family conditions improved a lot after junior high school. And he had a computer at home. Even if he wanted to come out and surf the internet with Lin Hao and others, he had several excuses to cheat money from Liu Zhen. For example, the day the teacher asked us to buy test papers. A teacher asked us to buy homework for remedial work tomorrow. There won't be enough homework books for the day after tomorrow, and the teacher will ask us to pay the class fee the day after tomorrow. So Zhu Hu never came to this kind of illegal internet cafe again, but his good days did not last long. One day in the second year of junior high school, Liu Zhen asked the teacher casually during a parent-teacher meeting, "Why didn't you order the accompanying exercise books when you ordered the textbooks?" The child said he was always buying exercise books at Inhua bookstore, almost one a week. This is too troublesome. How about you give the school a suggestion and order the books in bulk in the future? This way it will be cheaper. It was this question that completely exposed Zhu Hui. The school is not stupid. How could it order the corresponding textbooks without buying exercise books? Those were all Zhu Hu's excuses for lying about surfing the internet. So when Liu Zhen got home that day, she didn't say a word and just picked up the sole of her shoe and gave Zhu Hui a beating. The environment of this place is really not commendable. A hint of disdain flashed across Liu Zuking's beautiful eyes, but she still walked straight towards the cashier counter. What are you doing? This is not the cashier counter. Even if the workers in this internet cafe are stupid, they can trap people near their own territory. If someone calls the police, they will know who it is. But Liu Zuking did not answer. Even in this dim environment, her appearance became an eye-catching and beautiful scenery. The guys at the cashier counter stared at Liu Zuking from head to toe. Someone even whistled at Liu Zuking. In an instant, Zhu Hu's eyes turned cold. Did someone just give you a cell phone and a small canvas bag? What cell phone, pretty girl? You asked the wrong person, didn't you? This is an internet cafe, not an electronics wholesale center. If you mean cell phones, we all have one, so what? But it be that this beautiful lady couldn't find an excuse to chat with us. So she just made up a lie? Beauty, which of us do you like? How about sitting down and chatting with us? The front desk clerks at these illegal internet cafes are basically well-known hooligans in the neighborhood. So they are usually braver. Seeing that Liu Zuking was pure and innocent, they immediately had evil thoughts. Bang! But the next moment, Zhu Hu slapped the front desk hard. Just answer the questions you are asked. Fuck. Who the hell are you, kid? Are you looking for trouble? Seeing Zhu Hu's arrogant behavior, several gangsters immediately rubbed their hands, in preparation for a fight. Zhu Hu was not intimidated either. He rolled up his sleeves, picked up a 3-pound wrench from a corner nearby, and left it directly at the front desk. Bang! I wonder if this thing can help you guys. As he spoke, Zhu Hu's face revealed ruthlessness, and his eyes were filled with anxiety and cruelty. This gangster's behavior instantly scared the hooligans at the counter so much that they shrank their heads. They are just more powerful in this area. But compared to Zhu Hu, who dared to run out and smash other people's stores in high school, he is still a little bit behind. Seeing Zhu Hu's ferocious look, they knew they had hit a wall. Wait, my friend, are you here to look for someone or something? A gangster behind the counter moved his Adam's apple. Now I didn't even dare to look at Liu Zuking. Zhu Hu sneered, I want both the things and the people. Over there, those guys in the blue uniforms from the workers' college, just now they gave us a cell phone and a worn-out wallet, saying that they would pay for their internet bills. You know, many students from vocational high schools and technical schools around here like to buy things online on credit. We have a small business, and they all owe us a lot of money. It's better to use our things as collateral than to lose a penny without making any profit. What they meant was that they didn't want to take cell phones and wallets. The key problem is that these guys can only take out this kind of thing, with an attitude of not wanting it or not. If they open a business, they can't let themselves lose money. When Zhu Hui heard this, he didn't bother to care about these things. Give me back your phone and wallet, and I'll give you 200 yuan. They owe more than just internet fees. Don't talk nonsense, or I will call the police and say that you guys stole my mom's phone. My mom was injured after being robbed and is now in the hospital. Do you want me to calculate the compensation for you? How much do you have to pay me? Zhu Hui grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. This statement clearly shows an attitude of extortion. I only give you one suggestion. I don't accept your other suggestions. If you want to make a choice, you can only choose from my suggestions. If you don't choose, then you will have to drink the wine for punishment if you don't accept the toast. The gangsters looked at each other in bewilderment and finally